His girlfriend of 3 years just dumped him, and the reason is the ultimate betrayal. Meet Shen Yuen, a man born with wealth and captivating looks. He could have any woman he desired. You'd expect nothing less from someone at the top. Shen Yuen was dating the campus queen, the beautiful Jo Wanting, who absolutely adored the lavish world he provided. But in a single day, their glittering reality shattered. Shen Yuen's family empire went bankrupt. Can you guess what happened next? On the very day he lost everything, Jo Wanting delivered the final crushing blow. She claimed their 3 years were great, but now, they just weren't a match anymore. And how convenient. Her new man arrived instantly to pick her up. A storm of fury raged within Shen Yuen, but he refused to lose his dignity. He masked his anger and turned to the new boyfriend. Jo Wanting is an incredible woman. Treat her with the care she deserves. Then, with a cold smile, he exposed her. He detailed her preferences in the bedroom and her unquenchable thirst for expensive gifts. The new rich guy's face twisted with rage. He hit the gas and vanished, leaving her behind. Shen Yuen wasn't a fool. He knew most people were only there for his money. Even his so-called friends abandoned him. But in that moment of absolute despair, a system window flickered to life before him. It announced that Shen Yuen met the conditions to activate the perfect life system. The rules were a game changer. Any money he spends on women who are genuinely interested in him, Shen Yuen gets back 3 times the amount. And what's more, he can see their exact level of interest. A number now floats above their heads. At first, he thought he was going insane until a warm, beautiful voice called out to him. This is Li Xiao, his college professor. She saw the heartbreaking breakup and approached him. She came to offer genuine comfort, promising he would find a new love one day. And above his kind teacher's head, Shen Yuen saw it, a number glowing next to a heart. It was her affinity score toward him. This was no hallucination. The system was real. The teacher's words were a ray of unexpected warmth. She praised him for being smart, handsome, and polite. Her door, she promised, was always open if he ever needed someone to talk to. Shen Yuen was stunned by her genuine concern. A wave of shyness washed over him. But her kindness didn't stop there. Knowing his difficult financial situation, she offered to help him secure a scholarship. But at this, Shen Yuen had to refuse. A scholarship from the college would be a mere drop in the vast ocean of his family's debt. As she was about to leave, she reminded him one last time. He could talk to her about anything, even his love life. That was the opening he needed. Seizing the moment, Shen Yuen made his move. He took her hand, inviting her for a drink as a token of thanks. He quickly goes to buy her a milk tea. His account balance was a paltry 87 yen. He spent 6 on the drink and received 18 back. The system was real. The multiplied refund actually worked. His bank statement flashed with a new deposit of 18 yen, and his balance instantly jumped to 99. The rules were clear. As long as his affinity with a girl stayed above 60, any money he spent on her would trigger the system's refund. This was his golden ticket to erasing his family's crippling debt. If he played his cards right, this power could make them rich again. Shen Yuen would finally return to his old life, or perhaps an even better one. However, his current capital was only 99 yen. It was nowhere near enough. His first priority was to secure more starting capital, and then find the right women to activate his ability on. He managed to scrape together 8,000 in gold and 20,000 from loans. With the 99 yuan he already had, his war chest now stood at a total of 49,000 yuan. But to his teacher Li, he was still just a broke student. If he wanted her to accept a truly expensive gift, he needed the perfect strategy. An hour later, a plan formed around a bag, worth a staggering 39,000. The key was simple. He would claim it's a high-quality fake, so she would accept it without suspicion. But first, he had to wonder if his teacher even had a boyfriend, but he bravely knocks on her door and waits for her reply. When the door swings open, she asks what Shen is doing at her home. He quickly apologizes for the intrusion, seeing she was in the middle of cooking. He explains that for 3 whole years of college, she cared for him deeply. This was just a small token, a symbol of his immense gratitude. But teacher Lee's eyes narrow. The bag doesn't look cheap at all, and for that reason, she can't possibly take it. As a teacher, her duty is to treat every student the same. She firmly refuses the gift. But our protagonist insists it's a fake costing only 200 yuan, even using his family's humble situation as a reason. With a sincere look, he explains that if he couldn't even show his thanks, he would feel like a terrible person. This bag was purely a gesture from his heart. She realizes refusing would only hurt his pride. Even more so, she finally relents. With a kind smile, she promises to return the favor on his birthday. Just then, he steps inside her house as the scent of something burning fills the air. Her food? The teacher asks if he's eaten yet, inviting him to stay for dinner with her. His mind races. This is a perfect chance to raise his affinity and secure the refund. But he also has to avoid any trouble with her boyfriend. Just then, a notification sound. His account buzzes. 120,000 yuan now sits in his balance. A 39,000 yuan bag yielded a tripled refund, putting him at a net profit of 80,000 yuan. He'd spent that much before, but he had never earned a sum like this. Not once. This was a first. The realization that he accomplished this all on his own, at such a young age, was a victory. That sent an incredible thrill through his entire body. Teacher Lee tells him to sit down, asking what's on his mind, noticing his restless energy. Our protagonist then asks, "So, will it be just the two of us eating tonight?" Asking about Teacher Lai's boyfriend. But with a slight blush, she clarifies that she doesn't have one. Just then, Shen Yuen steps in to help. His hands move to her apron strings. Flustered, the teacher insists she can manage. But our hero works his magic in a flash. But their moment is shattered. The teacher's younger sister Li Ming appears, her voice cutting through the air, dripping with suspicion. Shen calmly replies that it's nothing as Li Xiao invites him to stay for dinner. She introduces him to her icy sister, and while Shen offers a polite greeting, Li Ming shuts it down completely. The air instantly turns to ice. Reading the hostel room, our hero makes a swift exit. He claims he's already eaten and must return to college. But Teacher Lai catches the contradiction. Just moments ago, he'd said he was hungry. Something was definitely off. The second he's gone, Li Ming warns her sister. But Xiao defends him as just a student. Her sister scoffs, seeing a predator in disguise. Xiao just sighs, telling her she's imagining things. Meanwhile, Shen Yuen mulls over his next move. His relationship with Teacher Lai is complicated. She's not like that gold digger Zhou wanting who only cares about money. As he's lost in thought, a figure slams into him. He stumbles back from the impact in the crowd. It's his friend Lao Huang, looking like a total wreck. The guy is shaking, completely frantic. Shen Yuen demands to know what's wrong. His friend wails in despair. His goddess Meng Hui went to the movies with that scumbag Li Jianpeng, and this mess is Shen Yuen's roommate Huang Hai. Meng Hui is the undisputed beauty of the second year, a goddess on a pedestal. She's never so much as glanced at his roommate. Shen Yuen laughs at the sheer absurdity, telling him to get serious as two girls approach. But Huang clings to a sliver of hope. Just because she went with another guy, it doesn't mean anything. A malicious bone in his body. Yuen understood a painful truth. When you love someone to the point of self-destruction, it never ends well. Then his eyes locked onto something impossible. 72 affinity points, with a single girl a number higher even. Then with his own teachers, nearby whispers began to circulate. They were talking about how Shen Yuen got brutally dumped. The two girls huddled together, their voices dripping with scornful gossip about him. He never should have acted so familiar. At the start of the semester, one sneered, let alone offer to buy everyone drinks. A rich boy's arrogance, they called it. And now that his family had crashed into bankruptcy, he still paraded around with that same prideful air. The girl smirked. It's a good thing they're done. He deserved to get dumped. After 3 long years, Shen felt a chill. He'd finally found someone with immense value, someone who could bring him incredible benefits. But the numbers were dropping. He refused to just stand there and watch his connection with her fade to nothing. He turned to his friend, a serious look in his eyes. Would it bother you if Minhui and I got together? His friend scoffed. You have zero chance with the campus goddess. You're not a rich playboy with a BMW anymore. But for Hib, Bao, the answer was simple. He didn't care as long as she didn't fall for that creep Li Jianpeng. Shen grinned. That's all I needed to hear. In a flash, he was running, sprinting towards the girl, before this fleeting opportunity vanished. He approached them with a sudden confidence, causing her friend to instinctively step in front to shield her. But our protagonist's gaze was fixed on Minhui. Are you free later? I've booked a table at a premium sushi place. He was asking her out so directly. She blinked. Are you asking me to dinner? Her friend immediately cut in, her voice sharp with suspicion. The minimum there is 1,000 per person. You think you can't afford that now? Unfazed, Shen continued. After dinner, I was hoping we could take a walk. I also need your help. Picking a birthday gift? For my sister. He looked at her. Just confirm with me. By noon tomorrow, I'll be in touch. The girl was completely taken aback. How strange. First a trip to the cinema with Lee, and now she's going to dinner with Shen Yuen. Her friend, however, sees absolutely no problem with it. After all, it's a top-tier Japanese restaurant. Sure, he might be a little arrogant, but he's incredibly handsome. And if he ever recovers his fortune, he would easily leave Lee in the dust. Her friend insists she has nothing to lose. It's just dinner. Besides, she'll be ready to help via text if anything goes wrong. As dusk settles, the next day, the two of them step into the elegant Japanese restaurant. Almost immediately, the waiter begins presenting a parade of dishes, each one more exquisite than the last. The girl gently brings up his family's tough situation, telling him he doesn't need to spend so extravagantly. But he just tells her not to worry. The culinary experience at this place is worth every single penny. Seeing her reaction, he reminds himself it's been 2 months since his last poker game. He knows he has to keep his cool. She then asks Shen directly, why did you invite me to dinner? To help you choose? Your sister's present. A smirk plays on his lips. The protagonist replies, he's always wanted to ask her out but never found the perfect opportunity. But then he notices it. The affinity level is dropping. He realizes that answer clearly wasn't the right one. He recalls their basic training, how she always paid for drinks, and how they would talk through messages. The moment she sees, he remembers that detail, the affinity level suddenly begins to rise. Our protagonist adds that he could never forget her kindness. And the affinity skyrockets even higher. Seeing this, he decides to maintain his composure as the affinity level hits a solid 70. 40 minutes later, he heads to the counter to pay. The total is a staggering 2,920s, though a small discount brings it down, just a little. The girl's entire monthly budget is only 3,000. This single dinner cost almost all of it. She remembers when she went to the cinema with Zhang Ping, they just ate at the cheap college cafeteria. The difference was staggering. With dinner plans set, they head out. Meanwhile, our hero swipes his card, settling the entire bill in a single silent gesture. He glances at his screen. The mission was officially underway. Her affinity, once 72, had just jumped to 76. And just like that, he pocketed 10,000 yuan from a single meal. The efficiency of it all was staggering. The more she gazed at him, the deeper her fascination grew. It was the undeniable power of his wealth. Beaming with joy, the girl takes his hand, insisting they head straight to the mall to find the perfect gift for her sister. They arrive at the city's main shopping center, only to find his ex with another man. A flash of irritation crosses Zhou Wanning's face. They had only broken up the day before, and Shen Yuen was already flaunting a new girl her current boyfriend scoffed, wondering how he could afford to even breathe in a place like this. He was just some corporate slave who had bought a mountain of bags just to win her over. Meanwhile, our protagonist, supposedly drowning in debt, still had beautiful women flocking to his side. He turns to Minhui, suggesting they browse a few other stores before deciding on the perfect gift. His ex's new boyfriend sneers. Go on, look around. After all, looking is free, Zhou Waning then steps forward, her voice dripping with venom. Who is this? Shen Yuen calmly replies that by pure coincidence, he's just at the mall picking out a present for his sister. The jerk scoffs, telling him to try the toy wholesale market instead, since he clearly has no money to buy anything here. His ex suddenly blocks Minhui's path and warns the stranger that Shen Yuen will only play games with her heart. Yuen steps forward, shielding Minhui. She has nothing to do with this, he states, his voice cold. And I haven't tricked her at all. The new boyfriend scoffs. Is that anyway? To speak to Zhou, a real man should have some class, he says, pointing out their past relationship. He then attacks, commenting on Yuan's bankruptcy and crushing debt, telling him there's no need to pretend to be a big shot. A wave of pure disgust washed over our hero. Looking at them, he knew they deserved each other. They were a perfect match, a union of trash. Just then, a mission notification flashed before his eyes. The more negative emotion he caused in others, the greater his rewards would be. Initially, he planned to grant them some shred of dignity, to avoid a public spectacle, but they chose to provoke him. And so the protagonist decided something. He would exploit this system mission to its fullest potential. All reasons for holding back had just vanished. He turned to Minnie with a calm smile, suggesting they browse a nearby store. An attendant inside recognized him immediately. He was once a loyal VIP customer, but now he was just a bankrupt former rich boy. She figured he was only there to try things on, with no intention of actually buying anything. However, a sharp glare from her boss forced her to go and serve Shen Yuen. Meanwhile, Zhao approached her new boyfriend, June, demanding he pay for her selections. Her personal attendant rushed to her side. The other clerk seethed with jealousy. Her colleague always got the big spenders, the truly loyal customers, while she was stuck with the problematic window shoppers. She expertly wrapped the bag, gushing with praise. Your taste is impeccably refined, and these accessories, they perfectly match your elegant style, she flattered. They bring out the beauty of the bag. Your total will be 100,000 yuan. But over on the other side of the store, Shen Yuen was telling Minnie not to hesitate in her choice. Minnie pointed at a purse she liked. I like that one, she said. It has such a youthful, vibrant design. Your sister would absolutely love it. The attendant serving them reluctantly chimed in. Sir, both of those bags together cost over 50,000 yuan. It will be quite expensive. At the same time, June was frozen. His eyes were wide with shock. 100,000 yuan? He was already panicking over 20,000. Zhao urged him to pay up to flaunt his incredible purchasing power for all to see. The harsh reality was his card couldn't handle that hit. That's when Shen Yuen's clear voice cut in. I'll take those 2 bags. And I'll also take all the accessories that Zhao over there just had recommended to her. The entire shop fell into a stunned silence. A wave of disbelief silenced the store, hitting Minhui and the snobbish attendant, who was convinced Shen Yuen was completely broke. Finally, the clerk stated the price. With accessories, the total comes to 130,000 won. Right after the dinner refund, that was the exact amount Shen Yuen had. He slid his card forward without a word. The attendant went to package the items for Shen Yuen, but inwardly she scoffed. What a complete waste of her time. She couldn't believe he was still acting like the generous, carefree heir he used to be, casually buying a 130,000 yuan set. Zhou Wangqing's face twisted in rage. Where did you get that kind of money? She shrieked. You're broke. Did you actually go and take out a loan? Shen Yuen just smirked. You can think whatever you want, he said coolly. Your opinion of me makes absolutely no difference. His eyes then drifted to the bag. June had bought a paltry 20,000 yen. For a supposed rich heir like Zhou Wangqing, that was pocket change. A wicked glint appeared in Shen Yuen's eyes. A man should be more generous, he declared loudly. I'm sure June's car cost at least 700,000 yuan. The implication hung in the air. A man with that much status should be spending far more on her. Goaded Zhou Wangqing turned to her boyfriend. June, show him your real purchasing power. But June froze. His prized A8 was bought with a loan, a shameful secret he couldn't reveal. He realized Shen Yuen had struck his fatal weakness. He flinched. I need to take this call, he stammered, already backing away. June put his phone to his ear, pretending to be on a call. Yes, any project over $1 million? He blustered. Can't be decided without my approval. With that, the two fled in utter humiliation. A notification popped up in Shen Yuen's mind. His negative emotion points had soared, hitting his target perfectly. There was no longer any reason to argue with them. The mission was already a success. Shen Yuen took the elegantly packaged bag and handed it to a stunned Minhui. This is for you. She shook her head frantically. It's far too expensive. Shen Yuen's expression softened. It's just a bag, and after dealing with all that nonsense, he said, please accept this as my apology. A faint blush graced Minhui's cheeks as she thanked him. Don't thank me just yet, Shen Yuen says with a smirk. Because every single one of these belongs to you. Minhui stammers. For your sister. He scoffs. My sister would never appreciate these. Not like you. You have a real passion for them. Yongshan some passion for them. If I bought these for my sister, Shen Yuen explains, she'd just lecture me for being extravagant. So from the very start, they were always meant for you. Minhui's head spins. The entire collection. It was too much. She couldn't possibly appear so greedy. Flustered, she shakes her head. No, I can't accept this. But our hero gently insists. Please don't even worry about it. After all, this is only the beginning for us. We have so much more time ahead. His eyes soften. It would truly hurt me if you refused. Just then, a familiar blue screen flashes in his mind. Limited time mission complete affinity. Reward, 786,000 UN. He smirked. An affinity reward. He had to nurture his new money tree carefully and make sure her affinity score never dropped. We should head back to school, he says, breaking the silence. It's getting late. A part of him wanted to stay, but he knew better than to rush things. Some things had to bloom on their own time. As for Minhui, she was stunned. He was nothing like that sleazeball Li Junpeng, who would have already suggested a trip to a motel. Elsewhere, Li's pathetic friends were hyping him up. You got into her room and conquered the class beauty. Dude, no one believed you could do it. They were already planning their victory feast, demanding dinner at his expense. Shen Yuen overheard Li's loud bragging, boasting about winning over the girl he cherished. It left a bitter taste in his mouth. The rumor was spreading like wildfire through the school. Soon, everyone would believe their lie. Turning to his roommate, our protagonist's voice was cold. That guy's days are numbered. Fang Minhui will never end up with a clown like that. His roommate scoffed. Are you sure? Sounds like he got way more than a movie date. Besides, the roommate added, didn't she refuse to go out with you earlier today? That pretty much proves she's with Li. Shen Yuen didn't reply, letting the silence hang in the air. He quickly checks his account balance. Just enough he could finally head home tomorrow. But the moment our protagonist arrives, his uncle Shen Yao announces his return to everyone. In the living room, the atmosphere is heavy. His father tells him they're in the middle of a serious talk, and that the protagonist should head to his room. The air crackles with tension as his father turns back to the uncle. He practically begs for a little more time. A large payment for some goods is due any day now, promising he can repay a portion of what he owes. But the uncle isn't satisfied. A partial payment won't be enough to solve his own problems for the next 2 days, just to keep his business afloat. The mother can't take it anymore, her voice sharp. You can't keep living like this. She reminds him that when he had nothing to start the car wash, his own brother lent him 300,000 without a second thought. But now, after they borrowed another 200,000, he's suddenly demanding every single penny back. The father weakly tries to defend his brother, muttering that his uncle has his own struggles. And we don't, the mother fires back, her patience worn thin. She argues that in the next few days, the uncle doesn't have any massive urgent bills to pay. After all, she'd already spoken to his wife about it. She knows that paying what's owed is the right thing to do. But this is family. They should be able to work things out through conversation. Her anger finally boils over. To demand the money back with such cold aggression, it feels like a slap in the face, a staggering ingratitude, especially after how much their family helped him in the past. Defeated, the father suggests selling her gold jewelry. He promises that as soon as he gets back on his feet, he'll buy it all back. But his wife cuts him off, her voice laced with pain. She's tired of hearing empty promises of buying things back. Right now, their debts must come first. Just then, a voice echoes in the protagonist's mind. The system. A perfect life must be free of all debts. A new mission had just been triggered. Clear your family's financial obligations. And the reward for this quest, the instant the final debt is cleared, he would receive double the total amount. This mission couldn't have come at a better time. It was time he started shouldering the burdens that weighed so heavily on his father. Every piece of jewelry his mother had collected was worth a small fortune, tens of thousands of yuan. Her plan was to sell it all to chip away at the mountain of debt they faced. Then she realized 2 gold rings had vanished during the move. A memory pierced his heart. First year of college? With no money for a bag, what had he done? He'd sold his mother's gold rings. The regret was suffocating. Pushing the guilt down, he walked from the room and declared to his stunned parents, "I have money." They scoffed. "This is no time for jokes. Your lunch money won't make a dent in this." But his gaze was firm. He was dead serious. "There's money in my account." When they saw the balance 200,000, their jaws dropped. Shock turned to disbelief. "Where did you get this?" He had a story ready. "The allowance you gave me was always more than enough," he began. "So I invested in bitcoins? They soared in value recently." Would this story hold up? He prayed the excuse would work. After all, they had always been generous with him back then. The lie landed perfectly. Relief washed over his parents' faces. They had been pulled back from the brink in their darkest hour. First, they'd pay off that uncle and get him out of their lives for good. "The moment this debt is paid," she snarled, "you will leave this house. From this day forward, our families will have nothing to do with each other." The uncle Shen Yao flinched at the sheer aggression in his sister-in-law's voice. His mother doubled down on the command. "You heard her! Get out of my house immediately." And just like that, the uncle was cast out. Humiliated, he knew his brother owed nearly 100 million. A desperate thought sparked in his mind. How did Shen Yuen clear that debt so easily, with so much left over and still have other debts to pay? The uncle began to wonder. Had his brother's family secretly found some incredible business venture? Were they on the verge of becoming rich again? After the day's whirlwind events, Shen Yuen stared into the distance. Just how was he going to navigate the path that lay ahead model, and instantly regretted coming to their house? The initial debt repayment quest was complete. The system announced his rewards were incoming. A staggering 400,000 yuan flashed into his account. Then another million materialized out of nowhere. His balance skyrocketed to an unbelievable 2 million yuan. Not counting his exclusive shopping credits, Shen Yuen's net worth had officially shattered the 1 million mark. He never dreamed of seeing this much money in his entire life. But even with this power-up, the final boss of debt was still a long, treacherous road away. The mountain of what they owed was immense. Even if he handed his father the entire million, it would be a mere drop in an endless ocean. No, this capital had to be a seed, to grow into something far greater. He made a decision. He would offer his father another 200,000. He told his father he kept some cash in reserve, and that 200,000 was ready for him. But his father shook his head, saying it was better to hold on to it for now. The other collectors weren't knocking at their door just yet. But then his father asked Shen Yuen for 50,000. He agreed in a heartbeat without a second thought. He noticed his dad had that same old look, the one he always had when asking for money. Shen Yuen smirked. Some things truly run in the blood. Just then, his teacher returned with news. Class was canceled for the afternoon. Seizing the opportunity, Shen Yuen asked if she was free, wanting to treat her to dinner to repay her kindness. But from behind his teacher, a shadow emerged. Her younger sister Lei Ming was glaring daggers at him. This girl, she was Shen Yuen's personal nemesis. Getting involved with her was a guaranteed catastrophe. Shen Yuen's mind raced. He suddenly recalled some incredibly urgent matters back at school. His entire evening was now completely booked. And with that excuse, Shen Yuen made his escape. Lai Meng's eyes narrowed. She knew that guy was hiding some ulterior motive. But her sister just smiled, saying it was only a dinner. Besides, even if he had other plans, she would never fall for them. As he fled, Shen Yuen felt a massive wave of a quiet satisfaction washes over him, a memory of his old life. He now holds a special credit line to purchase a car. And to leave such a gift from the system unused would be a grave disrespect. With that, Shen Yuen messages Fong Minhui asking if she's free. His mission to go car shopping. Meanwhile, Fong Minhui's friend is practically buzzing with excitement. Choosing a car together, that's a huge step. Things must be getting serious between you two. Her friend winks playfully, suggesting that Minhui might not be returning to the dorm tonight. Minhui blushes quickly, shutting it down. "We're not even dating." Her friend just sighs dreamily. "You're so lucky, Minhui. He's handsome, and on top of that, he's rich." Just 1 hour later, Shen Yuen and Fong Minhui arrive in front of a high-end 4S dealership. A sales attendant greets them warmly at the door. "Do you have a particular model you're interested in, sir?" she asks, ready to guide them through the showroom. But then an arrogant voice cuts through the air, recognizing Minhui. "What are you doing in a place like this?" It's none other than Shin Young, the very same senior from high school, who had relentlessly tried to win her over, his eyes narrow, scanning the man beside her. "And who's this?" Shen Yuen calmly introduces himself, simply stating, "I'm a colleague of Minhui's." Qin Yang's smirk returns. "So any specific model you're eyeing?" he asks condescendingly. Shen Yuen simply replies, "I'm just looking for some information. Feel free to browse the models on display." Qin Yang gestures grandly. "Or you can come inside and take a seat." In his mind, Qin Yang is already calculating. He knows the basic Chai's M9 model starts at 500,000 and closer to 600,000, with all the fees. He scoffs, internally convinced Shen Yuen dragged Minhui here just to show off a broke poser who couldn't possibly afford anything. His gaze then drifts back to Minhui, noticing she's even more beautiful than he remembered. No wonder. He was so obsessed with her back then. But things are different now. Shen Yuen feels superior. He earns $10,000 a month, a fact that makes him one of this dealership's absolute top salespeople. In his eyes, he's the ultimate prize for any girl. Minhoi, he says smoothly. Are you free later? We should catch up. But Fong Minhoi's response is swift and cold. I'm sorry, she states, I already have plans. Tonight, but he flatly refuses. Meanwhile, Shen Yuen strolls into a luxury car dealership ready to schedule a test drive. But the salesman Chen Ying is instantly annoyed. He assumes Shen Yuen is just some broke kid interrupting his day. Someone who couldn't possibly afford one of these magnificent machines. With a sneer, Chen Yuen lies, claiming the boss took the only test car, so there isn't one available. But Shen Yuen has seen this act before. He already spotted a pristine M9 right at the showroom entrance and knows better. He calmly walks over to the reception, bypassing the useless salesman entirely, and asks for another consultant to arrange his test drive. Just then, Chen Na appears. The air shifts as she asks how she can assist him. Even Shen Yuen is caught off guard by the sales consultant's powerful professional presence. And yes, she's absolutely stunning. The manager immediately confronts Chen Yuen, questioning why he let Chen Na poach his client. But Chen Yuen is too arrogant to care, happy to let Chen Na waste her energy on a nobody. His boss warns him, you'll regret it if that nobody turns around and actually buys the car. Chen Yuen scoffs, thinking our main character is just a poser using a pretty girl to fake an image of wealth. At the same time, Chen Na begins expertly explaining the car's advanced features. However, Shen Yuen notes that beyond her crisp professionalism, Chen Na possesses a truly captivating beauty. He recognizes her skill. She's the kind of ace who could charm any client, just to smash her sales targets. Sensing his expertise, Chen Na realizes Shen Yuen already knows the car's specifications by heart and asks for his budget. But Shen Yuen dismisses the question entirely, dropping a bombshell with a single statement, I plan on taking a car home today. Most customers agonize over the decision for weeks, visiting multiple times. But Shen Yuen took one short test drive and didn't even flinch at the price. A thought dawns on Chen Na. Why on earth would Shen Yang abandon this client? This man isn't a window shopper. He's a whale immediately. Chen Na informs him that unfortunately she doesn't have the model wasn't in stock at the store, but they could arrange a transfer within a week. For Shen Yuen, that was all he needed to hear. The deal was done. Chen Na thought she was dreaming. He was an angel client. He'd just bought a $600,000 car without a second thought. She invited Shen Yuen to relax for a moment, asking for a simple $50,000 deposit while she prepared the official contract. Just then, her boss pulled her aside. Is this client for real? He asked, full of doubt. Chen Na simply beamed. He's already bought it. The news left her boss utterly speechless. He was still suspicious, convinced Shen Yuen was just putting on a show, ready to invent an excuse and disappear when it was time to actually pay. However, Chen Na delivered the final shock. Shen Yuen had already paid the deposit in cash, a move that was practically unheard of in their business. The boss cursed under his breath. That idiot Chen Yang had truly fumbled, costing the dealership a massive sale. Chen Na hurried back to Shen Yuen, telling him to call her for anything at all. She even offered him a ride, but Shen Yuen politely declined the offer, saying he and Fang Minhoi were simply taking a taxi. In that moment, Chen Na finally realized her mistake. Building a relationship with a VIP client was crucial, but she had clearly overstepped and annoyed his girlfriend. She wisely stopped insisting, and Shen Yuen and Fang Minhoi finally left the dealership. Shen Yuen invited his girlfriend to grab a bite to eat, but Fang Minhoi's response was ice cold. He felt the sudden chill. Are you angry? Or maybe jealous? But she flatly denied it. No. He tried to defend himself, explaining he was just talking business with Chen Na, a mere dealership salesperson. But Fang Minhoi wasn't convinced. She accused him of spending way too much time with the saleswoman and looking far too pleased while scrolling through her Instagram. Shen Yuen explained it was just a habit of his. Whenever he added someone new, he always glanced at their stories, but the damage was done. Fang Minhoi wondered why she felt this bitter pang of jealousy. After all, their relationship wasn't even official yet. But she knew with a sinking feeling that other girls would soon be drawn to the power of his wealth. She knew then. She had to find a way to truly capture his heart. But Shen Yuen masterfully dodged the question, simply saying it wouldn't happen again. And to make up for it, he promised her a gift. Fang Minhoi was in for a surprise, but he meant it. He wasn't some naive fool. He learned from his mistakes. At first, Fang Minhoi refused to accept. After all, Shen Yuen had already spoiled her with 2 brand new bags just yesterday. Deep down, her heart fluttered with excitement. But she couldn't let him spend so extravagantly on her. She refused to be seen as just a gold digger. To Shen Yuen, however, this was completely normal. A girl needs more than one bag, right? There are 7 days in a week. She'd never have to wear the same one twice. Besides, for Shen Yuen, this was an investment. Spending on a woman triggered a triple cashback bonus. The more he spent, the more the system paid him back. Later, Shen Yuen took her to a restaurant. He casually asked Fang Minhoi if she wanted a cold or a hot drink, but her mind instantly raced. Was he indirectly asking if she was on her period? Did that mean he wanted to take things to the next level tonight? Her cheeks flushed as she replied that she wanted a cold drink. Shen Yuen, completely oblivious, couldn't figure out her strange expression. For him, it had been 2 long months since he was last with Zhuo wanting. And let's just say he was more than ready. Just then, a notification popped up. Their relationship score had climbed to a solid 81 points, and her inventory of luxury gifts was growing. Shen Yuen was spoiling her rotten, treating her better than any man ever had. He'd just dropped another 80,000 yuan without a second thought. At that moment, Shen Yuen glanced at his phone. A new transfer had arrived, 200,000 yuan. His capital just kept on growing. This cashback system was absolutely broken. He had already recovered the 50,000 yuan deposit for his new car. And even after covering all his other expenses, a staggering 1.6 million yuan remained in his account ready to be spent. With a smirk, Shen Yuen leaned in and told her not to go back to her dorm tonight. Her heart pounding, she quietly agreed. Half an hour later, the scene was set. The Grand Rich Hotel, room 808. Yuan was in the middle of a refreshing shower. Meanwhile, Fang Minhui was facing a barrage of questions about her absence. She was trapped, too flustered to admit she was actually with Shen Yuen. And just then he appeared, shirtless, water still dripping from his hair. He called out, "Fang Minhui, are you ready?" Mortified, she quickly apologized to Ling Ling Ling, making it clear she had no plans to return to the dorm. With a tap, Fang Minhui sent a quick message to her roommate. "Don't wait up for me, I'm not coming back tonight." Turning to Shen Yuen, Fang Minhui shyly mentioned she hadn't washed up yet, but he just smiled. He loved her scent exactly as it was. Shen whispered that he adored every single thing about her. All she could ask was for him to take it slow. And with that, their passionate night truly began stretching deep into the darkness. 30 minutes later, Min sighed contentedly, agreeing it was wonderful to finally be with him. For his part, Shen never imagined Minhui would be so incredible, and the experience left him utterly drained. He felt completely out of practice. 2 months of abstinence had taken their toll. Min, however, was glowing with energy and wanted another round. But Shen pleaded for just a little time to recover. She wasn't having it. Min was insistent, telling him she wanted to go again right now. The next morning, a weary Shen stumbled back to his dorm. His eyes widened. A system notification offered him a full refund to clear his debts. He didn't hesitate, instantly wiping out his 2,000 yuan balance. But that wasn't his only burden. Shen still owed Li Yuhang a staggering 100,000 yen. A debt born from the ashes of his family's bankruptcy. All his old fair-weather friends had vanished, seeking only their own gain. Li Yuhang was the only one who stood by him in his darkest hour. His roommate spotted him. "Hey, where'd you disappear to? Last night, you never came back to the dorm." Before Shen could answer, his roommate brought up the upcoming class dinner, casually asking if he planned on going. Shen scoffed, guessing Li Jinping finally got a new car and was throwing the dinner just to flaunt it. He sighed, saying that showing up would only make him watch his rival's absolutely ridiculous show. Li Jinping was getting way too full of himself, flaunting his status for everyone to see. Shen almost reconsidered whether this spectacle was even worth his time. But then, a message from Liu Hang popped up, an invitation for dinner and drinks, a chance to finally relax. At that very moment, a limited-time mission flashed. The objective: take 1 million and invest it within a single week. It was a business mission that had appeared at the perfect time. After all, Shen had no intention of letting that money collect dust in his account. He already had an investment in mind, Li Yu Hong's bar, which was currently under renovation. Shen shot Li Yu Hong a message, asking for the location and confirming he'd be right there. The meeting point was the Nanjing restaurant inside a luxurious private lounge. There, Lin Guangyao was already growing restless. "Are we still waiting for Li Xiao? I'm starving," he grumbled. Shi Hai scoffed. "Have the so-called big shots even arrived yet?" Zhao Jian replied with a smug grin. "The most important people are never late." Sensing the tension, Li Yu Hong calmly pointed out, "There are fruits and snacks on the table for now. We're just waiting for one more person, Shen Yuen." The name sent a ripple through the room. "Shen Yuen?" they asked. "You mean the guy whose family went bankrupt? What right does he have to be in our social circle anymore?" Li Yu Hong's face turned to stone. "Tonight's bill is on me," he said, his voice sharp. "And since none of you are paying, you have absolutely no right to complain. Shen is a friend I've known for years," he declared. "So we will wait." An awkward silence fell over the group. Their irritation was practically radiating off them. A woman next to Lin whined, "You refuse to be my boyfriend, yet you keep trying to seduce me like this." Another man in a sharp suit glanced at his phone. "My girlfriend got caught in traffic," he announced. "She should be here in about 10 minutes. He then started bragging about Lin's cousin's family, who had always been dependent on his own family's wealth. "If it weren't for us, they wouldn't even be at this table." He chuckled. "I have no idea what kind of dumb luck he has to have landed such an unbelievable girlfriend. She's a total temptation in the office," he continued. "The kind of woman that no man would ever resist. After all, her outfits were always daringly short. And since she and his cousin weren't officially married yet, he saw the perfect opening to make his move." Just then, a new figure appeared. Shen walked in wearing shabby clothes, and Liu Hang immediately questioned him. "What's with the delay?" he sneered. Shen simply explained that the city traffic was a nightmare and his driver had taken the worst possible route. Lin Guang, Yao laughed out loud. How ridiculous. Shen came by taxi. Everyone else had their own luxury car, which is why they didn't get trapped in the gridlock. But the atmosphere shifted when the girlfriend of the man in the suit finally arrived, apologizing for being late. Man proudly introduced Chen, the car saleswoman, boasting that he undoubtedly had the most beautiful partner in the room. Chen's eyes scanned the room, and then they locked onto Shen. It was him, the very man who bought the supercar from her dealership just the day before. Seeing that Shen gave no sign of recognition, Chen quickly caught on, deciding to act as if this was their very first meeting. 40 minutes passed, in a blur of small talk. Finally, Li Yuhang got to his point. He wanted to expand the new bar he was launching. He then asked if anyone was interested in investing in his grand project. The estimated value was $2 million, and he was offering up to 30% of the shares, which required an investment of $700,000. He asked, almost timidly, what his friends thought about his proposal. A voice cut through the silence. Doesn't the Li family earn millions upon millions a year? Why would you need investors for a project this small? The man smirked. Or maybe your investments all failed and your father finally cut off your allowance. The man in the suit scoffed, claiming he wouldn't participate. It would take him 2 years of saving just to gather $700,000. The other man in the cab agreed, stating he wasn't there to invest and had no interest in getting involved. They all understood the unspoken rule in these moments. In a situation like this, whoever speaks up first is nothing but a sucker. And Li Yuhang knew it. They were happy to exploit him for free food and drinks, but the moment he mentioned money, the room went dead silent. Li's voice cut through the quiet, laced with disbelief. Did the food steal your tongues after everything we ate? Can't a single one of you say something, but his so-called friends? They didn't see the need for an investment. Instead, they suggested a pathetic solution. Everyone could pitch in a little, just enough for Li to open his bar. They claimed becoming partners just wouldn't be fair to him. This way, if his business actually succeeded, they wouldn't lose a single coin. They brought up disastrous investment stories, like a restaurant that went belly up in months. To them, a bar was just another way to throw good money into a fire. If anyone had cash to lend, they argued, they'd handle it privately, not in a desperate situation, like this one. Li wanted to build a future, with his friends sharing the profits. But for them, that profit was just a potential debt in disguise. It was clear Li had completely misjudged his friends. Sensing the mood souring, Lin quickly pivoted, turning the topic into a personal loan. He tried to justify it, saying a one-on-one loan was different. But if no one was interested, he'd just drop it. Another friend chimed in, thinking all this talk of investment was ruining their good time. Let's just go back to having fun, he said. But Shen had already seen their true colors long ago, back when his own family faced ruin. He knew putting any hope in them was a fool's errand. In Shen's eyes, they were nothing but parasites, squandering wealth built on their family's influence. And then Shen Yuen's voice sliced through the chatter. He offered to invest the entire 700,000 Li was asking for. Lin scoffed. Don't do this, Shen Yuen. It's not the first time you've tried to show off. The others piled on, telling Shen Yuen to get a grip, warning him that Li Xiao had no patience for his games. Jihai sneered, telling Shen Yuen he should act according to his abilities and learn when to keep his mouth shut. They even mocked him with an offer for a round-trip taxi fare, a cruel jab at his supposed poverty. But Chenna watched them, a strange feeling creeping in. Shen Yuen had just bought them all dinner. A 600,000 won car just yesterday. She wonders why they're so invested in this meddling in a 700,000 WAN investment. But before Chenna can even make a move, Shen Yuen acts. He's already transferred the full amount to Licia's account. The moment Licia glances at his phone, his world freezes. The notification blazes on his screen. The money. It's actually there. He shoves the phone towards his friends, their faces draining of color at the staggering amount. The atmosphere shifts in an instant. The tables have turned. Shen Yuen really sent 700,000 yuan. One of them, desperate, asks Li Xiao what the message says. But Li Xiao is already panicking, stammering that he has to go home immediately. Jihai turns to his cousin, utterly confused by the sudden chaos. Just leave, his cousin urges. Our uncles are looking for you. But Jihai is baffled. He hasn't received any calls, not a single message from his family. He sees it then. His cousin is just making pathetic excuses, and it's not even worth arguing. Still, a bitter thought lingers. If Shen Yuen had this kind of money all along, then this whole act was just a show to steal the spotlight. The cousin in the cap suddenly questions why Li Xiao's attitude flipped so fast. Then he sees the message, the proof, the undeniable transfer. Suddenly he remembers urgent business. He needs to handle back home. He's gone. The rest of them follow one by one, fleeing the scene under the crushing weight of their own foolishness. What's going on? Leo cries out. Why is everyone leaving? But Shihai is already walking away, abandoning him too. Finally, Shihai confronts Chenna. How did you know? He demands. How were you sure the transfer was real? Chenna's voice is cold steel. Because Shen Yuen walked into a dealership and bought a car. In cash, Shai scoffs, calling it a blatant lie. But Chen Na holds all the cards. She has the proof. The purchase contract. She's left speechless. He doesn't blame Chen Na for this, but he wishes she had told him sooner if she knew Shen Yuen was this powerful. There won't be a next time, Chenna declares. Her words are a clean break of final verdict. She's breaking up with Zihiha, seeing him for who he truly is. The kind of man he truly is if Li Yuhong knew the depths of Shen Yuen's wealth. This humiliating gathering would never have happened. In that moment, Li Xiao saw his friends for the worthless opportunists they were. Lai Xiao then turned to Shen Yuen's bar concept. Intrigued, he decided to lend his own expertise to the plan, even in a small way. For the next 30 minutes, Shen Yuen outlined his vision, detailing the bar's unique style and operational strategy to a captivated Liu Hong. Liu Hong had to admit, Shen Yuen's college years were not wasted. The man possessed a truly brilliant business mind. Shen Yuen just called it commercial talent, adding that they'd need a dedicated manager to oversee the daily operations. An hour later, Shen Yuen sent a message to Min the woman from the car dealership asking if she was free. Min stared at the screen, a flicker of confusion in her eyes. Shen Yuen's next move was to maximize his refunds, and Min was the golden goose he needed for this plan. He invited her to a chic restaurant on the 4th floor of the mall, not just for business, but because her beauty had caught his eye. The following day, Min waited for Shen Yuen in the restaurant's ambiance, swirling around her. She checked the time, wondering if she had arrived too early. Just then, the manager appeared. His gaze fell upon Min's store uniform, and a predatory smile spread across his face. Manager Zeng waved his employees away, telling them to find another place to eat. After all, he had more important business to attend to. The staff whispered among themselves, wondering if Chen Na would actually give Manager Zeng a chance. It was certainly strange for Chen Na to be dining at such a place all by herself, unless perhaps she had staged this encounter for Zeng to find her and make his move. The employees were suspicious, finding the whole situation odd and questioning who Chen Na would orchestrate such a chance meeting with. With a smug grin, Boss Zeng approached Chen Na's table, asking if the seat was taken. But her cold rejection caught him off guard. Zeng chuckled, convinced Chen Na was just playing hard to get, waiting for a friend only to be told he is her direct superior. Zeng insists that their rank means they must share a meal, but Chen Na draws a firm line, reminding him he's a married man and should know his place. With chilling simplicity, Zeng declares that's an easy problem to fix and decides he'll just divorce his wife. At the same time, Chenna's ex Zihai spirals into a jealous rage, believing she left him for someone else. When he sees the chubby Zhang, his pride shatters. Zihai arrogantly boasts of his 400,000 a year salary and his 300,000 car. Suddenly, Sihaji bursts into the restaurant, tears streaming down his face, accusing Chenna and Zeng of betraying him, of having an affair, right under his nose. Shihai screams that he has no idea who this Zeng guy even is. Chenna demands to know what he thinks he's doing. Without warning, Shihai's fist connects with the manager's face. In an instant, Shihai and Zeng are trading blows, a chaotic brawl erupting. As Shen Yuen watches the madness unfold, utterly bewildered, he can't believe his eyes. They're fighting over a baseless accusation that never even happened. What's worse, Zeng didn't even try to deny it. Taking charge, Shen Yuen grabs Chen Na's hand, pulling her out of the chaos and into a quiet corner. Chenna finally explains she only dated Jihaji for 2 short weeks, and during one dinner, she saw his truly awful personality. Shen Yuen wisely notes that it's always better to see someone's true colors sooner, rather than later. The man who was just attacked Zhang is actually Chenna's boss. A wave of anxiety hits her. How will he treat her at the office after this humiliating beatdown? But Shen Yuen fiercely believes a boss like that is unworthy of Chen Na's loyalty, suggesting she find a new job. Chen Nei sighs. It's not that simple. Changing jobs would mean losing years of client relationships, like starting her entire career from scratch. After so many years grinding in sales, Chen Na is exhausted and dreams of a new path, opening a small cozy cafe. However, that dream has a hefty price tag of 300,000, and Chen Na has no idea how she'll ever save up that kind of money. But as Shen Yuen just tells her not to even worry about the money, a significant initial investment. Shen Yuen had just secured a stunning 300,000 from an exclusive investment fund. Chena scoffed, thinking it was some kind of elaborate joke. But Shen Yuen's gaze was dead serious. Then you should quit, he declared, because I'm investing in your cafe, and you'll be working for me. Chena's world tilted on its axis. Her affinity points suddenly soared to 64. Shen Yuen felt a flash of concern, but this was the only way to win her over. Besides, another opportunity had just presented itself. Are you being serious? She stammered. He simply smirked. The real question is, do you want this? Shen Yuen laid out his unbelievable offer. Once the cafe was running, her salary would be 12,000 a month. And if it succeeded within 3 months, a brand new car would be hers. No sales pressure, just a guaranteed car and an annual income of 300,000 yuan. China's mind raced. This wasn't a job offer. This was a gilded cage. He was trying to bind her to him. No one is worth this much, she said, her voice trembling. The offer is tempting, but I refuse to be trapped. Shen Yuen simply chuckled. You're overthinking it, Chenna, he said smoothly. My plan is to launch a chain of cafes. Yours will just be the pilot project. Hearing his grand vision, China hesitated. She needed time to process this life-altering decision. Just then, a message buzzed on his phone. It was Manhwa. Are you free for a drink tonight? Shen Yuen glanced at the text. Just one meeting and she was already eager for another. The girl had endless energy. He typed back a simple reply, agreeing to a drink but suggesting they take things slow. Turning back to Shen Yuen gave a charming smile. I have something to take care of now, he said. I'll be waiting for your answer. Arriving at room 808, the door swung open and he was pulled into a tight hug. I missed you so much, Manhwa whispered. But then her expression shifted. She sniffed the air, the faint scent of another woman. Shen Yuen instantly realized Chen Na's perfume must have clung to him from her car. Manhwa's eyes narrowed, her voice laced with ice. Were you with someone else before coming here? Seeing her. Shen Yuen swears he only has eyes for Manhwa, that there's no one else. With a straight face, Shen Yuen claims he was just at the dealership sorting out paperwork and must have caught a whiff of perfume there. Manhwa's doubts vanish. She tells him to just give her a heads up next time and to keep his distance from the saleswoman. He inwardly scoffs. The system's mission is to spend on women and rake in refunds. Why would he ever get tied down to just one she? Says she'll take a shower, but Shen Yuen pulls her close. No, he says, let's not. The air crackles with intensity as their passionate games begin. They decide to skip the shower, preferring the raw, natural scent of their connection. Oh, thrill shoots through him as Manhwa repeats his words back to him. In the heat of the moment, she confesses her deepest feelings for him to hours. Later, she wants more, but Shen Yuen is completely drained. He's shocked. Manhwa has far more stamina than his ex leaving him exhausted. Then he sees it. Her affinity level had soared to 90. Suddenly, the system's voice rings out. Host has acquired a woman with an affinity level over 90. Task complete. The rewards materialize instantly. A lottery. Ticket worth 1 million and a consumption. Voucher for another million. This $1 million ticket was the perfect cover story. It was more than enough to erase his family's debts. But that wasn't all. The skills ruthless and power began to merge, forging a path to absolute dominance. He knew from this moment on he would unleash his true power. Manhwa would be completely under his control. A titanic wave of energy surged through his very soul. The rewards for achieving 90 affinity were simply mind-blowing. It seemed the system knew his every need and delivered. Winning over the woman from the dealership would require finesse. Unlike his approach with Manhwa, Shen Yuen recognized the need for a slower, more strategic advance. He would conquer her heart step by step. After all, her affinity was already over 60. He had no clue when another woman with an affinity above 90 might appear, or what incredible rewards she would unlock. Right now, the most critical mission for Shen Yuen was to test the new power he had just gained from the system. He returned to Manhwa, claiming he'd changed his mind about the shower. There was something he had to try. Manhwa immediately sensed a powerful shift in him, and a wave of pure happiness washed over her. Meanwhile, Chenna confided in her friend about the mysterious man. He offered her 300,000 to launch a cafe and promised that in just 3 months, he would gift her a brand new car. Her friend Xian was skeptical. You've definitely fallen for a scammer, she warned. But Chenna knew better. Impossible. He bought a car from me today. With cash. Xian's curiosity piqued. How old is he? Most of the buyers at the dealership are old men. Chenna revealed he was only 21. It was bizarre. How could someone so young already possess such a luxurious car? Spending 300,000 for her business and giving her a $200,000 car on top of being incredibly handsome. Xian saw the truth clearly. He wants you even if he's 5 years younger. Her friend's encouragement was fierce, but Chenna hesitated. He has a girlfriend, she admitted. Xian scoffed at the obstacle. A girlfriend? So what? Even if the man were married, it wouldn't change a thing. You could easily steal her position. Chenna was completely shocked by her friend's ruthless words. Listen, her friend said, if you're going to be this indecisive, you could just pass this young millionaire over to me. I would handle it all for you. But Chenna remembered, you have a boyfriend. Xian just smirked. If a man like that offered to support me, I'd become single in an instant. At that very moment, her friend's boyfriend walked through the door. The dangerous conversation came to a sudden halt, leaving Chenna speechless. Her mind raced, still trying to process the new Shen Yuen. Just 30 minutes later, Manhwa finally broke the silence. She had to know. How had he become so incredibly different, so much stronger? In just over 40 minutes, his stamina had been truly overwhelming. It left her breathless. Then a playful smirk crossed his lips. Did you enjoy that? He asked, ready to go. Again. Minhoi's eyes widened in sheer disbelief. Could he possibly handle more? He just smiled. This time, he whispered, I want you to take control. She hesitated, admitting she wasn't sure how. You can learn as you go, he promised. And so they continued. Their passionate games as a new day dawned. The next morning, Minhoi dragged herself to the university, but Shen Yuen decided to treat himself to some more sleep. The moment he awoke, however, one thing dominated his thoughts. The lottery ticket. The special reward from the system. He pulled up the results. The blue numbers were a perfect match. The red numbers were correct too. A grand prize of 6.8 million yuan. Shen Yuen shot out of bed as if struck by lightning. This was it. Their life was about to change. He had to tell his father immediately. After all the years of pain and suffering, from the family's bankruptcy, he rushed to deliver the world-changing news. Bursting into the house, his mother quickly told him to quiet down. But Mom, I have something incredibly important to tell Dad. His father appeared, his expression stern. What is so important that it couldn't wait? He demanded. Shen Yuen, did you get into some kind of trouble? Dad, you need to sit down for this, Shen Yuen insisted. He declared, we won 6 million. Our money problems are over. His mother's face filled with worry. Is college pressure getting to you, son? Shen Yuen's father just scoffed. Don't make up such ridiculous stories, he snapped. I will handle this family's debts myself. But Shen Yuen simply held out his phone. On the screen were his numbers, right next to the official results. A wave of shock washed over his father's face. He started shouting in disbelief, realizing his son had actually won the lottery. His parents were speechless. The proof was undeniable right there on the screen. A prize of 6.8 million. Even after taxes, they'd still have over 5 million yuan. It was more than enough to pay off every debt and begin again, changing their lives forever. With tears of pride, Shen's mother declares, her son's name will become legendary. In their family's history, a true celebration of his victory. Now in his 3rd year of university, with graduation just around the corner, Shen reveals his grand ambition. He's going to forge his own path and start a business. His father cautions him that the road of an entrepreneur is paved with challenges, but urges him to seize this moment and explore his potential. With the prize money, he explains Shen could easily secure a loan to build his dream, but wisely advises him to keep a portion as a safety net. Shen nods, promising to take only 1 million. The rest, he says, is for his parents a gift for them to use freely. Moved by his heart, his parents agree, promising they will always be the pillars supporting him. Meanwhile, in another part of the city, Manager Zung summons Chen Na into his office, a sinister look on his face. He points to a picture revealing the brutalized face of her so-called ex-boyfriend, but Chen Na doesn't flinch. She coldly states they broke up ages ago, making it clear she has nothing to do with this mess. If that man got himself injured, it's his own damn fault. But the manager scoffs, insinuating that she's hiding something. A man wouldn't get beaten so badly, he sneers, without a very good reason. In that moment, Chen Na sees right through his disgusting ploy. He's trying to use this situation to corner her. Standing her ground, she repeats that she had no involvement in the fight. She was on a proper date with a friend when Zihai arrogantly crashed the party uninvited. But Manager Zung isn't listening. He declares she's suspended from all customer service duties for an entire month, twisting the story to claim she abandoned her work and her clients. Only after she reflects on her supposed mistake, he says, can she even think about returning? Chen Na's eyes blaze with fury. She reminds him that she explicitly asked for his permission before she left that day. But Zung just smirks. I am the general manager of this store, he declares. What I say goes. This suspension is a death sentence. Without her commissions, her salary will be practically nothing. Absolutely disgusted, Chen Na looks him dead in the eye, calling him a pathetic, mediocre man and this job a living nightmare. With all her resolve, she makes a final declaration. I quit model. He warns her not to be rash, to think very carefully before making such a huge decision. Zung points out that even though Shen Yuen is young, he's built differently. He operates with an unshakable calm. No matter what grand plan Shen Yuen has, siding with him is already a golden opportunity she shouldn't waste. But Chenna turns her back, her resolve hardening. I don't need to think. And on the spot, she quits. Barely an hour passes before a message lights up Shen Yuen's screen. Chenna declares she's ready to walk away from that store and asks if his promise from the day before is still on the table. Shen Yuen congratulates her for escaping that dead-end job and immediately tasks her with scouting locations for their new cafe. Now, with 300,000 remaining from the investment mission, he needs a new venture. An idea strikes him. He'll pay a visit to his teacher. Teacher Lee greets him with an apology, explaining she needs to move some things around the office and asks if he can help with some boxes. Not a problem, Shen Yuen replies coolly. He's got no class this morning and was free anyway. Teacher Lee explains that books would be one thing, something she could handle on her own. But the desk and cabinet are impossibly heavy. She asks Shen Yuen to unload the books from the cabinet so they don't topple over when they start moving the furniture. As the teacher strains to reach the higher books, Shen Yuen moves in from behind to lend a hand. In that instant, the space between them shrinks, creating an unexpected intimate closeness. A flush of heat rises in Teacher Lee's cheeks. She realizes they have never been this physically close before. a shocking question suddenly races through her mind. Does Shen Yuen feel something for me? Even after they finish, Teacher Lee is completely flustered by the memory of that moment. Other students arrive to help, and they immediately notice that their teacher's face is bright red, filing cabinets to the other side. If the students hadn't arrived a moment sooner, they would have witnessed it all. Lee realized Shen Yuen was becoming bolder and bolder, first at her home, and now in her very own office. A thrilling forbidden spark ignited within her, even though she knew he was her student. In that electrifying instant, Lee's feelings surged, and her affinity with Shen Yuen skyrocketed to 71. A smirk played on Shen Yuen's lips. He would visit more often, determined to max out that affinity stats and forge an unbreakable bond. On Saturday near their college gate, two girls buzzed around John Pang, gossiping about his new $200,000 car. Jan Pang and his BMW were a campus legend, and girls flocked to him with Fang being the only one to ever turn him down. Jan Pang scoffed, saying some people just don't get luxury. The gold diggers chimed in, calling those people completely crazy. But at that moment, Shen Yuen's attention was stolen by the breathtaking beauty of Chen Na. Her stunning curves were a masterpiece, a woman any man would dream of dating. Suddenly, their chatter died down as a true luxury beast parked nearby, a magnificent yaoya leading M9 model. And the driver who stepped out, it was Shen Yuen, leaving them all speechless. Jan Pang's mind raced. Wasn't Shen Yuen's family bankrupt? How could he possibly afford a car like this? His irritation turned to pure fury as he watched Shen Yuen approach Chen Na, the very woman he was obsessed with. The cafe owner just texted, Chen Na said, "She'll be here any second." Shen Yuen casually replied, "This car handles like a dream." Jan Pang seethed. How dare Shen Yuen, who he assumed had just ended things with his last girl, so shamelessly flirt with another? Just then, the cafe owner Lin Yu Chong rushed over, apologizing for being late after picking up her son. Lin Yu Chong extended her hand and warmly greeted Shen Yuen, commenting on his presence. The cafe owner was surprisingly young, barely in her 20s like the rest of the college crowd. Lin Yu Chong stated her price $300,000. Its prime location near the campus meant business was always booming. But Shen Yuen, ready to invest, countered with $250,000. Lin Yu Chang tried to haggle for $270,000, but her hesitation spoke volumes. She knew another serious buyer might not come along. That's when Shen Yuen played his trump card cash. He would close the contract and transfer the funds that very same day. "Sign the contract," he declared, "and the $250,000 will be yours in an instant." Defeated but decided, Lin Yu Chang told her waitress to show the establishment to its new owner, the powerful Shen Yuen. The waitress Xiao immediately addressed him as boss and introduced herself respectfully. Shen Yuen clarified that the tour wasn't for him, but for Chen Na, the one who would actually be managing the place. He himself would be a rare sight. The college girls watched in disbelief, stunned that someone could close a $250,000 deal in a matter of minutes. This display of casual power drove his rival Jian Peng into a silent rage. Shen Yuen had immense wealth and a gorgeous woman at his side. Suddenly, a phone call broke the tension. Lin Yu Chang, the now former owner, stepped aside to answer. In that moment, it clicked for Chen Na. Lin Yu Chang was the wife of boss Zhong, the very same man who'd fought with her ex-boyfriends back at the restaurant. Zhong had a beautiful wife, yet he abused his authority to harass his female employees. But Chen Na held a trump card recordings of Zhong's threats. She planned to expose him to finally get the salary she was owed. She considered revealing everything to Zhong's wife, who seemed like a genuinely good person. Chen Na knew revealing the truth carried great risk, and Shen Yuen immediately advised against it. Such a move would be too reckless. The moment the recordings went public, Zhong would know exactly who was responsible for his downfall. Just then, a 40-year-old man approached them. A man backed into a corner with a family to support is a man who could do the unthinkable, and so Shen Yuen makes a vow to crush Zhang, but in a way that leaves Chen Na completely untouched. With a single tap, Shen Yuen wires the money to Lin Yu Chang. But he doesn't stop there. Another $50,000 is sent to Chen Na, with $24,000 earmarked as her salary for the first 2 months. He draws $1 million from his exclusive investment funds, and the task is instantly complete. A notification rings out. His investor level has risen. A staggering $10 million in new funds are unlocked to fuel his growing empire. The rewards are legendary, a tripled income stream, and a second, far more mysterious business branch. Shen Yuen was now armed with immense capital, and a cryptic new venture waiting to be unveiled. Just then, Lin Chong confirms the payment. "It was a pleasure," she says, her voice smooth, hoping their paths cross again soon. Shen Yuen can still feel the charm radiating from this married woman. In that instant, a dangerous spark ignites in his mind. He feels a pull toward her. "Oh, we'll definitely be seeing each other again," he replies. An hour later, Shen Yuen leads Shen Na into a high-class restaurant. Her eyes widen. This place looks so expensive. She asks if he comes here all the time. Shen Yuen just smiles. Not often, he admits. But tonight is different. It's a special occasion to celebrate our new partnership. His gaze lingers on Shen Na. He studies her, realizing she possesses a beauty so captivating that any man would be powerless against it. "Come," Shen Yuen says, "sit next to me." He gestures to the seat beside him, pulling her closer. "I've spent $300,000 on this cafe," he began. "And every month, another $12,000 will go to salaries. His eyes lock onto hers. I fully intend to get my investment back. He continues his tone, leaving no room for doubt. There's no such thing as baseless affection. After all, just breaking even with a cafe is a monumental challenge. Shen Yuen made it clear that all he has to offer is this. Shen Na flinches as his hand brushes against hers, whispering that the waiter is watching them. But Shen Yuen just smirks, assuring her the service here isn't that fast. A mere 10 minutes later, he's already conquered his game. A waiter then announces that Shen Yuen's order is now being prepared, and his focus instantly shifts. Shen Yuen nudges her to try some sushi, boasting. It's the restaurant's signature dish. Chena's heart flutters. He really is handsome and cool, but his one fatal flaw remains. He's a known scoundrel who shamelessly cheats on his girlfriend. Still, there was no use dwelling on it now. Chenna had already crossed the line. There was no turning back. 40 minutes later, their dinner concluded and the bill topped 2,000 yen. The system chimed in triple reimbursement. Shen ended up profiting 5,300 yen. Easy money. This one meal was worth more than the commission from selling an entire car. To him, spending 2,000 yen felt like spending a mere 20. Chenna wanted to head back to the cafe to speak with the waitress and really get to know the environment, but Shen Yuen figured that would only bother Chow. After all, the cafe closes at 9 o'clock, and it was already 8:30. Hesitantly, Chenna asks Shen to take her home. She promises to deliver the report to him the very next day after work. At her door, Shen asks if he can come up for a glass of water, but she immediately declares it's not appropriate. After all what happened back at the restaurant was already pushing Chenna's boundaries. It was far too soon to let her guard down completely. Shen presses, "Is there another man at your place?" She scoffs, replying that it's impossible. She just broke up with her ex-boyfriend today. He smiles. "I'll only come up for water, unless you want me to stay." But Chenna's expression made it clear that's the last thing she wanted, hoping he would leave right after. But the moment Shen Yuen stepped into her apartment, his true roguish nature took over. Business. A smirk played on Shen's lips. The water he was going to get was nothing Chen Na could have ever imagined. Meanwhile, downstairs, a desperate man arrived, hoping to win back Chen Na's affection, even just to remain friends. Z assumed Chen Na wasn't home, deciding to leave a bouquet at her door as proof of his visit. Suddenly, strange sounds echoed from within the apartment, and his mind leaped to one person, Zeng, her boss. A jealous rage exploded within him. He began pounding on the door, furiously screaming for Zeng to get out of her place. Chen Na instantly recognized that foolish voice and scoffed. Why was Z even here? She was the one who broke things off with him. Turning to Shen, she said she heard something hitting the door, but Shen, cool as ever, simply brushed it off as the neighbors. He swiftly guided Chen Na into the bedroom, pulling her away from the commotion at the door. Her heart fluttered as she whispered that she wasn't ready, asking Shen to take things slower. Outside, the silence was his final answer. Chen Na's ex realized his chances were gone forever. Defeated, he let the flowers fall from his hand, scattering across the cold floor. An hour later, they were finished, and Chen Na admitted she was completely exhausted. To solve this, Shen gently laid her down upon the bed, ensuring she wouldn't tire out so quickly. Thanks to his system, Shen's energy was practically limitless. A power that surged with no end in sight. It wasn't just that Chen Na was an introvert, she possessed a deep, reserved grace, and this rare quality only made Shen desire her more. The next day, the comforting aroma of toast and fried eggs drifted in from the kitchen. There was Chen Na preparing their breakfast. Her quiet thoughtfulness struck him deeply, a universe away from the selfish Manhwa. Just then, a mission flashed into existence, quest by a property for Chen Na. The time limit. A mere 24 hours, the system's first reward was a massive double cashback bonus on the property's entire value. And on top of that, a mysterious property would be granted after the purchase was complete. This meant the incredible mission reward would stack with his usual cashback bonuses. The system was too generous. Shen's vision of turning this place into a true home for them both finally took shape. This mysterious property had the potential to be a grand mansion, and Shen knew the shock. Value would explode right alongside his growing fortune. With coffee ready in 2 minutes, Shen was ready to claim his prize if Chen Na's affection score surpassed the 90-point mark. "The morning's still young," Shen declared, a playful glint in his eye. "We can still do everything we did last night." He hinted that soon they'd be brewing their own coffee and having even more private fun. But then Shen dropped a bombshell on Chenna. "I'm heading out," he announced, "to buy you a house as a gift." Chenna's world tilted. It was utterly mind-boggling. First, he'd given her 300,000 for her cafe, and now he wanted to gift her an entire house. At this point, Chenna felt like she had absolutely nothing more she could possibly give him. Seeing her stunned into silence, Shen prompted her. "This is all so sudden," she finally stammered. When Chen Na argued that it was an insane amount of money, that it doesn't just grow on trees, for Shen, it practically did. He was sitting on 3.12 million, and thanks to his system, he'd be reimbursed 5 times over for the purchase. With a 17 million capital gain on the line, Shen was determined to give Chen Na a palace. Besides, Shen smirked, we were pretty loud last night. We need a house with some serious soundproofing. For the neighbor's sake. Blushing, she insisted it wasn't her fault, and Shen Yuen slyly admitted that he was the noisy one. Snapping back to reality, Chen Na revealed that 2 of her friends planned to visit the cafe that very morning. Shen Yuen realized that securing the perfect house would take time. A single afternoon simply wouldn't be enough. So Chen Na quickly messaged her friends saying something urgent had come up and suggested they meet up at night instead. Chen then texted Monglu explaining that a sudden emergency had forced her to cancel. Monglu, an incredibly in-demand personal trainer, was also one of Chenna's closest friends. Chen knew the cafe story sounded way too over the top. After all, what man just casually hands over $300,000? But Monglu trusted her friend, insisting she find out the whole story. Monglu was dying to meet this rich, young, and handsome catch, since she'd never snagged one for herself. Chen was floored by the real reason. Chen Na couldn't make it. Her new boyfriend was buying her a house. A house is a massive commitment, and Shen Yuen was dropping almost $1 million on Chen Na, even though he barely knew her. Monglu just had to meet this Shen Yuen, because men this generous rarely have just one woman. She schemed to crash their house hunting trip, pretending to help them choose a place, while really planning to flirt with Shen Yuen. But Chen quickly decided this golden opportunity was too good for just one of them to monopolize. So Chen got the address, and 40 minutes later, they pulled up to the Songhu real estate agency. At this place, even the smallest apartment cost over $1 million, and Shen Yuen was spending that on a side piece. The moment Chen Na arrived, she was thrilled to see her good friend Monglu after so long. After their warm reunion, Monglu wasted no time, asking to be introduced to the handsome boyfriend. Chen Na introduced Shen Yuen to Monglu, the personal trainer, and to Chen, the luxury Ferrari salesperson. Monglu sized him up, commenting that while he was thin, joining her gym could give him an absolutely incredible physique. Chen seethed with jealousy. Shen Yuen was young, handsome, and bankrolling Chenna. Then Shen Yuen smoothly flirted back, claiming he couldn't possibly train at Monglu's gym because he'd never be able to focus. Seeing him flirt so openly in front of Chen Na, Monglu wondered if they were a real couple at all. That's when she noticed Chen Na's knees. They were swollen and bruised. Pleased with her performance, Shen Yuen decided on a grand gesture. He was buying a luxurious house just for her. In return, Chen Na tells him to check out the dealership. She says he can have any Ferrari he wants when it's time for a new car. But the real surprise in the chaos, Monglu and Chen Na's affection levels have already soared, past 60 in less than 5 minutes. And for Shen Yuen, this is a massive win. The more women who pass that 60-point threshold, the more his own power and wealth grow exponentially. The real estate agent sizes him up, seeing a man ready to drop millions, casually flanked by 3 breathtaking women. The agent begins her pitch, mentioning she only has premium listings available, costing $15,000 per square meter. Shen Yuen calmly reveals his budget is $3 million, and he expects to see what that kind of money can buy. They are immediately escorted to a private negotiation room for a truly professional VIP consultation. Monglu is absolutely stunned by the sheer scale of his power. Shen Yuen was a true magnate, spending $3 million without even a flicker of hesitation. To her, a sponsor of this caliber was a golden opportunity she could not let escape. The agent recommends a stunning apartment, perfectly tailored to Shen Yuen's desires. His supposed girlfriend Chen Na plays her part beautifully. She claims it's too much money that she feels undeserving. However, Shen Yuen simply smiles, saying he'll never skimp on a grand home where they can live in comfort. The friends instantly realize Shen Yuen is the perfect patron, a loyal backer who never holds back and only wants to provide the absolute best. But Shen Yuen is no one's fool. He pressures the agent, making it clear that he expects a significant discount for his patronage. The agent promises that if he seals the deal today, she can guarantee incredible benefits on the spot. But Shen Yuen scoffs at a mere discount. He demands more. 2 additional VIP parking spaces. This power play is all Monglu needs to see. She goes on the offensive, flirting openly. Shen Yuen finally notices her advances in looking. He truly appreciates her impressive and alluring charm. A tempting thought crosses his mind. If something were to happen between them, the sheer ecstasy of the moment. It was beyond words. However, Shen Yuen couldn't get lost in the feeling. It was time to seal the deal on the house halves. An hour later, with all discounts applied, the final price was a stunning 2.98 million yuan. The friends stared, completely speechless. Shen Yuen had just bought a house for Chen Na, so casually, and put it directly in her name. A moment later, the deposit landed in Shen Yuen's bank account, bringing his total to a staggering 15 million yuan. Not even during his father's golden days did his family command this much wealth. This was the incredible power of the system. And it was all thanks to Chen Na, who turned him into a multi-millionaire overnight just by completing her mission. The system alert flashed again. As a reward, Shen Yuen was now the owner of a mansion on Qingshui Lake. This was one of the 10 legendary super mansions in all of Star City. The real estate agent quickly realized Shen Yuen wasn't actually dating Nana. A secret wish blossomed in her heart. To find a man just like him, someone who could buy a house in full just like that. She smoothly suggested they exchange contact info to finalize the contract details. Shen Yuen added, her, but Menglu's eyes blazed with fury, thinking this vixen was trying to snatch away what belonged to her. Menglu quickly reminded Shen Yuen that she'd need his expert guidance to buy her own apartment very soon. She added with a smirk that one day she could pop in to train with Nana whenever she pleased. Shen Yuen told Nana he had some business to attend to and didn't want to be a third wheel, suggesting the three of them should grab lunch. Menglu pouted, thinking it was a huge waste for him to leave, instead of staying to enjoy the scenery. Nana called them over for lunch, and after heading to a cafe, her friends insisted that she should be the one to pay. Half-hour passed, and Shen Yuen found himself back at the college cafeteria. That's when he spotted his teacher, Liao, eating alone late at night. Ms. Liao was on a call discussing university business and explaining she wouldn't have any free time the next day. That evening, she coolly informs her secretary that another meeting simply isn't possible. Lai Xiao turns to Shen Yuen, her expression serious. The university dreams of launching a startup, incubator a forge for its brightest students. She explains how the project would grant vital funds, nurturing their ideas from the ground up, and empowering them to become the next generation of entrepreneurs. Shen Yuen cuts to the chase. What's the college's edge? Lai Xiao admits the school has connections, securing contracts and placing top graduates in good companies each year. But there was a harsh reality. These companies saw no real benefit refusing to invest when more prestigious universities beckoned. Lai Xiao was just a teacher, and her secretary sighed, wishing she'd just play the game and charm the powerful company directors. Shen Yuen considered dropping 10 million to help her, but his mind was already calculating the odds. Would this investment truly yield a profit? The success rate of these startups had to be solid for him to back this project and save teacher Lai Xiao from her struggle. Shen Yuen finally spoke. I might have some interest in backing this venture of yours. Lai Xiao's eyes lit up, but she remained grounded. That's a visionary outlook, she admitted, but the project is still just a concept. Just then, a familiar blue window flashed in his vision. A new system mission had just been triggered. His next objective, expand his influence into society's core, starting with the university. He could earn prestige points by funding the college's most promising projects. The reward, a high-tier lottery draw for every 500 prestige points he gathered. These points were the measure of his reputation, the very respect he commanded from the world. The startup incubator, it was the perfect play. He could support teacher Li Xiao and simultaneously farm a massive amount of prestige points. Shen Yuen saw it all laid out before him, a golden opportunity. He would invest, but on his own terms. After all, his younger and older female classmates had businesses that needed a little push here at the university. This will boost his reputation and connections, not to mention bring in a massive profit. Shen Yuen asks Li Xiao a critical question. If a company invests, do the professors or the students have the final say? Li Xiao clarifies. The university itself evaluates the students, but there's one huge problem. They haven't found a single investor. That's when Shen Yuen makes his move, offering to invest, as long as he chooses the students who get the funding. He unveils his bank account to a skeptical Li Xiao who still sees him as the boy whose family went bankrupt. Li Xiao is floored by the 15 million balance. How does he have so much money? Shen Yuen explains that before his family's downfall, he secretly invested in cryptocurrencies and built a fortune, all on his own. Teacher Li Xiao reels from the shock. Her student is a multimillionaire in disguise. Shen Yuen's voice cuts in, telling her to come with him. He guarantees her a future where they can live a life of pure luxury and travel. Li Xiao warns him to be careful. This isn't a simple venture in university. Incubators rarely ever turn a profit. Shen Yuen is fully aware, but he wants to give back to the institution that meant so much to his own growth. Teacher Li Xiao sees his resolve, and her mind flashes back, wondering if his other offer for her to join him was just as sincere. But then a wave of shame hits her. He's her student. How could she even consider such a thing? Shen Yuen just tells Li Xiao to think very carefully about the dazzling future they could have. Later that afternoon, Nana sends him a message along with a photo from the coffee shop she's at. She proudly asks Shen Yuen to try the coffee she brewed. But Shen Yuen's reply is swift. He can tell it's awful just from the picture, and declares he'll have to teach her himself. Gossiped that Shen Yuen's family had gone completely bankrupt. He was a fallen noble now, so she shouldn't even waste her time thinking about him. She was one of Shen's classmates in international trade. The girls all snickered at Shen Yuen's expense, convinced he was working a dead-end job just to get through college. One of them even boasted smugly, I have a rich man paying for all my dinners. She sneered, dating a guy like Shen is just a total loss. Their mocking whispers immediately died down the moment Shen himself approached them. Look at the time, they thought. He must be off to his pathetic part-time job. A wicked idea sparked in their minds. They decided to follow him just to see what kind of place he worked at. One of them asked with fake concern, "Did you finally get a formal job, Shen?" Then they suggested going to support him at his new workplace. Shen saw right through their act and decided to play a little game. "I work at a coffee shop," he said with a mysterious grin, inviting them to come and see for themselves. The moment they entered, the three girls were left utterly speechless. Munglu and Chen Na's beauty was simply on another level. But as soon as he arrived, Munglu and Chen Na cornered Shen. They questioned his commitment, and their sharp eyes landed on the three stunned classmates he had brought along. Shen calmly explained, "These girls just got off work. They're just here for some coffee." He then called out asking Xiao to serve them, and to put the entire order on his personal tab. The waitress greeted the girls warmly, telling them to have a seat and take a look at the menu. But that's when they heard it. Xiao called him boss. The truth crashed down on them. This was his shop. Suddenly, the three girls abandoned their seats and fled. They felt completely played by Shen Yuen. He wasn't poor at all. He owned the cafe and was surrounded by these stunning women. Munglu watched them run off. "Why did they leave?" Shen smirked. "They were simply intimidated by my sheer beauty." "Oh, get serious," Munglu shot back. "Can you stop being so shameless for 1 second? Shen just flirted with the waitress who brought him a sweet coffee. Munglu found his pickup lines incredibly cheesy and hopelessly old-fashioned, but somehow they sounded good. Coming from a man that rich and handsome. Instantly, Manglu's professional instincts kick in her mind, calculating his body mass. 180 meters tall and 72 kilos. Shen just smirks, claiming he lost weight. From his recent and rather vigorous physical activities, the hidden meaning in his words clicks instantly. Manglu is stunned, wondering how he could say something so suggestive. Right here in front of everyone. Still, she pushes on with her sales pitch. "You could use a few more kilos of muscle mass." She was desperately trying to lure him into her gym, just to meet her monthly sales target. Glancing at the clock, Manglu announces her departure. "It's already past 4 in the afternoon, and I have a class to teach." But Shen's interest was officially piqued. That fiery personal trainer? He decides then and there she will be his. With one conquest in mind, he turns to another. "Nana, let's head upstairs. We have some special training to do." He leans in his voice a low whisper. "You'll see when we get there. These are skills that require extra practice." Nana hesitates, her cheeks flushing red. "Not here," she protests weakly. "Not at this moment." There are people all around, but her resistance only ignites his desire even further. He pulls her close, giving in to the moment. As their lips meet, the young waitress Xiao watches on, her face burning with secondhand embarrassment. At that exact moment, Xiao Yu locks the establishment's front door. That's when she hears its strange sounds drifting down from the second floor. But before she can investigate, Manglu reappears, knocking frantically on the glass door. "Let me in. I think I forgot my bag inside." Seeing Xiao Yu hesitate, Manglu's patience wears thin. "What are you waiting for? Open the door." The second it's unlocked, Manglu bursts in and is met with shameless moans and sounds that left nothing to the imagination. 10 minutes pass. Manglu stands there utterly shocked. Who does this sort of thing? In broad daylight, it was truly baffling. Shen Yuen looked so lean and slender, yet he possessed such overwhelming strength and vigor. A strange thought sparked within Manglu. She found him interesting. On purpose, she shouts loudly to Xiao, "Hey, I'm leaving now." Upstairs, Nana freezes. She recognized that voice anywhere. Her friend Manglu had just walked in on their passionate scene, but Shenhe just smirks. After all, a performance like this deserves an audience. From downstairs, he heard every single word. Teacher Lee's secretary Lu scoffs at the very idea. A mere student like Shen Yuen wants to invest in their incubator project. He questions if Shen even has the capital, demanding to know if she verified his assets. Teacher Lee admitted her own initial doubt, but the truth was undeniable. Shen had 10 million in liquid assets. His jaw practically hit the floor. Secretary Lu demanded to know if this was family money, but Teacher Lee confirmed it. The funds were entirely under Shen's command to use freely. Still dripping with arrogance, Secretary Lu summons him. He demands Shen Yuen present himself in his office to personally pitch his own proposal. Teacher Lee warns him to show a little respect. Student or not, he was about to become an investor. But the secretary was determined to assert his dominance. He wanted to put the student firmly in his place. He insisted they get Shen on the phone right now. Meanwhile, in the middle of a performance with Nana, Shen casually answers Teacher Lee's call. He listens instantly, grasping the entire situation. Shen saw right through their little power play. The school wanted to corner him to control him, hoping he would bend to their will. Over the phone, Shen's tone is cool and dismissive. He's busy at the moment, and will schedule a meeting some other time. Before the secretary could even erupt in fury, Shen Yuen simply hangs up. The sheer audacity, the secretary seethed, utterly disrespected by a mere student. But he was cornered. The project was critically urgent, and had been stalled for far too long with all the pressure on him. Swallowing his pride, the secretary changes his tune. He tells Teacher Lee to invite Shen Yuen to dinner, since he's the one with the money. Thinking it a wise move, Teacher Lee sends the message. The moment Shen Yuen sees the invitation, a smirk plays on his lips. The tables had turned. He knew the leverage was now entirely his, and he planned to seize absolute control. Just then, Nana casually mentions that if he's busy, the dinner can always wait. Time To Shen Yuen, Nana was nothing short of an incredible woman pampering him with a level of care that was simply extraordinary. Just then, his phone buzzed. It was Min asking if he wanted to go for a walk. Shen Yuen's mind immediately jumped to conclusions, sensing an invitation for something far more intimate. However, the truth was simpler. Min was on her period, and Shen Yuen finally understood her recent absence. But, she added slyly, if you really want to, it's not entirely impossible. Hearing this, Shen Yuen's priorities shifted in an instant. He shot to his feet, his voice firm. Your health comes first. I'll come get you. From your dorm right now. He softened his tone, telling her to take it easy. There's no rush. The most important thing is that you're okay. Overwhelmed, Min threw her arms around him, kissing him and calling him the sweetest, most caring man. In that very moment, a notification appeared. Min's affinity had skyrocketed to 91. She looked at him, her eyes searching. What are we, she whispered. Are we going to have an official title? After all, she reasoned they already did everything a real couple does. Shen Yuen's internal alarms went off. This was a dangerous question. He could see it clear as day in her gaze. She was completely in love. With a confident smile, Shen Yuen declared, of course, we're boyfriend and girlfriend. At his words, Min's face lit up with pure, unadulterated joy, but then she pressed him. Am I your only girlfriend? Obviously, Shen Yuen replied smoothly. With a charming grin, he added, the others aren't girlfriends. They're just my cute little lovers. Satisfied, Min decided to reward him with a gift for being so good to her. But Shen Yuen flipped the script. No, I'll get you a gift. What do you want, a house? A car? Min waved it off, saying that was far too much, and that a nice bag or some perfume would be more than enough. But Shen Yuen wouldn't hear of it. You don't need to worry about saving my money. You're still in college. A house would be much more practical. Utterly charmed, Min simply said she would follow his lead whatever he decided. With that settled, Shen Yuen gently escorted her back to the dorm. With the night growing late, he called it a day. The next morning, Shen Yuen headed for Qingshu Lake. He was there to claim the keys to the villa he'd won, a gift intended for Min. Meanwhile, Monglu called Shen Yuen, suggesting a joint workout. He found the idea of a video call a little too forward. Monglu scoffed, claiming men always jumped to the wrong conclusions, insisting she had no ulterior motives. In truth, she wanted to test his limits. She wanted to see just how much Shen Yuen could handle. She could already tell from his voice. He didn't treat her like just anyone. At that exact moment, her student Zhou arrived for her session, with personal trainer Liu Manglu. Zhou wondered what had put her trainer in such a glowing mood this morning, and Monglu simply said she was catching up with a friend. But Zhou pressed for more, knowing they had plenty of time before the class started. So Monglu spilled the tea. A sugar daddy just bought a $3 million house for her friend. Zhou was floored. He must be an absolute millionaire. A wave of intense jealousy washed over them both. Zhou immediately imagined he had to be some ugly old man. But for that kind of money, it would be worth it, especially since her own boyfriend was so cheap. But Liu Minglu shot that idea down. Shen Yuen is in his 20s, she said. He's even younger than my friend. And contrary to Zhou's bitter assumption, Shen Yuen was incredibly handsome and tall. Zhou couldn't believe it. Her friend must be a goddess. To land a man like that, however, Liu Monglu added that she and her friend had similar figures, just with different strengths. Just then, Shen Yuen and Liu Monglu's call turned to his trip to the lake to collect the mansion keys, and Monglu saw her chance. She immediately offered to tag along. You can just pick me up at the gym, she said, and we'll head to the lake together. Zhou saw the look in her eye. Liu Monglu was suddenly buzzing with even more excitement. Class is canceled, Monglu declared, promising to refund Zhou double the fee. She explained that the mysterious Shen Yuen was going to pick up the keys to his new mansion, and he'd just invited her to come with him. To her, Qingshu Lake was a name whispered in awe. It was one of the 10 most exclusive, ultra-luxury neighborhoods in the city. A cold thought struck her. Why was Liu Menglu going to pick up a house key with Shen Yuen, her best friend's supposed boyfriend? A smirk touched her lips. She knew exactly what kind of person Liu Menglu was, the type to steal her best friend's man. After all, it takes one to know one. Just then, the gym instructor Han Lihi called out, leaving so soon, class is about to start. But Zhou Wanting didn't even spare him a glance, despite his chiseled physique. Not 10 minutes later, a sleek M9 pulled up its engine, purring with power. Han Leahy gasped. He actually bought a $3 million house for his girlfriend. Just like that. The instructor's mind reeled, calculating the endless years of work it would take him to earn that much. But as Zhou Wanting squinted at the driver, a chilling sense of familiarity washed over her. Her heart stopped. It was him, Shen Yuen, her pathetic broke ex-boyfriend. How could it be the rich, handsome heir that Liu Menglu had been bragging about was her ex? She couldn't process it. How did Shen Yuen become a multimillionaire out of thin air, just 2 weeks after she dumped him? In that moment, a devastating realization hit her. She had thrown away a hidden dragon for a worthless worm like Baojun. Speak of the devil, a message from Baojun popped up, crude and to the point. Annoyance flared within her. He was so direct, acting as if she were some cheap plaything. He told her to come over tonight. Without a second thought, she typed back 2 simple words: screw off. Baojun, utterly confused, wondered why her attitude had shifted so drastically. Then out of nowhere, she blocked his number, leaving him completely baffled and in the dark. A new greedy thought began to form in her mind. Is it too late to get Shen Yuen back, after all? She made him who he is. She'd poured her heart out for him, spending countless sleepless nights by his side. A dangerous question lingered in her mind. Was it too reckless to even think about getting back together with Shen Yuen? Her thoughts spiraled, picturing the fallout. Coach Lu, the university girls, even her own best friend would be caught in the chaos. Snapping back to reality, Liu Minglu gasped. This car is massive. We could practically go camping in the middle of nowhere with this beast. The thought of an off-road trip with a woman like her, it was a fantasy that would ignite any man's soul. Shen Yuen smirked. Camping, you say? That does sound interesting. We'll have to do that next time. But Liu Minglu just chuckled, observing how Shen Yuen never played by anyone's rules. Then, as if a switch flipped, he declared, forget next time. Let's do it right now. Shen Yuen leaned in, dropping a cheesy line with a playful grin. So, think I can join your basketball game? Liu Minglu giggles, remarking that Shen Yuen really enjoys teasing her. For 30 minutes, later they pulled up to the location. To put the final ink on the house contract, the real estate agent Guan Shuang greeted them professionally, asking Shen Yuen, would you like to tour the house first, or shall we jump straight to the contract? But Shen Yuen was all business. We're just here to finalize the paperwork, he stated coolly. I can see the house some other time. After the last signature was penned, Agent Guan Shuang slid into the car, her eyes immediately noticing the strange distance between Shen Yuen and Liu Minglu. They weren't a couple. And yet, Liu Minglu possessed a figure that could make any woman burn with envy. A bitter thought crossed Guan Shuang's mind. How utterly unfair. For women like Liu Minglu, talent was unnecessary. Their beauty alone was enough to drive men to madness. A wave of sadness washed over Guan Shuang. She knew an ordinary girl like her could never capture the attention of a godlike man such as him upon arriving at the grand estate. Liu Minglu's jaw dropped. The place was absolutely breathtaking. This, she realized, was the dream life of the elite. She vowed to live here, whatever it took, and that meant keeping Shen Yuen wrapped around her finger. The mansion was a colossal 2,000 square meters of empty space, a blank canvas, waiting to be filled and designed to his exact desires. Just then, a familiar voice echoed in his mind. System congratulates host upon securing his very first house. Suddenly, the system chimed in. It declared that this new property was in dire need of decoration. For this mission, Shen Yuen would be granted 20 million in exclusive funds for the renovation. Shen Yuen's mind reeled at the sheer absurdity. The system was giving him 20 million to fix up a house that was barely worth over 10 million. Still, a system directive was absolute. With a sigh, Shen Yuen had no choice but to accept the insane order. He turned to Guan Shuang. Do you know any top-tier renovation companies? He asked. Guan Shuang nodded. Star City has several high-end firms, she replied. I'll send you their contact information right away. The house was just an empty shell for now. There wasn't much else to see, so this was a good place to stop. Liu Minglu, however, wanted to capture the moment. I'm posting this, she announced, but Shen Yuen quickly stopped her. Just don't show my face, okay? Liu Minglu pouted. I bet other influencers will just Photoshop their own pictures onto this place pretending it's theirs. She then proudly added, I have over 50,000 followers on QuickSound, you know. Shen Yuen raised an eyebrow. Are many of them local fans? Most of them are from around this region, she confirmed with a confident smile. Look, 50,000 people have already seen my videos, she reasoned. It won't hurt if you take a look as well. But then she winked mischievously. They only saw the regular version, though. You get to see the exclusive director's cut. An idea sparked in Shen Yuen's mind. Send me your QuickSound profile, he said with a serious tone. I'll give it a professional review. Liu Minglu's eyes widened in surprise. You have a review channel? She asked, her voice filled with excitement. Of course I'll send you my profile this instant. Shen Yuen then shifted gears. All right, are we heading back to the gym now? Liu Minglu looked disappointed. Is there somewhere else we could go? Shen Yuen smirked slightly. I was thinking we could play some basketball. Liu Minglu's expression soured instantly. You men are all exactly the same, she muttered under her breath. She thought he'd spent the night with her friend, and now he wanted to act all high and mighty. Just then Shen Yuen slammed on the brakes, jolting her from her resentful thoughts. Shen Yuen declared that nothing had happened between him and Liu, so she had no right to interrogate him about his actions yesterday. With a smirk, Shen Yuen suggested that since Liu was so invested, maybe she should take her friend's place. Liu shot back, telling him to keep dreaming. It was all part of Liu's game, playing hard to get. Shen Yuen would have to fight for her, truly invest his efforts. She would keep him at a distance, driving him mad with desire, convinced that after a long pursuit, the prize he finally won would be treasured that much more. With that, Shen Yuen dropped Liu off at the gym and she casually invited him to train together sometime. Shen Yuen bid farewell to Liu, the coach returning the favor with an invitation to play basketball. Just then, Huang, the gym manager, appeared, his expression grim. He accused Liu of violating her contract by canceling a morning class. Huang argued that he had warned Zhou and would pay Liu double for the private lesson. But Huang revealed that Zhou had filed a formal complaint and he'd already smoothed things over for Liu. Liu was baffled. Why would Zhou try to sabotage her? For no reason at all, Liu saw right through Huang's tactic, scolding her harshly one moment and acting gentle the next wouldn't win her over. As if on cue, Huang invited Liu to lunch, noting that neither of them had classes. But Liu immediately shut him down, saying she had brought her own food and didn't want anything. That would put her in the spotlight. As a coach, both in and out of the gym, Liu wasn't fazed by men like Huang, even if he was her boss. Besides, Liu knew she was a woman destined for a life of luxury, and Huang was just a stepping stone, not an obstacle. Elsewhere, the advisor wondered why Shen Yuen had gone directly to the entrepreneurship base. Kong pressed, asking if the advisor had spoken to the professor. The advisor confirmed he'd been asked to send over the documents. Kong was determined to uncover who Shen Yuen truly was, and the advisor offered to speak with him directly to avoid any problems. Secretary Kong needed to move with caution. Any sudden move might tip off Shen Yuen, so Kong decided on a different approach. He'd hold a preliminary meeting with Shen Yuen and the professor that very afternoon. The gravity of the situation was undeniable. Secretary Kong himself would oversee this critical meeting. Back in the dorm, Shen Yuen's friend was lost in a different kind of battle. How to win a girl's heart. Shen Yuen couldn't help but notice his friend's hopeless stubbornness. The girl had already rejected him 3 times, but his friend saw this as a victory. "It's progress," he declared, before she completely ignored him. But now she was actually replying to his messages. Seeing his friend so happy, Shen Yuen smiled. He suggested his friend ask for some expert help, but his friend just scoffed, calling Lao Wao a clueless virgin. He claimed Shen Yuen was the true love guru among them, the only one who could guide him to victory. Shen Yuen played along, assuring him, "Of course she likes you," she replies, "doesn't she? She even agreed to go out with you eventually." Hearing this, his friend's spirits soared, beaming with this newfound confidence. But suddenly, Secretary Liu, and the counselor appeared at their dorm room door like grim reapers. After they announced they were here for him, Shen Yuen calmly let them in. His roommates knew instantly. Shen Yuen was in some deep, serious trouble. They were here to investigate. Rumors of his family's bankruptcy had spread, yet he was spending money like a king on a mountain of new things. To the visitors, the conclusion was obvious. Shen Yuen's money was dirty. How else could he get such an insane amount of cash? The roommates weren't even surprised to see such big shots. At the university, they were certain the police would be the next to arrive. They were sure John Pang had been spreading malicious lies about him. The teacher tried to de-escalate. "These are just the student committee secretaries. They only wish to speak with Shen Yuen." Shen Yuen faced the committee member and greeted him. Kong met his gaze and asked with a thin smile, "Care to join us for dinner?" Kong steps in, proposing dinner for tonight. A neutral ground for them to talk. A calm discussion about business, he claims. With that, Kong and his entourage escort Shen Yuen to the restaurant. The watching students are completely baffled. They didn't come to investigate Shen Yuen. They came to appease him. The students can only speculate wildly. Is he some kind of undercover agent? An invitation to dine with the top brass was completely unheard of. Everyone is reeling from the shock. To see the school directors treat him with such reverence? He's clearly a person of immense power. Lai Jianping realizes Shen Yuen must have made a monumental move. For the school's highest authorities to practically bow before him, the undeniable truth is that Shen Yuen now wields incredible influence, stealing all the glory. A fact that gnaws at Li Jianping's pride. At the restaurant, the directors get straight to the point. They demand to know Shen Yuen's master plan. He answers, his voice radiating confidence. To secure his investment, his conditions are non-negotiable. This, he explains, is to prevent any losses. On their end, Shen Yuen's first demand is absolute. Total autonomy to decide who receives funding, with zero interference from the school. The directors immediately protest. That's not how things are done, not with the Ministry of Education involved. The school's reputation depends on student success. But without capital, that's just a theory. However, if students start generating real profit, everything changes. And since Shen is the one investing, he fully expects to see a return. Our main character is being so direct for a reason. The system itself is compelling him to create new ventures and forge a name that echoes with power. To succeed in the future, Shen Yuen knows he'll need an elite team. A team he intends to build and train himself. But one of the most vital parts of his future missions is that they will require numerous women. And recruiting high-class talent is notoriously difficult. Fortunately for him, the women attending his school are considered the very best in all of Star City. And Shen wants to begin gathering them. Immediately, the secretary promises a response after a quick meeting with the Ministry of Education. After countless toasts and fine wine, the dinner finally concludes. Since Shen had been drinking, the others depart, leaving the teacher to drive him home. She comments that her own car feels too spacious and decides to get behind the wheel of the M9. Shen smoothly replies he's grown tired of sedans, wanting to experience an SUV this time. But just then, her phone rings. It's Li Meng, explaining she can't switch shifts after all, because she's caught up helping someone move. It seems Lai hired movers, so things will eventually get sorted out. The teacher reveals she's also moving soon. Her apartment lease is up, so she's moving in with her sister. Without a second thought, Shen offers his help. But she waves it off, saying she just bought a new car and couldn't possibly ask him to haul boxes. Shen just smiles. A car is meant for carrying things. Plus, he adds with a glint in his eye, think of how impressed the other students will be. She insists she has too much to buy and doesn't want to be a bother. But after his charming persistence, she finally agrees. In the soft light of the car, she notices Shen's striking features. He wasn't just her student. He was an incredibly handsome young man. And considering everything that had happened, it was obvious he had feelings for her. That bag, the one Shen claimed was a high-end replica, with his kind of money, it had to be the real deal. Her mind races back, picking up the bag he'd brushed off as a fake. She now realizes with a jolt, it's authentic. A wealthy student giving such a lavish gift to a teacher he fancies. But Shen cuts through her thoughts. Is it really such a big deal? He says softly. For a student to gift a bag to a teacher he respects. Her mind screams what she already knew. This isn't right, she's older, she's his teacher. But before she can voice her protests, Shen simply asks her to drive, pushing them forward. Shen wouldn't take no for an answer. Even as the easy teacher insisted she couldn't accept his gift, Shen finally relents, saying he'll head back to the dorm, since there's no room at her place anyway. As the teacher parks the car, she makes a suggestion. She'll leave the car here for the night, and in the morning, Shen can come by to pick up the key. Then, in a moment of sheer audacity, Shen gives his teacher a soft, lingering thank you kiss on the cheek. The teacher's heart flutters. Shen was getting bolder with each passing day. First came the dinner, then his forwardness in the office. This simple kiss makes her cheeks burn, and she shyly calls Shen a terrible student. Just then, Nana asks Shen to unlock the cafe door for Lin Yu, Chang, who found herself stuck outside. Since the waitresses were busy, Shen handles it. He opens the door as Lin thanks him, explaining that one of her children had forgotten a toy inside the empty cafe. Shen kindly lets the woman enter so she can retrieve it. Lin Yu Chang immediately starts her search for the scattered toys, bending over in a way that instantly captures Shen's unwavering attention. Take your time, he says, then asks how old her son is. The woman replies that he's 3, and a complete bundle of energy. Shen then notices a bottle of wine nearby, guessing Yu Chang had been drinking here all by herself when Lin Yu Chang finishes gathering everything. Shen asks if she felt bad about leaving the wine. A nostalgic look crosses her face. She confesses that very bottle had kept her company through countless lonely nights. Shen immediately knew all this lingering sadness and these memories were because of Zong. Shen tells her that whenever she wants to return to look around, she is more than welcome. But Lin Yu Chang vows that she never intends to set foot in this cafe, ever again. Hearing the finality in her voice, Shen offers the heartbroken woman a drink. Lin Yu Chang asks if that would be weird, but to Shen, there's nothing wrong with it at all. He begins pouring wine into. With a glance at her glass, Shen Yuan's observation cut deep. He saw the sorrow she tried to hide and asked if her family was the cause. Matter. Shen reveals he's familiar with her husband, Zong, and had a feeling this was about him. He'd heard unsettling stories about Zong's from Chen Na, the woman who left the dealership just to get away from him. Lin Yu Chang voices her suspicion, wondering if Nana and her husband had an affair. Shen Yuen quickly corrects her, explaining that Zong relentlessly harassed Nana until she couldn't take it anymore. Hearing the truth, Yu Chang sighs, realizing Nana made the right choice to escape Zong's torment. Then Lin Yu Chang reveals her own burden. She's seriously considering divorce. It's not just the cheating, but the way Zong threatens his own employees that breaks her heart. They've been married for 5 years, and she never dreamed it would end like this. But she's terrified of making the wrong choice, especially for her son, and the deep scars a broken home might leave on him. Shen Yuen offers some gentle advice, suggesting that a clean break now is far better than raising a child in such a poisoned environment. Yu Chang looks at Shen Yuen, truly seeing him. He's kind, so mature, and he has a certain charm her husband completely lacks. Looks might not be the most important thing, but Yu Chang admits she can't deny her preference for a handsome man. She sincerely thanks Shen Yuen for his counsel. As the two of them stand to leave the cafe, the wine having been finished, fate takes a sudden turn. Lin Yu Chang trips, falling directly into Shen Yuen's arms. Be careful, he says, his voice steady. Yu Chang apologizes, her words catching as their eyes lock in the sudden closeness. Shen Yuen notices a sweet scent wafting from her, wondering why on earth she would be apologizing. And then, in an instant, everything changes. Yu Chang leans in, planting a soft kiss on Shen Yuen's cheek. A jolt of electricity shoots through him. In that moment, Shen Yuen feels the kiss wasn't nearly enough, wishing they could have gone so much further. Flushed with embarrassment, Yu Chong pulls away, blaming the alcohol for her boldness. She had always been the perfect, proper wife. This was the first time she'd ever crossed a line, all because of her cowardly husband. Changing the subject, Shen Yuen tells Nana that his dorm is now locked for the night, leaving him with nowhere to go. Nana simply tells him not to just forget the hotel and come over for a cuddle. 20 minutes later, a shadow appears at her door. It's Shen Yuen stumbling in and reeking of alcohol. Nana is left completely speechless. When she demands an explanation, Shen Yuen slurs a classic excuse. It was a grueling meeting with the bosses. Nana tells him to get himself together and hit the shower, while she fixes some tea. However, Shen Yuen has other plans, his voice a low murmur demanding a hug. He wraps his arms around her from the back, not in a sweet embrace, but with a familiar, dangerous glint in his eye. First, it was the "I need water after training" excuse, and now he's playing the innocent. "I just need a hug" card, but Nana has him completely figured out. She knows precisely where these little games of his always end. Feigning hurt, Shen Yuen asks if Nana no longer trusts him. Her response is swift and sharp. Tonight, they will be sleeping under separate blankets. His little act was a total lie, and she knows he wanted far more than just a simple hug. Shen Yuen is stunned. He never expected Nana to draw such a firm line, assuming she had grown accustomed to his usual tricks. Even so, he just smirks. The night is still young. Once in bed, he starts his next move, complaining that he's absolutely freezing. Nana offers to adjust the air conditioning, but Shen Yuen quickly shuts that down, insisting it's not necessary at all. Sharing a single blanket he claims will solve everything. Sliding in behind her and pulling her close, the supposed chill in the air magically vanishes. As the night deepens, the two fall back into their playful teasing rhythm. When morning comes, Shen Yuen wakes to find a note. Nana had left him coffee and even washed his clothes. A wave of realization hits him. He will never find another woman as perfect as her. In that moment, he decides he's going to buy her a car. But just then, his phone buzzes. It's a call from Menglu. Without missing a beat, she calls him scrawny and invites him to her gym for a private training session right now. Shen Yuen pulls the phone away from his face, annoyed. He can't stand how Nana's best friend is always making these bold, flirtatious moves on him, and teases asking if Shen Yuen snatched his phone away, afraid she might just take a bite out of him. A faint smirk appears on Shen Yuen's face, so Menglu wanted to play games this early in the morning. But suddenly his phone buzzes with a call from the counselor. He tells Menglu he can't entertain her right now. Something far more important has come up. And just like that, Shen Yuen ends the call with Menglu. He answers the counselor, coolly asking what she needs. The voice on the other end delivers the good news. The application sailed through approval. Documents are now being sent to the selected entrepreneurs. Shen Yuen then poses a curious question. Will the forms ask for height, weight, and even a personal photo? The counselor is baffled by this strange suggestion. She insists it has nothing to do with entrepreneurship, claiming there's no reason to include such personal details. But Shen Yuen counters with unshakable logic. An entrepreneur's image is paramount. Their very appearance can scream high caliber or failure. The counselor still finds the idea completely illogical, but Shen Yuen's confidence is infectious. She reluctantly agrees, promising to add his requested fields to the forms. Meanwhile, Secretary Liu schedules a crucial meeting for Shen Yuen with the student representatives. From his end, every piece is falling perfectly into place. Just then, another call comes in. A girl's voice says she and her sister are moving the next morning. She nervously asks if Shen Yuen might be free to help. Without a moment's hesitation, he confirms he is. He promises to be at her place bright and early. A short while later, as he leaves after breakfast, his phone rings yet again. It's the persistent Liu Menglu. She reminds him he promised to see her soon, a promise he has yet to honor. Shen Yuen sighs, explaining how busy he is. He has back-to-back meetings with 2 renovation firms to finally begin the Grand Mansion project. Liu Menglu playfully asks if he needs some extra baggage to carry. Does he need a burden to weigh him down? Hearing Liu Menglu call herself a dead weight, Shen Yuen sees absolutely no reason to bring her along. However, she is nothing if not insistent, arguing that she should absolutely accompany him. She clearly possessed a gift for providing comfort, and he knew that bringing a stunning woman like her to a project meeting would certainly make the right kind of waves. With that thought, Shen Yuen went to collect Liu Menglu from the gym, and they set off for the venue. But the moment they arrived, a man dripping with arrogance approached Shen Yuen. Waiting for a lady, he sneered, sizing him up. Shen Yuen simply confirmed. The man then gestured to Shen Yuen's car. It's a nice ride, he admitted, but it'll only impress a normal girl. To catch a goddess, he boasted, you need a beast, like this one. He proudly patted his massive 4x4. A smirk touched Shen Yuen's lips. Ah, I see your point. Just then, as if summoned by his words, a true goddess appeared. Her beauty was so breathtaking, it left the arrogant man speechless. Fan quickly recovered, rushing over to the woman. I've been waiting all day. Let me take you to dinner, he pleaded. He had clearly been anticipating this moment for a long time, but her reply was ice cold. I already have plans with a friend. I sent you a message about it, she added, dismissing him completely. After all, Fan was just a boy playing with his inheritance, spending his parents' money like it was his own. He was nothing like Shen Yuen, who commanded his own vast fortune. Desperate, Fan offered, "I'll pay for everything, just let me join you." He turned to Shen Yuen, expecting him to agree. But Shen Yuen's voice was firm. "Actually, there is a problem." His eyes held a disdainful glint. "I don't dine with people who feel the need to show off in a G-class." The rival's face turned crimson as the goddess walked right past him and gracefully entered Shen Yuen's M9. His mind reeled. How could a woman he failed to impress, even with his prized G-class, choose that man's car? In the car, Liu Monglu finally broke the silence. "That was Fan," she explained. "He's a VIP client at the gym who throws around cash because his family is loaded." She continued, "He's been trying to win me over for ages, but I never gave him the time of day, not even with his $2 million car." Shen Yuen just shrugged. "That has nothing to do with me." His complete indifference left Liu Monglu with a bitter taste. "Why are you so quiet all of a sudden?" she demanded. "There's nothing to say," he replied, his gaze distant. A chill ran down her spine. His apathy was almost frightening. And in that moment, Shen Yuen realized Liu Monglu. She wanted him to feel the pressure to know that she had plenty of other options and a line of guys waiting. Her. With a smirk, Shen Yuen explains he only gets excited when he's on the court about to dominate a game. He tells her if she doesn't join his game, there's simply no thrill. Liu Monglu's cheeks puff out in annoyance. "Are all men such shameless scoundrels?" she asks. "Or is it just you?" Shen Yuen playing innocent, he defends himself, insisting he only invited her for a simple game of basketball. Liu Monglu drops it for now, but her eyes narrow. At the cafeteria, she begins, "You went upstairs with Nana." Her voice drops. "I know exactly what was on your mind." Shen Yuen groans internally. He knew she would never let that go. Time for a new topic. He quickly asks, "So what makes you free enough to accompany me?" Free Liu Monglu scoffs. "I'm hardly free. I had to postpone my private lessons," she declares. "All because of you. To compensate for this great sacrifice, Liu Monglu demands that he treat her to something truly delicious as a penalty for his guilt." The playful smirk returns to his face. "You could always eat me." Liu Monglu's face flushes with fury. She was not amused. Realizing he'd crossed a line, Shen Yuen raises his hands in surrender. "All right, food first." They would eat before visiting the renovation company. That afternoon, after a satisfying meal, they arrived to meet with the design firm. Shen Yuen sits down with the chief designer to go over the plans. He had already sent his complete list of requirements, so Shen Yuen was just there to review her proposals. Based on his stated budget, the chief designer had prepared a lavish, luxurious European style and a soft, modern Chinese-inspired style. Liu Monglu's eyes widened. Both designs looked absolutely incredible. She turned to ask about Shen Yuen's budget. Without even blinking, he replied, "The budget is 20 million. The chief designer's jaw dropped. She was completely floored. A project of this scale would easily cost 30 million. And for a client whose assets were rumored to be in the hundreds of millions, this was the client they couldn't afford to lose. The company vowed to intensify its efforts immediately. Shen Yuen barely noticed her shock. He pointed to the plans. "We'll go with the modern Chinese style," he decided. "But I have some additions and adjustments to make." Shen Yuen had already scheduled a follow-up meeting. She mentioned another renovation company wanting to weigh their proposals before making her choice. Music. Mr. Wan suddenly wanted to invite Shen Yuen to dinner, to get on friendly terms. But to Shen Yuen, something felt off. They hadn't even signed a deal yet. This dinner invitation was highly unusual. The chief designer quickly tried to reassure him, telling Shen Yuen not to feel pressured. Mr. Wan just wanted to get to know him on a personal level, and had already sent over his number and address. A $20 million house contract was enough to keep the entire company afloat. This was a client they absolutely could not afford to lose. Marching into the boss's office, the chief designer proudly announced that their target had accepted the dinner invitation. Renman knew this move would skyrocket his odds of closing the deal. He refused to let this golden opportunity slip through his fingers. He noticed Shen Yuen had brought a woman along, someone who clearly wasn't his girlfriend. And if she wasn't his girlfriend, Renman had a wicked idea. They could call Sushi to the meeting. After all, a valued client deserves the absolute best the company has to offer. Inside the car, the personal trainer, Lu Minglu, began to unbutton her clothes, complaining about the sudden, intense heat. Shen Yuen, however, didn't feel a thing. Lu Minglu then purred, asking what their next move was. Shen Yuen casually wondered if Lu Minglu wasn't planning on going back to work, inviting her to have dinner with him. With a smirk, Lu Minglu replied that she planned to follow Shen Yuen all day, enjoying the free food and drinks. Shen Yuen countered that his followers were disciplined. If she wanted to follow him, it had to be for a full day and a full night. His words, a day and a night, were laced with a playful, dangerous tone. Liu Minglu, unfazed, declared she wouldn't leave Shen Yuen side until the sun came up. But just then, her phone rang. It was Chen Chen demanding to know what she was up to. Liu Minglu coolly replied that she was in a car. Chen Chen's next question was sharp. Is it Fan's car? Car driven by the man in the G-class. But in Chen Chen's eyes, Fan's display was nothing, compared to Shen Yuen, who casually drops 3 million on a house. Then Lu Monglu's voice chimes in. I'm actually in Shen Yuen's car right now, she says, leaving Xian Chen completely speechless. She had no idea the two were even together. Liu Monglu casually explains she went to check out renovation projects with Shen Yuen, and then drops the real bombshell he bought a $10 million mansion. Not only that, he's about to pour another $20 million into renovations. Chen Chen is left utterly reeling. Shen Yuen just spent a staggering $30 million in one go. She knew Nana had snagged a great catch breaking their pact. The three friends had sworn they would suffer through life together. But Nana was the first to hit the jackpot. And now it seemed Liu Minglu had struck gold too. With two of her best friends leveling up so fast, Chen Chen couldn't help but wonder, was it because their figures were just that much more luxurious? Meanwhile, at the restaurant, Juan Renmin runs into an acquaintance, explaining he's waiting for a crucial client. The acquaintance, who turns out to be Juan Renmin's own nephew, mentions he's also there for dinner, promising to come back later for a toast with his uncle. The nephew senses this meeting is a big deal. After all, his uncle rarely shows up for these things in person. His curiosity deepens when he sees Juan Renmin walking with a stunningly beautiful woman. He thinks to himself if she wasn't family, he'd definitely try to get her number. As they step out of the car, introductions are made. Juan Renmin finally meets Shen Yuen and Liu Monglu. After a brief greeting, Juan Renmin glances between them and asks Shen Yuen, "Is this lovely lady beside you perhaps your girlfriend?" Shen Yuen quickly tells Juan Renmin not to get the wrong idea. "We're just good friends," he clarifies. "Liu Monglu is only here to accompany me." Juan Renmin politely greets Liu Monglu, who is clearly irritated. Why did Shen Yuen have to go out of his way to announce she wasn't his girlfriend? With the awkward intro over, they head up to the restaurant ready to get down to business. As soon as they're settled, Juan Renmin introduces the company's capable assistant Su Shui. As their hands met, Shen Yuen was struck by her. This girl was unlike anyone he had ever encountered. So delicate, with an air of pure innocence. Juan Renmin watched them closely, a sly grin forming. Shen Yuen's interest was the perfect opening he needed. "A toast!" Juan Renmin declared, his voice ringing with false cheer. He gestured to Su Hui, his meaning crystal clear. She obediently raised her glass, her hand trembling slightly. Rising from her seat, she prepared to toast with Shen Yuen. But Liu Monglu cut in, "Another drink for you, Shen Yuen." Shen Yuen shook his head with a polite smile. "I should probably stop here," he said smoothly. "After all, I have to drive later." He wasn't sure if he was just making an excuse, or if he was enjoying the subtle way he and Liu Monglu worked together almost like a real couple. Undeterred, Su Hui asked to offer her own toast. Shen Yuen looked at her, his eyes twinkling with mischief. "To be honest," he said gently, "I'd much prefer some tea." Juan Renmin jumped in his praise for Su Hui a little too loud. "Music. She's in her final year of college," he announced. "You're both young, you should have plenty to talk about." He then pushed his agenda forward. "Su Hui, you should add Shen Yuen on WhatsApp. He's a very talented friend." A wave of disgust washed over Liu Monglu. This was supposed to be a business meeting, but Juan Renmin was shamelessly trying to pimp out his own employee. She could tell at a glance that Su Hui was innocent, and forcing a young woman like that to entertain a client. It was no different from being a procurer. Just then, Juan Renmin's nephew Lin Guangyao appeared. His uncle immediately introduced Shen Yuen. "This is my esteemed guest, Lin Guangyao." He then turned to his nephew. "You two are about the same age. Why don't you offer him a toast?" Lin Guangyao's mind began to race. For his uncle to introduce someone as a special guest? It meant this Shen Yuen was a major player. He quickly began calculating the man's worth. Even if this newcomer wasn't useful in day-to-day business, he would be the perfect connection to show off at high society parties. However, Lin Guangyao knew better. Shen Yuen's eyes narrowed. What was that bastard doing here? The two raised their glasses, about to toast. They exchanged greetings, smiles plastered on like perfect masks. But beneath the surface, Lin Guangyao's mind was reeling. Why was Shen Yuen his uncle's guest of honor? And why was Jian Ren fawning over him in such a grand display? Jian Ren, sensing the tension, asked if the two shared a history. A vague, more or less, was all they offered. Then the bombshell dropped. Shen Yuen had purchased a mansion and was casually spending $20 million on its renovation. The news struck Lin like a physical blow. $20 million, on renovations alone. This impossible sum made him question reality itself. How did Shen Yuen get so monstrously rich overnight? All his efforts, all his groveling to please his uncle, he now realized was a pathetic attempt to please Yuen, the very man he loathed from the bottom of his soul. In the blink of an eye, Yuen hadn't just caught up. He had completely and utterly surpassed him. He saw the deference in his uncle's eyes, a newfound respect for Yuen's power. Guang realized he had no choice but to bend the knee. Forcing a smile, Guang offered his congratulations, calling him Mr. Shen, a title earned through overwhelming wealth. 3 hours later, Shen Yuen announced the night was far from over. They were heading to a bar, maybe for some karaoke. His gaze then fell on Menglu, asking if she would join them. Menglu was never one for late nights and drinking. Her pristine lifestyle was her pride, but now her mind was a storm of calculations. She paused, her thoughts racing. Her instinct was to go home to stick to her healthy routine. It was better for her after all. But she couldn't risk leaving. A sharp pang of fear struck her. What if some other beautiful woman tried to seduce her man? Her opportunity would be lost. Even worse, if she wasn't there to watch over Shen Yuen, Janrin might fill him with alcohol and push that vixen Sue right into his arms and then a motel. She had seen that flicker of interest in Shen Yuen's eyes during dinner. An interest in Sue. A drunken Shen Yuen would lose all his inhibitions and pursue her relentlessly. The mere thought ignited a raging fire of jealousy within her. She absolutely could not let that happen. Allowing that would mean losing her claim, her golden ticket to a new life. So Menglu shot to her feet. She announced she had to leave just as Shen Yuen was They were at a karaoke bar, a little treat from the manager. Hours had passed and Sue was offering yet another toast. She raised her glass to Shen Yuen, but he gently set his down. "We've had more than enough," he said, his voice calm but firm. Shen Yuen looked at Sue, seeing right through her forced smile. "You don't have to do this," he told her, "not if you're uncomfortable." After all these kinds of corporate gatherings were a world away from her own. He understood completely. For a girl from a normal family, just getting an internship at Juan's massive company must have been a battle. But before he could say more, another voice cut in. "Shen Yuen?" Lu demanded his attention, but he barely glanced her way. "Go chase after Fan," he said coolly. "Your G-class is waiting." In that instant, Lu felt a chill. She realized with a sinking feeling that her usual charms were utterly useless against this man. Trying to break the tension, Sue asked what song Shen Yuen wanted to sing. She offered to cue it up for him. He simply smiled. "I'll sing whatever you choose." But Menglu saw something else in his eyes. She thought he looked cornered. The way he was acting felt all wrong. His gaze was strained. "You're one to talk," Shen Yuen countered, his eyes locking with hers. "Your gaze seems just as stressed." She smirked, a dangerous glint in her eyes. "Oh, this isn't stress," she purred. "This is desire, not affection." Menglu leaned closer, her confidence radiating. "That's my advantage, you see. It doesn't matter how much I attract a man, because in the end, the result is always the same." "And what result is that?" Menglu challenged him. Shen Yuen leaned in his lips, brushing her ear as he whispered a single word, "a trade." The word hung in the air, a shocking, thrilling confession. A system notification flashed in his mind. Menglu's affinity for Shen Yuen has greatly increased. Menglu felt a wave of irritation, feeling completely exposed. But she couldn't deny it. Shen Yuen was brutally honest, unlike the other men who tried to disguise their raw lust as love. Just then, Shen Yuen's hand boldly rested on her leg. She flinched. "Stop," she hissed. "There are people watching." An old man nearby shot them a warning glare. Seizing the moment, Sue put on a song, handing the microphone to Shen Yuen. The night wore on, filled with music and unspoken tension. By 11 o'clock, the party was over, and everyone headed home. Juan couldn't stop thinking about the meeting. He never dreamed he could actually befriend a man of Shen Yuen's caliber and age. He was already looking forward to their next encounter. As for the renovation project, Juan's mind was made up. Guantaning was without a doubt the most professional choice. He truly hoped they could forge a powerful partnership. In the end, Juan had only seriously considered two options. Those companies and their designs were simply more professional and affordable. With that, he marked them as his top choice. As they parted ways, Shen Yuen expressed his hope that their paths would cross again soon. Noticing Sue was looking a little unsteady, her assistant insisted on taking her home. Shen Yuen offered to hail a cab for them, but the two women politely declined. He then told Menglu he'd just grab a room nearby. But when she asked if there wasn't a better option, Shen Yuen playfully suggested her place. Menglu wasn't one to act carelessly, but a powerful intuition screamed at her that if she didn't seize this moment, it would be lost forever. She had her principles, of course. Letting a man into her home so easily wasn't her style. But then Menglu saw it. Her affinity level was at 75, and it was still climbing. Shen Yuen asked for her address to get a taxi, but Menglu simply replied that she wasn't ready to leave. "So, where am I supposed to sleep tonight?" she asked, seizing the initiative. She was baffled he was still being so formal. Caught off guard by her directness, Shen Yuen suggested a different hotel for them. Sliding into the taxi, Menglu prayed he wouldn't be as forceful as he was with Nana. The driver glanced back at Menglu's stunning beauty and thought Shen Yuen must be a tycoon to have captured the heart of such a goddess. They arrived at the most opulent hotel in Steeler City. Without hesitation, Shen Yuen requested an executive suite for one entire month. The cost? A staggering 100,000 yen. The receptionist stared, double-checking. Did he truly want the suite for a whole month? The total came to just 110,000. "Put it on my card," Shen Yuen said calmly, requesting the premier room on the 52nd floor. With Menglu's affinity above 60, the system's cashback bonus would be tripled. For Shen Yuen, this was a massive profit. Hearing him request the legendary room, on the 52nd floor, the receptionist's mind went blank. She was no stranger to this luxurious hotel. Gazing out the window, Menglu was mesmerized by the breathtaking, extravagant city view. A pang of guilt struck her heart. Was she betraying her? Dearest friend / she desperately hoped that her friends and Shen Yuen could find a way to get along. Just then, Shen Yuen leaned in close / my eyes are only for you. He smirked. "Ready for a little cardio?" When Menglu shyly admitted she hadn't showered, Shen Yuen simply chuckled. "We can worry about that later." Her eyes darted to the wide-open curtains. "Don't worry," Shen Yuen purred. "The glass is frosted and we're on the top floor." He added with a grin, "And if anyone does see, they'll just have to enjoy the show." Munglu's cheeks burned. This man was unbelievably wicked. His playful teasing began a familiar dance between them. As they dove into a long night of intense training, Shen Yuen awoke in a haze of warmth, sleeping soundly until noon. He never imagined Munglu's body could be so passionate. He mused that at this rate she might just get dehydrated. Munglu stirred her voice husky. You want to go again? Already, a determined look crossed her face. I clearly need more practice, your stamina is on another level. Her fiery spirit instantly re-energized Shen Yuen. A wide grin spread across his face, oh, I could go all night, he teased. But I held back. Yeah, just so my dear coach could get some rest. Hearing this, Munglu's resolve hardened. Well, I'm awake and fully recovered now, she declared boldly. Suddenly, Munglu pouted, complaining about the pet name he used. That's the same name you use for Nana? He chuckled. All right, it's Coach Lu then. Since you've been so good, Shen Yuen announced. I'll let you rest, and when you wake up, I'll buy you a brand new car. Munglu's world came to a complete standstill. She stared at him wide-eyed and stammered, What did you just say? Choose any car you want up to 3 million. She practically screamed with joy. Shen Yuen, I love you way too much. Thanks to his system, the more he spent, the bigger his refund. So naturally, he encouraged her to pick an even pricier model. But elsewhere, Nana was far from happy about this turn of events. Her friend's new $3 million mansion was on Munglu's mind. She, on the other hand, had always dreamed of a Porsche, a car worth a staggering 3 million. And Shen Yuen just told her that he would make that dream a reality. Munglu had already run this by her friend, but Nana insisted a Maserati was the superior choice. Still, Munglu planned to check out a sleek model for herself. Shen Yuen was surprised Nana had such specific tastes. Munglu then posed a critical question. Was he buying a car for Nana too? With a straight face, Shen Yuen admitted the truth. That was exactly his intention. A bitter thought crossed Munglu's mind. Her friend was impossibly lucky. A car and a house? A combo easily worth over 2 million. Munglu fought to push the thought away. She couldn't let jealousy poison her heart. She had to be content with what she had. With her growing relationship with Shen Yuen. Later, Chen cornered her, saying a friend saw her at the Grand Hyatt Hotel. She demanded to know, did you spend the night there? Munglu didn't shy away from the truth. Yes, she admitted. I stayed at the hotel with someone. When pressed for a name, Munglu finally confessed. Her defenses around Shen Yuen had finally crumbled. They had spent the entire night together. Shen knew her friend well. She could tell Munglu took the lead. That she hadn't been forced in the slightest. Hearing that another friend was away on a luxury cruise, Shen could only sigh at how unfair her own life seemed. Meanwhile, Shen Yuen sent Munglu a message. He told her to go buy the car herself and to prove his seriousness. He was sending her a picture of the model. In that very instant, affinity with Shen Yuen has increased to 86 points. Their intimate night had caused the score to leap, all the way from 82 to 86. She was so close to the 90-point reward. On another front, Nana proudly announced she had learned to make a whole menu of different coffees, asking eagerly when Shen Yuen would finally come for a taste. But Shen Yuen brushed her off, claiming he was busy buying a car. In fact, he invited Nana to come look at the models with him. After they had just bought a house, Nana was floored. To her, Shen Yuen was just throwing money away. After all, she already had a perfectly fine car. When she insisted she didn't need a new one, Shen Yuen declared that he wanted to buy cars for all of his women. It was a matter of status. They were anything but poor. A common popular car unthinkable. For one of Shen Yuen's women, never. He wouldn't allow it, not even for a moment. Even a $2 million price tag was too low. With Nana's birthday just around the corner, Shen Yuen gifted her a magnificent car worth millions. For a man of his stature, it was nothing. But then he asks Nana a heavy question. What if something were to happen between him and Munglu? He confessed not wanting to hide a single thing from her. Nana admits the thought pierces her heart. The pain is real and it bothers her deeply. But she tells him, next time he doesn't need to say a word. She reassures him not to worry, because she is the only one who truly holds a place in his heart. And no one could ever hope to replace her. When she asks if he means it, Shen Yuen confirms he's never said those words to anyone else. In that moment, Nana's faith in him is absolute. She says she doesn't ask for the world. All she needs is for him to stop by her cafe, and for them to share a meal together. That simple happiness is enough. Nana is truly a gem, so kind-hearted, always wanting Shen Yuen to save his money. As a reward, Shen Yuen makes a promise. He'll visit Nana's house tonight to make up for everything. He assures her with a smirk. The compensation would be more than enough. After all, Nana knew him better than anyone. She mentions that customers are waiting at the shop. As a deep blush creeps up her cheeks from the memories, Shen Yuen sighs. Being a scoundrel was hard work. He wondered how other men successfully cheated on their partners without ever being discovered. The thought was a fleeting one. Soon after he arrives at Counselor Liao's home to help her move, he immediately gets to work grabbing boxes and carrying them down the stairs. Suddenly, disaster strikes. A box bursts open, spilling its contents all over the floor, revealing dozens of the counselor's private undergarments. As the delicate pieces tumble through the air, Shen Yuen's imagination runs wild. He sees Liao asking him with a sly grin, "Do you like pink?" In his mind, she begins to move seductively, showing off her most intimate collection as Shen Yuen sweats bullets. She wished this fantasy could become a reality. A flustered Lai Xiao quickly insists that she'll carry that one specific box all by herself. They quickly see they can't move everything in a single trip. It's going to take two. Inside the car, they head for the Dong community, with the first load of boxes secured. Lai Xiao reveals that her sister is always like that, but holds no grudge against Shen Yuen. In fact, she was much friendlier than she'd ever been before. But Lai wasn't always so cold. She once had a college boyfriend, a handsome guy who wore glasses. Their long-distance relationship was actually going quite well, but one Christmas Lai went to visit him, only to catch him red-handed with another woman. After that day, she fell into a depression and completely swore off men for good. Shen Yuen feigns a look of utter shock, calling men like that the absolute scum of society. Lai Xiao playfully asks if he isn't that type of man himself before bursting into laughter. Shen Yuen shamelessly claims he's the purest man alive, then flips the script asking what her own feelings are towards men. Lai Xiao admits she's pretty neutral, having never been hurt like her sister Li Meng. Seizing the moment, Shen Yuen asks what she thinks of him. The counselor's face immediately turns crimson red. Lai Xiao has no idea how to possibly respond. She just stammers, unable to find the right words. Seeing her reaction, Shen Yuen reveals it was all just a joke, teasing her for getting so nervous. A wave of relief washes over Li Xiao. She admits that she wouldn't have known what to do if his question had been serious. At her new apartment, the move is finally complete. She thanks him sincerely, offering to buy him lunch. He tells her there's no need to pay him back, suggesting a different kind of reward instead. And in that very moment, Shen Yuen leans in and plants a deep kiss right on her lips. She's completely stunned by his bold move, but slowly allows it to happen. At first, she whispers that this isn't right, but soon accepts the kiss situation. But just as things were escalating, a fateful knock echoed through the room. It was Li Xiao's sister Lai Meng, who'd forgotten her key. The intense atmosphere shattered instantly. Li Xiao's heart was racing. She couldn't continue. With a hidden sigh, Shen Yuen went to open the door for her. Li Meng's sharp eyes immediately landed on Li Xiao's flushed face. "Wow, did you get a sunburn?" she teased. Lai Xiao stammered, saying she just needed a little rest, feeling slightly unwell. Deep down, she was incredibly grateful for her sister's timing. Shen Yuen was becoming dangerously bold. Changing the subject, they told Shen Yuen they had found a potential contact for his investment search and would send over the details. Shen Yuen agreed to talk with the person and made a swift exit so as not to bother the two sisters. He was frustrated. He wanted more time, but Li Meng had completely ruined the mood. The moment he was gone, Li Meng turned to her sister. "So, what do you really think of him?" Lai Xiao felt cornered. "Is it wrong?" Li Meng simply replied, "It's your life. It doesn't matter what I think, but I can at least offer you some sisterly advice." The problem was, Li Xiao didn't even know her own heart when it came to Shen Yuen. Her sister could see the conflict in her eyes. "You like him, but a guy like that? He might be handsome, but he's not trustworthy." Seeing her sister's worried face, Li Meng softened. "I'm not against it," she clarified. "You can do whatever you want with your life." Meng gave her a warm hug, but it only made Li Xiao's thoughts spiral even more around Shen Yuen. An hour later, at the bustling school cafeteria, Fu Yingzi's voice cut through the noise calling his name. Fu Yingzi had just arrived, taking a seat at his table. She explained that her voice was different from the radio because she was playing a character before getting straight to the point. The director had told her they would be sending people to help Shen Yuen with his project. And besides her official duties, Shen Yuen would need Fu Yingzi's help with a few other, more personal matters. Just as Shen Yuen was about to ask her for a specific favor, but their moment of peace is shattered. A loud voice cuts through the air, shouting Yingzi's name. It's Fun, and he's brought her favorite dessert. His smile freezes the moment he spots Shen Yuen, sitting at the same table as Fu Yingzi. He shoots a venomous glare at the newcomer, instantly marking him as a love rival. Yingzi says she isn't eating sugar, but Fun stubbornly insists. "I went through so much trouble to get this for you." Her patience finally snaps. "I told you I don't want it." A bitter argument erupts in front of everyone. Fun storms off, humiliated and furious, while the entire college begins to buzz with fresh gossip. The campus girls watch from afar, seething with envy, to see Shen Yuen sitting with the campus queen. They sneer, convinced that every girl has already sniffed out that Shen Yuen is secretly rich and are just trying to get their claws in him. That's when Hui Hoi makes her move, approaching Fu Yingzi. Her voice drips with condescending poison. "Just how much dignity are you willing to lose for a man?" Shen Yuen coolly diverts her, saying he had matters to resolve with Fu Yingzi regarding the student committee. As Hui Hoi leans in possessively, Shen Yuen warns her, "You'll be repeating the year if you keep skipping class. She's missed far too many already." Fu Yingzi notices that Hui Hoi is putting on a show, making it clear she's with Shen Yuen. Deciding to leave, she stands. She and Shen Yuen exchange a quick farewell, and the whole campus is left in shock by the public clash between its two reigning goddesses all over one mysterious man. Hui Hoi immediately turns on him. "What were you talking about?" She demands, "Don't you dare get too close to Fu Yingzi." Shen Yuen calmly explains it was about the committee which Fu Yingzi had agreed to help with. He feels her intense, almost suffocating possessiveness. Hui Hui pouts, wanting to spend more time together. But we haven't seen each other in 2 whole days. Unfortunately for her, she has a class to attend. Leaning in close, Hui Hui whispers a secret into his ear. With a final sly smile, she leaves, cloaking the table in a mischievous atmosphere. Shen Yuen sighs. He thinks to himself, what an insatiable woman. Just then, Monglu calls model. Shen Yuen announced she'd found a car for 2 million. Hearing this, he decided to transfer the funds, just for some quick cash. Then Monglu's call came in. She wanted to show off her brand new clothes, insisting they were exactly Shen Yuen's type, but Shen Yuen had no idea what she was talking about. Monglu simply promised to reveal everything, in person. This threw Shen Yuen for a loop. He already had plans to meet Nana and Ho Hoi, wanted to grab a cool drink with him too. His schedule was suddenly a war zone, leaving him torn between 3 different invitations for one night. Meanwhile, over at Lai Xiao's place, her sister Li had an idea. Should we invite Shen Yuen over for a meal with us? Lai Xiao suggested just texting Shen Yuen to thank him for all his help. But as she thought about it, picturing Shen Yuen's smug, mischievous face, Counselor Li Xiao had the sudden urge to bite him. They agreed. Inviting him over would be the perfect way to test his character. So Li Xiao sent the message, saying her sister was grateful and wanted to treat him to dinner. Shen Yuen's phone buzzed and his eyes widened. A tidal wave of women all wanted to see him on the very same day. He needed a plan and fast. Shen Yuen made his choice. He'd have to cancel on Monglu and Ho Hoi. Soon he arrived at Counselor Li Xiao's door. She warned him that dinner might take some time. Stepping inside the house, Shen Yuen casually said he would wait in the living room. He couldn't help but notice his teacher had cleaned the entire place in record time. He then asked, "Where's your sister?" And she replied that Li was currently taking a shower. All of a sudden, Lai Xiao frantically told Shen Yuen not to get any closer. He feigned innocence, saying he just wanted to lend a hand with dinner preparations. "Just relax in the living room," Lai Xiao insisted, her voice a little shaky. "The food is nearly done." He took another step forward. "We can just chat while you cook," he offered with a charming smile. Shen Yuen, however, pointed out they were still standing so far apart, and he couldn't help but notice Counselor Li Xiao was getting incredibly flustered. In a flash, Shen Yuen grabbed Li Xiao firmly by the waist, whispering, "I'm not going to do anything." Her warning came a second too late. "My sister is home, but Shen Yuen, the master of temptation, simply smirked and said, "And if Li is in the shower?" While waiting, he figured a woman's shower would take a good long while. His teacher Li Xiao tried to protest, but he playfully pulled her into his arms. Just then, a voice called out announcing she was done and asking about dinner. The two immediately sprang apart. Lai Xiao warned him never to be so reckless again, but the scoundrel just smirked, saying he knew exactly what was on her mind. As Shen Yuen lavished praise on the meal, Liang declared she had some questions. "How many girlfriends have you had?" she asked point blank. "Only 2, Shen Yuen replied with a straight face. Publicly, he'd only ever admitted to the one from high school. The others, like Zhou Wangqing, were secrets best left buried. Lai considered this, perhaps for her sister who had 0 dating experience, a man who knew what he was doing wasn't such a bad thing. If she thought 2 was a lot, Shen Yuen mused she'd have a heart attack if she knew about the other 3. Next, Liang mentioned her younger sister who was 18. The dinner table interrogation stretched on for another 10 minutes until finally, Liang's questions tapered off. Shen Yuen felt a surge of confidence. He was certain the older sister was starting to fall for him. Then, under the table, he made his move, his leg brushing against hers, leaving her utterly flustered. She had completely underestimated his audacity. To do something so bold right in front of her own sister? It was unthinkable. She stood abruptly to cut some fruit, but he smoothly stopped her. "You must be tired," he said. "Don't trouble yourself." Lai found her sister's silence strange. Normally, she'd be buzzing with excitement around a guy she was interested in. The protagonist then announced his departure, saying he wouldn't bother Li Mang any further. After he was gone, Lai smirked. The initial test was a success, but now it was time for her own more personal examination. To Li Meng, even with his mature side, the protagonist was far too mischievous. They weren't even officially a couple. Back at Chen Nana's place, he searched for a formal suit. He had also promised to taste her new coffee. He declared his plan to offer a formal and wholly proper compensation, just as Chen Nana had asked. He would bless her with hundreds of millions all at once. It didn't matter if she was ready for it or not. Meanwhile, Chen Nana changed into her work clothes and wondered aloud why men found them so irresistible. He glided closer, a sly grin on his face. "You're about to find out why." An hour and a half later, it all began with mischievous, playful kisses. His affinity with Chen Nana shot up to 90 after their passionate activities. With another woman's affection raised to 90, the mission was finally complete. A handsome reward was waiting for him. This time, the bonuses included a dramatic increase to a certain organ, 5 million in luxury cars, and a pack of exclusive skills. He had to see what would happen when he activated the physical enhancement. He couldn't believe the results were real. Suddenly, Chen Nana felt a powerful change, stirring deep inside her. Something was very different. And that, he whispered, is the answer to why I love those clothes so much. Nana's reaction was a sharp scream of pure pleasure. She was completely overwhelmed. Why does this feel so different? Shen just smirked. Different in what way? But Chen Nana was utterly speechless, unable to even describe the sensation. Don't worry, he promised. I have plenty more surprises for you. His words sent a shiver of excitement through her. Her breathless state was the highest form of praise a man could ever hope for, and to think it was only going to get better. Now Shen turned his focus to the amazing rewards in the exclusive skill package. The system presented a redemption card. It could be exchanged for any of the listed master-level skills. The options were incredible cooking, driving combat dancing, and so much more. Shen could see the use in skills like home, repairs, but he couldn't imagine why he'd need one for cutting hair. As for combat, Shen felt it wasn't among the worst skills and dismisses it. But then a brilliant idea sparks in his mind. Even wealthy girls get into trouble, so Shen imagines a new angle. What if Lai's TV suddenly breaks? He could swoop in and be the hero who comes to fix it. The perfect scenario unfolds in his head. She would even offer to wipe the sweat from his brow. That one fantasy solidifies his choice. This is without a doubt the greatest skill of all, based on a future he just invented. Then it hits him. With every system reward, the prizes have been getting more legendary. It makes him wonder what kind of insane reward he'll get when the third girl's affection reaches 90 points. But suddenly, a frantic call shatters the moment. It's Chen Nana's mother, her voice trembling. She desperately needs money transferred. Chen Nana reassures her, promising to send it at once, telling her to call if anything else happens. Her face turns pale as she hangs up and tells Shen. Her father drank himself into a heart attack. He's in the hospital, his blood pressure dangerously high. A wave of guilt washes over her. She believes this is all her fault. If she had just gone on that date to please him, maybe he wouldn't have ended up like this. Seeing her pain, Shen Yuen doesn't hesitate. I'll take you home, now. But she refuses, saying it isn't safe to travel at night. She'll wait for the morning. He insists, promising to go with her whenever she feels ready to leave. But even with his kindness, a line exists between them. Their relationship isn't official yet, and she can't accept such a huge favor from him. So, with a heavy heart, Chen Nana declares she will go to her parents' house alone. Our hero makes one last plea. If she needs money, any amount at all, she just has to ask. The next day, she's gone. All that remains is a letter explaining she has returned to her hometown. Yet even in her frantic rush, she wasn't materialistic or possessive like Manglu and Hui Hui. No, Nana is different, she is the best. Yet also the most sensitive and caring of all, the women in his life. Just then, a call shattered. The early morning calm? It was Fu Yingzi. His curiosity piqued. Her voice came through, explaining she'd sent over photos of tables and chairs for him to review. Shen simply smirked, telling her to make the call since she was already there. With that, she promptly hung up. Shen couldn't help but be impressed by Fu Yingzi's go-getter attitude, even thinking a future with her might be interesting. Meanwhile, a group of college guys were trailing Fu Yingzi, relentlessly trying to get her attention. One of them was especially persistent, acting like he was some noble knight trying to help. But he wasn't even on the student council. His presence was grating on her last nerve. He'd chased her for 3 long years, only to lose to a man she met just yesterday. A man who was both devastatingly handsome and unbelievably rich. The realization hit her. Shin was willing to drop 10 million without a thought. To him, that kind of money was like pocket change. But the most crucial detail of all was that this godlike man was the same age as her. In that instant, a spark ignited within her heart. Fu Yingzi began to picture a new life for herself. Even if she couldn't be his girlfriend, just being his personal secretary would be a dream. After all, a man like him surely had many women. She knew she had to prove her worth, showcase every skill she possessed to secure her place by his side and bask in his glorious wealth. In another part of the city, Nana and her mother rushed to the hospital. Her father had collapsed from a sudden heart attack. But upon returning home, Nana's mother introduced her to 2 strange men. At 27 years old, Nana was still single, a fact her mother was desperately trying to fix. Her aunt chimed in, presenting her son's friend, who had journeyed all the way from another city just for this meeting. His name was Dong, and he was the owner of his own company. A bustling company with a full staff, a house, and even a car to his name. With a humble smile, Dong admits his car is, sure, it was a nice car, a Series 5. But to Chen Nana, it was completely meaningless. She couldn't care less about this suitor's cheap display of wealth. Not only had Dong brought lavish drinks for her father, he also gifted a $3,000 gold ring to her aunt. The intentions were crystal clear. In her mother's eyes, Dong was the perfect candidate, the ideal son-in-law. This entire meeting felt like an auction. Her mother pushed them to sit and chat, but Nana saw her opening and slipped away, pulling her mother aside for a heated confrontation. Her mother warned, "Don't you dare be disrespectful, Dong is waiting." Nana's voice trembled with fury. "You lied to me. You tricked me into this ambush with a fake story about Dad having a heart attack." But her mother was relentless, explaining their desperation. "Even your younger cousin Xiaoli already has 2 children. Nana's blood began to boil. How dare she compare her to Xiaoli? That was the final straw. Fuming, Nana fired off a text to Shen explaining the entire setup. "My father isn't in the hospital, / it's a trap." Shen's reply was swift and decisive. "I'm getting off the main road now. Send me your exact location." Her heart pounded in her chest. He was actually on his way. The tables were about to turn. Nana couldn't suppress a smirk. This was about to get interesting. She turned to her mother and announced coolly, "Someone is coming." Her mother's eyes narrowed with suspicion. "Is it a man or a woman?" Nana simply smiled mysteriously. Meanwhile, back in the living room, the family's assault continued. Her aunt was relentlessly selling Dong to her father, insisting he was the absolute best match for their daughter. However, just 15 minutes later, a new challenger entered the arena. Shen arrived at the door, his arms overflowing with shopping bags. "I hope I'm not interrupting." He began with a disarming smile. "Since it's my first time meeting Nana's parents, I had to bring something." He presented a small mountain of luxurious gifts. Then Shen Yuen dropped the bombshell. "My name is Shen Yuen. I'm Chen Nana's boyfriend. These are just some small presents to mark our first meeting." The room plunged into a stunned silence. Her parents were frozen. "A boyfriend?" her mother finally stammered. "Why did you never say—" "You had a boyfriend." Regaining some composure, she quickly thanked Shen for his unbelievable kindness. Is happy he made the trip. Shen insists it's not just about being polite. For him, his girlfriend's family is his own family. But at the sight of the lavish jewelry, Nana's parents freeze. How much could this have possibly cost? Shen casually mentions just a little over 300,000. A wave of shock ripples through the family. That kind of money is beyond belief. Dong glares, asking Nana's aunt how she suddenly materialized with a boyfriend. He was certain Nana was single. The aunt admits she's also in the dark, questioning why Nana would bring a boyfriend home today of all days. And he waltzes in with 300,000 yuan worth of gifts, making Dong look like a complete fool. To her, this smells fishy. Shen has to be a fake boyfriend hired to put on an extravagant show. With a glint in her eye, she takes on a new mission, to expose whether Shen is the real deal. Shen calmly introduces himself to the suspicious aunt. She cuts straight to the chase. He replies that he's 21 years old. The aunt scoffs. A 27-year-old woman dating a young, obscenely wealthy kid? It's absurd. Shen explains he's in college but runs his own businesses, making investments in the financial market. The aunt's eyes narrow. So he's playing with the big boys, but she figures anyone can claim to be a financial whiz these days. She isn't buying his act for a second. "Do you own a house?" she presses, wanting to secure Nana's future. Shen replies, "I have two. One is already in Nana's name, and one is in mine, both in Star City." Dong's face twists with pure envy while Nana's aunt smirks, certain she's about to corner him. "It's good for a young man to have pride," she says condescendingly, "but there's no need to pretend. You should be honest when you're dating. A single house in Star City, she thinks, costs over $1 million. She openly doubts a student like him could possess that kind of wealth. But Nana steps in. "The house is really in my name," she declares. "I have the receipt right here. Shen truly bought it for me." Nana then presents the proof, with the receipt and the full contract displayed on her phone. But the aunt just scoffs, accusing Shen Yuen. "You've certainly crafted an impressive forgery," she sneers. "You really committed to this little act." Shen Yuen remains completely unfazed. "The house is secured. I'll transfer $1 million now for the decorations. If that's not enough, just let me know." The family is speechless. They're still convinced Shen Yuen is just an elaborate scammer, and now they demand to see the proof. Nana panics. $1 million for decorating? That's an insane amount of money. I don't need anywhere near that much. But it's too late. A notification chimes, shattering the tense silence. The money has arrived instantly, leaving the entire family frozen in shock. Their eyes widen as they confirm the unbelievable truth. The aunt's mind reels. She can't believe Shen Yuen just transferred $1 million yuan simply because she dared to doubt him. Dong stares in disbelief. Just how monstrously rich is this man to toss around $1 million like it's pocket change for decorating a single house? Utterly defeated, Dong quietly tries to slink away, hoping to retrieve the fancy imported wines and cigarettes he brought as gifts. Not only did his marriage proposal fail spectacularly, Dong just received a brutal lesson in reality. But even with the meeting in shambles, his business instincts kick in. He refuses to leave empty-handed. This impossibly wealthy man could be the connection of a lifetime for his business. So Dong changes his tune completely. "Brother Shen Yuen," he begins. "How much did those houses even cost?" Because $1 million for renovations alone is just astronomical. Seeing that the charade is up, Shen Yuen decides to go all in. He casually drops the bombshell. "I spent 10 million on my house, and 3 million on Chen Nana's." The family's jaws drop even further. The casual way Shen Yuen says it, as if 10 million is nothing, makes it clear that to him this mansion is just another toy. The aunt sees Dong sucking up to this new powerhouse, and immediately panics, scrambling to secure her own position. "Oh, my dear Shen Yuen," she fawns, apologizing profusely. "Please forgive my unfiltered mouth from earlier. We're all family now, aren't we? I promise I'll be much more proper from now on." The rest of the family quickly follows her lead, bowing their heads in apology. But just at that moment, Chen Nana's younger sister, Chen Yus, walks into the room, taking in the bizarre scene. Ecstatic that her sister has finally returned and is formally introduced to Shen Yuen, her new brother-in-law. Shen Yuen greets her politely, but his mind is racing. Shen Yu looks exactly like Chen Nana, but with a youthful, more refined aura. This startling resemblance makes Shen Yuen wonder, which side of the family does she truly favor? And then everyone gathers for a meal. Shen Yuen raises his glass for a toast, expressing his deepest gratitude to Chen Nana's parents for raising such an incredible woman, declaring himself the luckiest man alive. He then announces his next surprise. He wants to show everyone the brand new car and house he's already bought for Chen Nana. At this, her aunt can't help but wonder if Shen Yuen plans to gift a house and car to her parents as well, Chen Nana's. Parents are completely floored by Shen Yuen's shocking declaration. They stammer that they're old and would rarely use a car. He didn't need to spend so much money on them. They're still reeling from the news. A 280 square meter house would feel empty. It's just too big for them. To ease their minds, Chen Nana sweetly promises she'll simply have to visit her parents more often now. Her father's eyes well up, saying she always used to lament that no one would ever want her. And now she has found the perfect man, a boyfriend from a dream. Later, that evening, Shen Yuen relaxes on the sofa as Chen Nana thanks him, her heart full for everything he has done. Shen Yuen simply says, "Chen Nana is my woman. I was only doing what I was supposed to do." Then a playful glint appears in his eye as he asks a question. Will Chen Nana's parents allow them to sleep in the same room tonight? Chen Nana blushes, replying that Shen Yuen is assigned to the guest room. But once the house is quiet, she will sneak over and come to him. When 11 o'clock at night finally strikes, a shadow appears by Shen Yuen's bed. "Are you still awake?" she whispers. Shen Yuen's voice is low. "I couldn't possibly sleep without truly talking with you first." His gaze travels down her silhouette, and he notices she isn't wearing anything underneath. The real night was about to begin. They moved in perfect silence, careful not to make a sound that might wake her parents. However, they were not alone. The younger, his sister Chen Xinyu, slips into the house under the cloak of midnight door when a strange sound catches her ear. When Xinyu peeks inside, she witnesses a scene that makes her blood run cold. Sure, she's seen videos with her friends, but seeing something like this up close leaves the poor girl utterly terrified. And to her shock, her brother-in-law Shen Yuen is a man of overwhelming power. Unable to watch another second, she flees back to her room. About 1.5 hours later, Xinyu slips back into her sister's room to sleep beside her. Chen Nana is startled, realizing her younger sister Xinyu is still wide awake. The two embrace the only way Xinyu can find any peace tonight. Chen Nana sighs, noticing how quickly her little sister is growing up and finding trouble. The next day, around noon, Shen Yuen makes his way back to the university. There he meets with Fu, who asks if his new office meets his expectations. Shen Yuen assures her everything is perfect. He has no intention of changing a thing. He observes that the young woman isn't just beautiful, she's incredibly sharp, catching every single detail. A perfect candidate for a future secretary, he thinks, as he watches her present the first batch of incubation requests from the class. She explains there are 15 assignments in total, and hands him the stack for his review. But as Shen Yuen flips through them, his eyes widen. The application photos are all coated in beauty filters. Shaking his head, he decides to ignore the ridiculous photos and focus on what matters, the actual business plans. The first idea: a lingerie shop on university grounds? Absolutely brilliant, he thinks sarcastically. Any student caught walking into that store would be committing social suicide. Proposals this flawed are doomed from the start. Even with 10 million for the incubator fund, he refuses to waste a single coin on nonsense. Sure, he gets a cash rebate from girls who raise their affinity for him, but Shen Yuen has to wonder, is this system something he wants to rely on forever? He refused to be some old sugar daddy, surrounded by girls in bikinis. A pathetic, perverted old fool. No, the incubator and Nana's cafe were meant to cultivate genuine business acumen. He would dive headfirst into the corporate battlefield and forge a company into a true empire. His dream was to build his own global powerhouse, a modern-day Tesla, and become a legend of this era. But as Shen Yuen reviewed the proposals, he realized he'd vastly overestimated the students. Their ideas were laughably impractical. He couldn't accept a single one. Fu Yingzi quickly reassured him. This is just a small sample. The college and the committee can promote this even more. In fact, Secretary Liu has already promised to give us his complete support. The radio station that Fu Yingzi ran would begin advertising from morning till night. In addition, they would launch a campaign on social media. A sharp glint appeared in Shen Yuen's eyes. Prepare a second phase of tests, he commanded. They must cover everything: management, investment, and marketing. Fu Yingzi nodded with crisp efficiency. I'll see to it right away. Shen Yuen felt a wave of gratitude. Thank you for all your hard work. Ever since he acquired the system, his life had been about spending and earning. But this, for the very first time, he was enjoying the thrill of giving commands. Having capable talent, like Fu Yingzi, that was the true secret to building his future. From now on, his mission was to foster loyalty and find competent subordinates without wasting a single second. Elsewhere at the gym, Manager Gong confronted Lu Manglu. You can't just disappear during work hours, he sneered. Do you want to lose your job? Manglu calmly replied. I requested time off. The students I was tutoring had other classes. Manager Gong's face twisted in anger. I never approved any time off. Munglu simply told him to check his messages. The unspoken threat was clear. The message stated he'd approve her request if she had lunch with him. Is there no other way to sort this out, she asked. The manager scoffed. I never approved it, so that makes it an unexcused absence. A completely unannounced absence. He questions if she even understands the steep price her salary will pay for such unprofessional behavior. But at the mere mention of a salary, deduction. Munglu scoffs and quits on the spot, leaving everyone speechless. A colleague, clearly smitten, can't believe she's actually gone. He cries out that all their clients were there just for her, he points, showing Manager Gong the sleek luxury car Liu Monglu just arrived in. The manager's jaw drops. He watches her casually hop into a Porsche 911, the unmistakable ride of a rich benefactor. Just then, Liu Monglu gets a call from Shen Yuen. Playing the victim, she claims her boss just fired her, desperately asking for some comfort. But Shen Yuen's response, a slow smirk. This is perfect, mate, he says. You're finally free to be my exclusive personal trainer. A playful glint appears in Liu Monglu's eyes. She wonders aloud if there's a special prize for taking on such an exclusive role. Shen Yuen chuckles. Oh yes, their training would be very intense. And as a bonus, he had dozens of tempting mini-goals for her to enjoy. Liu Monglu purrs that she'll be waiting for him in the exclusive suite, blowing a kiss goodbye to the gawking man. Later that night at 8:30, Liu Monglu pouts about his late arrival. With a mischievous look, she declares her room is off limits. Shen Yuen finds her little act utterly captivating. Fine, he'll play along with her little game. All right then, he states calmly. Since I'm not welcome inside, I'll just leave the hotel entirely. In that instant, Liu Monglu's playful facade shatters. She desperately begs him to come back, pleading for him not to go. Shen Yuen raises an eyebrow. He reminds her she was the one who just barred the door. Flustered, Liu Monglu admits she was only trying to create some atmosphere. Seeing her so desperate, Shen Yuen decides to test her. He wants to see just how sincere she really is. Without hesitation, Liu Monglu presses herself against him, whispering for him to stay. When Shen Yuen feels the genuine desperation in her touch, he finally relents. In a split second, the playful tension ignites into something far more intimate, leading them straight to bed. Manglu teases him, whispering that she's been naughty, and that he's free to punish her. But Shen Yuen simply asks her to say that name for him one more time. So Liu Minglu leans in and calls him her sugar daddy again, right into his ear. A smile plays on his lips, liking the sound of it. He promises to show her his true strength during their private session. For a full hour, the room becomes a storm of intense passion. Money was one thing, but Shen's performance was on a whole other addictive level. He tells her the personal training session is on him, asking her to keep teaching him her ways. But Meng can't help but feel his insane vigor is almost superhuman. Just when she thinks it's over, another hour passes, and he's ready for another round. The girl is left completely drained, begging him to be just a little gentler. Our hero calmly claims he was being gentle, admitting he only used 50% of the power he usually uses with Nana. Her mind flashes back to that day at the cafe, and she knows for a fact that he just gave her his absolute all. It's all thanks to his legendary skill, a cheat-level ability called Relentless Resilience, granting him a literally infinite supply of energy. And yet Shen feels his power draining away slightly, noticing he's even lost some weight. He summons his system window. His stats show he's at 70 kilos with 69 health. He's dropped 2 kilograms in just 15 days, and his health stat has fallen by 3 whole points. He makes a decision. It's time to get serious. He'll start training with Coach Liu tomorrow. He can't afford to be this weak. She, however, thinks that scheduling anything for tomorrow might be difficult since he'll surely want more of their private lessons first. But the protagonist clarifies, stating he needs a real workout, a serious one. I'm too thin, he declares. The woman is overjoyed that the message finally got through. Realizing he's right, she observes how lean he's become. The protagonist gets annoyed, but she quickly cuts him off, apologizing for her playful teasing, taking charge. He demands she create a proper workout regimen, worthy of his potential. Manglu promises to craft him the ultimate weight training program designed to build pure mass and perfectly control his body fat. Luckily, the hotel has a world-class gym. To the gym where their real training would begin, first Shen would swing by his place to grab some gear, including a special kit for her. Inside, the host Shen Yuen initiated the fitness path, and a new panel flashed into existence. A mission alert immediately activated. The goal, reach 75 kilograms with only 12% body fat within 1 single month. The reward, the perfect physique. An incredible effect that would last for a full 2 years. Shen stared at the fitness panel, completely blown away. He decided to focus everything on his weight, fat, and sculpting his body to perfection. But then his eyes caught a button he hadn't noticed before. Its function a total mystery. Tapping it revealed something unbelievable. Strategies for investment and high-level business. Management. Physical perfection was just the start. He realized that by hitting the system's goals, he would continue to unlock world-changing new abilities. With this power, he could master in a month what takes normal people entire lifetimes to learn. The next morning, after a hearty hotel breakfast, he found the girl had already prepared both his lunch and dinner. He was floored by her kindness, thanking Coach Liu. Manglu profusely, he made a mental note. From now on, he couldn't afford to burn out, like he did the night before. Meng, however, simply called him tireless and incredible. She urged him to eat up so their real training could commence. When they arrived at the gym, everyone immediately noticed the coach's absolutely flawless sculpted body. Men were almost afraid to look directly at her, trying desperately to control themselves. To them, seeing a goddess next to a scrawny chicken like him felt like a cosmic injustice. All the muscular guys thought this was their chance to make a move. Ignoring them, she began teaching our hero the proper form for a back exercise. Just then, across the hotel gym, a man with glasses locked his eyes onto our protagonist. He saw Shen with this breathtaking woman, and a memory flashed in his mind. He'd just seen this same guy buying a mountain of luxury bags for a completely different woman just the other day. Coach Liu told him he needed to train, adding that for his very first workout. His performance was impressive. He should drink some water and pace himself. But at that moment, our hero leaned in and asked with a smirk, "So when do I get to taste you again?" A bitter rage boiled inside the man. He watched the protagonist enjoying himself with a beautiful woman while he was left, completely stonewalled by Joe. He had no idea where Joe lived or why he was cast aside, and the injustice fueled his hatred. He realized Shen was juggling two women. A sinister plan formed in his mind, expose him, and they would both leave. He wanted to savor the moment Shen had to explain himself. With a smirk, he made his way over, ready to start the show. As the man approached with a fake greeting, the womanizer cut him off. "What do you want?" The man feigned innocence. "Oh, it's nothing important." Our hero, unfazed, turned back to his training. But the man wasn't about to let this chance slip by. He wouldn't leave until he'd lit the fuse. "Hey," he began, "isn't the girl you took to the mall with you today?" He knew if they were a real couple, a question like that would trigger an explosion. However, 20 agonizing seconds passed in dead silence. The couple didn't even flinch. He found her lack of reaction bizarre. Could it be they weren't really together? Hojin turned his attention to Lu Minglu. "I'm telling you, Shen was with another woman that day." Lu Minglu simply replied, "That was his sister. You should really learn to mind your own business." After all, he was a complete stranger to them. Hojin pressed on. "He's just a pretty face. He's cheating on you with who knows how many women." But Lu Manglu's response floored him. "Even if Shen were dating 3 women at once, as long as I'm happy with him, it has absolutely nothing to do with you." Hojin's mind reeled. He played his trump card. But he bought 2 bags worth over 100,000 for another woman? Coach Liu Manglu just shrugged. It's Shen's money. He can spend it however he likes. If he's happy, then I'm happy too. Deep down, why would Liu Manglu care? Shen had just gifted her a $2 million car. Hojin couldn't comprehend it. How was she still smiling? What kind of relationship was this? The delicate balance between them. Liu Manglu cuts in telling Hojin to get lost. He's completely ruining the atmosphere she's built with Shen. A flash of irritation crosses Hojin's face. He can't stand people who have no problem with cheating. Disgusted, he walks away. But Liu Manglu, as Shen's personal trainer and dedicated housekeeper, knows her role in this arrangement, and his affairs are none of her concern. 2 hours later, during their workout, her professional tone is laced with affection. She praises his performance, her words a soft caress. His form was perfect, she purrs, promising to increase the intensity tomorrow. Shen smirks, wondering if this is her sweet revenge. Because he works her so hard at night, she plans to work him even harder during the day. But Lu Manglu simply explains that today's session was just to get his body reacquainted with the strain. Soon they'll be pushing much heavier weights. Shen declares that his muscles already feel perfectly loose and invites her to join him for a shower. In the steam-filled room, Shen whispers to his dear coach Lu Manglu that there's one more muscle he still needs to work on. He pulls her flesh against him, showing her exactly which one he means. A breathless husband escapes her lips. Before she corrects herself with a playful daddy, she then asks if Shen is heading to the university. He confirms, saying he has to tie up some loose ends. He tells Liu Minglu she can just rest at the hotel tonight. But the thought of being alone in an empty hotel room feels strange. So she decides to return to her own apartment. Just then, a notification rings in Shen's mind. Affinity with Liu Manglu has reached 88. Pleased, Shen asks her to call him by that special name one more time. And so she obliges. "Daddy?" A smile plays on his lips from last night. To now, her affinity has jumped another 2 points. As college life begins, Shen crosses paths with Fu Yingzi. He instantly misjudges her, thinking she's just another girl, already trying to get his attention. Fu Yingzi, however, dodges a persistent suitor and quickly apologizes to Shen for the boy's behavior. The guy insists he was only trying to lend a hand, believing that many hands make light work. But Fu Yingzi coldly shuts him down, saying she has no need for his kind of help in a place like this. With that, Shen shuts the door and pulls down the blinds, a simple act that ignites a fire of jealousy in the boy outside. His mind starts racing, wondering what Shen and Fu Yingzi could possibly be doing in that clubroom. He pictures a dramatic scene where Fu Yingzi leans in to kiss Shen, and the thought alone drives him absolutely mad. Inside, Shen asks about the project's progress. Fu Yingzi reports, "It's going well with new proposals flooding in." A calculating glint appears in Shen's eyes. It's time to drop another bombshell, something that will make this program explode in popularity. "What can I do to help?" Fu Yingzi asks, ready for action. Shen's plan is simple yet audacious: link the project directly to him. He wants every student to know that he's the one who bankrolled the entire thing. He even suggests creating viral clickbait about a mystery student who invested a staggering 10 million in the college, keeping his identity a secret for now. Fu Yingzi's eyes light up, suggesting they release clues, one by one building a mountain of curiosity and maximizing the hype. She doesn't quite grasp Shen's desire to be in the spotlight, but she's determined to execute his master plan. Shen explains his true goal as attention skyrockets. So will the number of student proposals, allowing him to pick the absolute best. This strategy will not only cement his academic legacy, but also help him recruit the brightest minds on campus. "Keep this under wraps," Shen warns. "One leak and it could all go wrong." First, they'll use unofficial channels and burner profiles to build a groundswell of engagement. Then Shen pivots, deciding to shift the conversation to Fu. Fu Yingzi knew the truth in her heart. Shen already belonged to someone else. Any hope for a romance with him was just a fantasy. At least she had been brave enough to ask him directly. But now, Fu Yingzi needed a real opportunity. This second-tier college was a dead end. Finding a decent internship felt nearly impossible. She cursed herself for not having the courage to confess her feelings for him back then. In this world, things never go as planned. She dreamed of earning $8,000 a month, a fortune, double, even triple what any normal job would offer her. But Shen's offer shattered her expectations $10,000, with a massive bonus if she proved her worth. A thrill shot through Fu Yingzi, a rush of pure excitement. But a flicker of doubt remained. What did working for him truly mean? Just then, a persistent voice broke the tension. The boy obsessed with her wouldn't give up his calls echoing outside. Shen Yuen scoffed, his eyes filled with disdain for the man. Pathetic. Fu Yingzi knew she had to end this. She had to face him and settle things for good. But Shen Yuen declared, "I'll handle this nuisance." In one smooth motion, he pulled her close, his hand firmly on her waist. The sudden intimacy sent a shockwave through her. Then he leaned in and pressed a searing kiss to her neck, leaving a deliberate crimson mark. He threw open the door, his voice dripping with contempt. "You again," he sneered at the man outside. That's when Fu Yingzi stepped into view, the mark on her neck impossible to miss. She looked the boy dead in the eye and said, "Stop looking for me. It's over, I have a boyfriend now." With that, she turned and leaned into Shen Yuen's embrace. The man stared, utterly broken. "Since when?" he stammered. Shen Yuen smirked. "We just started." His voice turned ice cold. "So back off, and don't ever bother her again." Defeated, the man collapsed, his cries echoing in the hallway. Shen Yuen watched, unimpressed. This was the real world. A world where money and power crush everything. Once the pathetic display was over, Shen and the woman broke their embrace. The performance was over. The past wouldn't be a problem anymore. Without another word, Shen Yuen turned to leave. He completely ignored the longing look in her eyes, the unspoken hope that this act was something more. But something had shifted inside Shen Yuen. He was tired of this empty charade. It was time to unleash the true knowledge sealed within him. Time to unlock new modules for evolution. He begins with business administration, a field he barely touched in his college days, to conquer the world of business management. Shen Yuen must first master its core disciplines. He dives into both theory and ruthless application. Even for a genius from a top university, this path is a trial by fire. This advisor is no joke, holding a double degree, with her first major in administration. Just then, a message lights up Shen Yuen's screen. The former coffee shop owner is asking him for a drink tonight. He knew it. Their fateful encounter wasn't going to be their last. Shen Yuen sets the date for the following evening, since he already has an important meeting with his teacher tonight. The man on the other end grows restless, now having to endure a full day of waiting to finally see him again. An hour later, his first girlfriend Hui texts him whispering that she misses him. So they meet up. Shen Yuen tells hi, she looks as stunning as always. But deep inside his mind, his thoughts are on teacher Lee, fully aware of the endless line of rivals competing for his affection. After their passionate time together, Hui's affinity score levels up from 91 to 93. The progress is getting tougher, but the harder the grind, the more epic the rewards, just like a high-level quest in a game. Shen Yuen then mentions he'll help her buy a house, and will even take her to see some places this weekend. Overcome with emotion, the girl confesses her love for Shen Yuen and hugs him desperately. The next morning, the college campus is buzzing. Everyone is talking about the new startup, Incubator. They're all wondering if a student was the one who invested the 10 million. The other girls scoff at the idea, thinking none of them are smart enough for real investment. Hui's friend is dying to reveal the truth, but Hui begs her to keep it all a secret. The friend can't understand why Shen Yuen hides his incredible power, yet discreetly flaunts his wealth. She even offers to be an employee or a personal assistant for Hoi Hoi's amazing boyfriend, the friend. Quickly denies having any plans to steal him, swearing she's just overjoyed for Hoi Hoi being with someone like Shen Yuen. But then the friend starts digging for details, asking exactly what they did together. Model, flustered she couldn't find the words. A classmate leaned in asking Yuping if she'd seen the explosive post about the mystery student who dropped 10 million on the incubator project. But Yuping just scoffed. You can't believe every wild rumor you see online. They're just trying to make everyone look like fools. After all, if someone really pulled that off, they would need a net worth of at least 100 million. The college administration would let a person like that do anything they wanted with that kind of influence. Yuping was convinced if someone spent that much, they'd be flaunting it everywhere, not acting so quiet and boring. Yuping and the girl agreed, and their suspicions landed on one person, Shen Yuen. He had the money, and he even bought that coffee shop for the older woman who ran it. She remembered how Shen Yuen blew up over something completely trivial. He had to be the one, the secret rich investor. Meanwhile, the gossip spread like wildfire across campus, but Shen Yuen carried on with his plans unfazed by the whispers. Let them talk. He went to find the counselor, asking for her help. He claimed he wanted to learn the core fundamentals of business administration. He humbly asked her for some private tutoring, and she immediately grew suspicious. What was he plotting this time? But Shen Yuen swore. His intentions were pure. He really just wanted to learn the material. I'll come by your house later, he added casually. The counselor's defenses shot right up. You aren't planning on causing more trouble, are you, Shen Yuen? Flashed his most innocent smile, promising he wouldn't try anything funny. The counselor was still reluctant, but he assured her, there's absolutely nothing you need to worry about. Arriving at her house after a short drive, she made him promise one last time. This isn't going to be a repeat of last time. He declared with 100% certainty, nothing inappropriate is going to happen. With that, Shen Yuen walked inside, and the counselor began to show him her old university textbooks. You'll have to memorize most of these, she stated. But once he connects the theory to the real world, the information burns itself into his memory. Suddenly, after 1 hour of intense focus, Shen Yuen's studies come to a halt. His gaze locks onto her, completely captivated. He murmurs that his counselor is far more fascinating than any textbook. At those words, she knows exactly what's coming and instantly brings up his promise. Shen Yuen just smirks, saying he is studying seriously, but he also wants her to be his girlfriend. With a confident look, he declares the two aren't mutually exclusive. The counselor tells him to stop speaking such nonsense, but he doubles down. He's dead serious about his teacher. In one swift motion, he stands and pulls her into a hug. Shocked, she whispers that her sister is asleep. Right in the next room, Shen Yuen simply grins. Even better, he says. That way her sister will know from the very beginning that their relationship is official. But just as she protests that she never agreed, Shen Yuen steals her words with a kiss, whispering she'll agree eventually. The counselor's mind races. All men are exactly the same. He gave his word that he wouldn't try a single thing. Even so, she commands Shen Yuen's wandering hand to stop, making it perfectly clear that this is as far as it goes. But in that exact moment, Liang wakes up and walks in on a shocking sight. There on the sofa are her sister and Shen Yuen, looking completely shameless. She can't believe her sister is so bold. The teacher practically explodes with frustration. Her own younger sister just witnessed that entire embarrassing scene. But Shen Yuen is unfazed, claiming she would have found out sooner or later, so now is better. The counselor furiously disagrees. She hasn't even accepted his confession yet. How could she possibly explain this scandalous situation to her sister? Shen Yuen cuts through her panic and asks her directly, "Do you even like me?" Her response is a flustered stutter. Because deep down, she does like him. But there's the fact that the forbidden line between teacher and student complicates everything. Just then, Shen Yuen sees a notification. Her affection level climbed 2 points, reaching 71. He knew a woman like her wasn't materialistic. Money was useless. Only genuine effort and sincerity could ever hope to win her heart. I won't give up, he declares, his eyes burning with resolve. I truly hope to see you again soon. The second he leaves, the counselor calls out to her eavesdropping sister. You can come out now, she sighs. Lai bursts in asking, so are you two official yet? She wiggles her eyebrows. Is it time? I started calling him brother-in-law. Flustered, the counselor quickly denies it. We're not together. But her little sister isn't buying it. The romantic tension was practically screaming in the air. Her older sister is left speechless, lost in her own confusing feelings. Lai, however, can see it all perfectly. Her sister is already head over heels for Shen Yuen. She just hasn't admitted it to herself. Later at Nana's cafe, Shen Yuen meets with the former owner. Lin apologizes for calling him so suddenly. I'm in a terrible mood, she confesses, and just needed someone to talk to. It's no trouble at all, Shen Yuen replies gently. He senses her distress, asking with genuine concern. Lin, is everything okay? Her facade crumbles. My husband, he's out all night again. He doesn't even try to hide the scent of other women anymore. She tries to justify her meeting with him. If he can go out and do whatever he pleases, Then surely there's nothing wrong with me having a coffee with a friend. Lin's gaze then sharpens. That new owner, Chen Nana, is she your girlfriend? When Shen Yuen confirms it, Lin presses on. Does she know you're here with me? I'm not sure, he answers calmly. But it wouldn't matter. We have nothing to hide. Good, Lin replies. I'd hate to cause any trouble. I have no intention of interfering with anyone's relationship. Then her voice trembles with sadness. Can I have a hug? Shen Yuen offers the comfort she needs. Come here. He pulls her into a gentle embrace. But as he holds her, he asks a sharp strategic question. And just like that, she was in his arms. Let's not talk about my scumbag husband, she whispered, pulling him into a deep kiss. A jolt of guilt shot through Shen Yuen. He was with another woman in Nana's own cafe. But he crushed that thought. Why should he care? He was a scoundrel after all. Overthinking was for other men. As Shen Yuen's hands began to wander, pushing the boundaries of their encounter, Lin stopped him. Not here, she breathed, I can't. A smirk played on his lips. You can't expect me to behave now. I know, she conceded, a playful glint in her eye. But I can help you. Relax. Still, Shen Yuen's desires burned for more. He was far from satisfied. What followed was a series of much more intimate games. A wave of pure ecstasy washed over Lin. She felt like she'd ascended to paradise itself. Then Shen made an unusual request for her to clean him up. He'd always heard that younger men didn't truly appreciate the allure of a mature woman. How utterly wrong they were. With Lin, everything felt perfect. It was a completely different world. A notification chimed. Her affection level soared to 60. The system's voice echoed. Congratulations, you now have 5 women with affection levels over 60. A special bonus has been unlocked. He was rewarded with double the high efficiency, study cards, and a set of exclusive new skills. Shen Yuen was stunned. He never imagined the system would not only track affection, but also reward him for the sheer number of women who adored him. Curious, he decided to see what fate had in store for him this time. He activated the draw. The management book was a long-term investment, but these new cards could change his life in mere hours. The perfect life draw spun, offering a whirlwind of random rewards, incredible bonuses, legendary items, cold hard cash, even entire businesses, and permanent attribute boosts. Come on, Lucky 7. He thought, praying for something truly game-changing. Lin noticed the sudden pure joy radiating from him. She'd never seen him look so incredibly happy before. It's time for me to go home, she said softly. But this isn't over. We'll continue this next time. Shen was shocked. She actually wanted to continue their secret affair. Just then his phone buzzed. A flood of messages from Fu Yingzi suddenly poured in. The internet was ablaze with debate. Netizens refused to believe any student could actually possess that kind of fortune. But Fu Yingzi simply smirked. To her, online controversy was the best kind of marketing. Shen decided to drop more breadcrumbs. His course, his year, everything but his name. For now, the startup could wait. It was time to see what grand surprise the system had in store for him. With 2 lottery chances in hand, Shen didn't hesitate. The first reward appeared, a 500-meter shop in the prestigious Yunki Elegant Garden. He had 1 week to claim his prize, directly from the sales office. He was blown away. A shop in Star City's most luxurious and profitable location. The rent alone would set him up for life. He could live like a king off this one prize. Riding the wave of luck, he used his second draw. This time it was an attribute adjustment, a direct modification to his physical stats. With this, he could finally crush his training mission, transforming fat into solid muscle. As a natural ectomorph, building mass had always been his greatest struggle. He pumped the points into his weight, adding it to what he'd gained from Coach Lu's regimen. Just like that, he now had 5 kilograms of pure muscle. Then the system revealed another path to power. Reaching high affection levels with women would generate legendary rewards. The mission was clear. He had to expand his network and win the hearts of even more women. A sly grin spread across his face. He could study and get closer to his counselor. This reward card gave him the perfect opening to start a conversation with her. The next day, after hitting the gym and his books, Shen made a power move, buying a Maserati for Chenna and a beastly G63 for himself. Jaws dropped. A car worth $3 million? How could a mere student possibly afford it? The rumors exploded. The mysterious startup founder, a senior from the International Business course, pulls up in a gleaming G-class. Inside the school auditorium, a student is questioned about his motives. Why attend a job fair when your family already runs a corporate empire? The rich heir just smirks. He's here to absorb the tactics of others, honing his skills to become a perfect heir. One must always be evolving. A girl boldly asks if his company has a place for her. Should she fail to secure an internship, the wealthy senior flashes a confident smile. Of course, just send over your resume. Someone like her would be a perfect fit. He declares that any freshman seeking experience can apply to his company. He'll help however he can. After all, they're all from the same prestigious school. But the whispers begin. He isn't here to learn, they sneer. He's here to show off his status and collect women. The girls swoon, calling the senior truly humble, unlike that loser Shen Yuen with his pathetic little coffee shop, chasing after older women. A coffee shop versus a real company? The comparison is utterly laughable. Another girl scoffs, saying it's best not to even mention Shen Yuen's name. After his recent disgrace, he's lost all respect from his peers. The senior then turns to the freshman girl. Does she have time for dinner after? The fare she eagerly accepts. Suddenly, a commotion erupts. Cars are forbidden on campus, so everyone wonders what's going on. Out of nowhere, a beastly G-class roars to a stop, stealing everyone's gaze. Rumors spread like wildfire. They say the mysterious student who dropped 10 million on a startup is the very same person behind the wheel of that car. If he's rich and a student here, he's on a whole other level, more captivating than any upperclassman. Student. Shen Yuen casually asks his two friends, "Hey, need a lift back to the dorms?" But in the next instant, the girl's jaws hit the floor. The one driving that luxury car was Shen Yuen. His own friend stared absolutely dumbfounded at Shen Yuen, commanding the legendary G-Wagon. A gold digger then sauntered over, assuming Shen Yuen was nothing more than the hired driver. But peeking through the tinted glass, she found no one in the back seat. Shen Yuen's friend saw right through her pathetic scheme and snapped, "Get out of the way. We're getting in." The other girls could only wonder, how could someone like Shen Yuen possess such insane wealth completely under the radar? Until this very moment, they wondered if even a desperate apology could ever earn his forgiveness. Deep down, they knew the answer was no. The news that Shen Yuen owned the G-Wagon exploded, sending shockwaves through the entire campus. Suddenly, every other goal vanished for the girls. Their one and only target was now the main character. If he was some 60-year-old tycoon, maybe they'd hesitate. But Shen Yuen was 21 and devastatingly handsome. They hunted down his number, determined to conquer the heart of our newly crowned playboy hero. One girl who already had a boyfriend declared that if she got even a sliver of a chance with Shen Yuen, she'd drop her current boyfriend in a heartbeat. Meanwhile, Long Jing Han approached Fu Yingzi, talking about working with Shen Yuen at his new company. Long Jing Han then asked Fu Yingzi for an introduction to the man of the hour. But Fu Yingzi simply replied that Long Jing Han should be focusing on her broadcasting major, since she was only a sophomore. Long Jing Han fired back, claiming the job market was brutal and she needed a head start. That was her reason for a newfound burning passion for entrepreneurship. Of course, Fu Yingzi didn't buy that flimsy excuse for a second. Long Jing Han was known as the Little Dragon Maiden, famous for her killer physique and petite frame. But later, Fu Yingzi had a change of heart, suddenly realizing she was in the perfect position to play matchmaker. Shen Yuen. A flood of online comments lit up his screen. But his phone might as well have been a brick. He didn't even glance at them. This digital plague of messages, this constant harassment. Shen Yuen muttered that it was utterly disgusting. His friend leaned in, a sly grin on his face. "Hooking up with so many women," he teased. "That you're already sick of the attention? If it were only the girls, he could probably manage." But the real issue was the flood of guys, adding him as well. Even the girls, who couldn't reach Shen Yuen directly, were now bombarding his friends' inboxes. Our hero calmly ordered his friends not to reply to a single one, but they were on the verge of a breakdown, lamenting how they hadn't been with anyone for years, while Shen Yuan was drowning in attention. Their love lives were a desert. For every 500 reputation points the system granted him, a lottery ticket, a chance to win exclusive skills or precious attribute points, he smirked to himself. If it wasn't for this system mission, he wouldn't waste a single second on fleeting fame and reputation. To Shen Yuen, it didn't matter how many people whispered his name. It was all worthless if it didn't have a tangible impact on the students. He needed to earn their genuine respect to boost his reputation score, which was currently sitting at a paltry 33. At that moment, a plan formed. Shen Yuen decided to contact Fu Yingzi, sending a message asking her to meet him at the office immediately. Next on his list, he called Hui Hoi, who answered, excitedly asking to spend the day with him. Shen Yuen directed Hai Hoi to the same location, his office at the school. Now that he was a campus celebrity, Shen Yuen couldn't risk being seen walking around with Hui Hoi. The gossip would be unstoppable. Shen Yuen told his frustrated friends he was leaving and that they shouldn't bother waiting up for him tonight. He assured them that their time to find romance would come even as the summer was drawing to a close. When Shen Yuen finally met Hui Hoi, she immediately wrapped him in a warm hug. He gently urged her inside the office where they could talk privately. Hui Hoi teased, "You're a real celebrity now. Every girl on campus knows who you are." She even mentioned they had leaked Shen Yuen's personal info online. He could only shake his head. These college students were way too emotional. Hui Hoi advised him to be more careful, reminding him that guys need protection too. Shen Yuen then noticed she had closed the window. "Why did you do that?" A playful smile crossed Hui Hoi's lips to show you a few special things I've been wanting to try. But Shen Yuen shut him down. He had a meeting to get to. Just then, Hai Hoi appeared, a playful smirk on her lips. She struck a sensual pose, a clear challenge to Shen Yuen. Meanwhile, Fu Yingzi heard a peculiar sound, seeping from within Shen Yuen's office. Her eyes widened. That was no business negotiation. Knowing the kind of power her boss wielded, Fu Yingzi knew this was something she shouldn't witness. She quickly hid herself. as his secretary Fu's duty was clear. Stand guard, ensure no one overheard the secrets within. An entire class period ticked by. Fu realized with a sigh they were still at it. Her energy was already beginning to drain. Suddenly the door creaked open. Hai Hoi emerged, her gaze locking onto Fu with possessive pride, a silent declaration of victory. Hai Hoi sauntered over to Fu, her voice a low purr. Curious? She whispered. What the boss and I were discussing. Later, Shen Yuen remarked that the project's buzz was explosive, all thanks to Hoi Hoi. But Hai Hoi, with a show of humility, simply smiled. I couldn't possibly have done it all alone. With this much hype, Shen Yuen declared, our project will be a magnet for talent. I want ideas with real potential. Hai Hoi tilted her head. And what are the criteria? Shen Yuen's eyes gleamed with a strange light. It must match our school's incredible new vibe. Even if we aren't a top-tier university, he continued, we possess a unique, overwhelming advantage. That advantage, the simple fact that they're female students, are exceptionally beautiful. Fu's mind reeled. Did he spend all that money just to find gorgeous girls? Was this a concubine selection for a modern emperor? Is that truly what you want? Fu dared to ask. Shen Yuen confirmed it without a hint of hesitation. Of course, he said coolly. We're providing opportunities. With so many applicants, it only makes sense to choose the ones that please us the most. And you, Fu, will handle the first round of screening, handing the list of candidates over to Shen Yuen. Fu couldn't help but find it strange. Shen Yuen only selected people who were easy on the eyes, each with a profound sense of purpose as if they were born for a noble quest. Shen Yuen then inquired if the second phase of his test was prepared, and she confirmed that everything was ready. He finally understood. Shen Yuen wasn't just recruiting. He was creating a perfect pretext to weed out the unworthy without causing a single ripple. Secretary Fu proposed a cunning solution to her boss. Leak the exam answers to their hand-picked candidates. Shen Yuen smirked, a flawless strategy. But for Ezzy, a flicker of doubt. Was she really any different? From the ancient officials who presented women to the emperor. She couldn't help but wonder what would happen when these girls were inevitably pitted against each other. Ultimately, she decided the choice rests with each person. Those too timid to even sign their name were never really in the running anyway. Fu Yingzi's salary of 10,000 a month bought more than skill. It ensured absolute loyalty. With practiced ease, Secretary Fu presented the first file. Her age, Shen Yuen's question cut through the air. But Fu, easy misunderstanding, began detailing the candidate's impressive body measurements. No, he interrupted coolly. I want to know her actual age. Flustered Fu Yingzi quickly corrected herself. She is 19 years old, sir, and her nickname is the Little Dragon Maiden. A slow smile spread across Shen Yuen's face. A dragon to be tamed. First, he would have to get closer. Her number, he ordered simply. As if on cue, his phone lit up with a new message. It was from the married woman at the coffee shop. An invitation for a drink, tonight. He hadn't expected her to move so quickly. Shen Yuen mused to himself. Just a drink? A tantalizing thought. He typed his reply. Tonight works. Her heart pounded in her chest. His late response only amplified her anticipation. It felt like the giddy rush of a teenage first love. Now, she just had to survive until 9 p.m. tonight. When Shen Yuen finally reached his car, he discovered a daring little note left on his windshield. Some bold college girl, clearly. But that wasn't all. 2 other young women suddenly appeared asking Shen Yuen to the mall. He dismissed them with an effortless charm. Sorry, I'm about to pick someone up. Then he delivered the final blow. Besides, my list is full. I'm not accepting new contacts at the moment. The students' faces burned with humiliation. It seems even pretty girls can get a taste of rejection. Them. Shen Yuen wasn't just on another level. He was in a different world driving a 3 million yuan car. It was a sum they could never earn in their lifetime. Their bitter jealousy soon exploded into a pathetic brawl. They were fighting over the scraps of their male pride. They confessed that if they could escape the grind for money, they would bow their heads and swear absolute loyalty to Shen Yuen. In their minds, even becoming his dog wasn't such a terrible fate. At 9 p.m., Shen Yuen sat across from the woman. She looked at him with concern and asked if he was having trouble at home. Then her expression shifted. She decided to ask him something completely unexpected. Do you, she asked quietly, believe in love? Shen Yuen remembered, back in high school he did. That feeling of a heart pounding like a drum? That first love was the only real thing he ever felt. After she was gone, that feeling never returned. Not with Joe, not with Nana, and certainly not with Lu and Hui. It was always just empty. But Shen Yuen looked her in the eyes and said, I believe, however. His answer felt hollow and she could tell. Suddenly her phone rang, shattering the moment. She explained she'd called an air conditioner technician and was setting up a time for a home visit. He can come anytime, she said, afternoon or tomorrow morning. Lin then explained that her AC broke a few days ago, and she'd been suffering through the nights with only a fan. Shen Yuen stopped her. You didn't need to call anyone. I know how to fix it, he declared. A statement that left Lin completely stunned. In his mind, he summoned the skill package exchange card. The options materialized. Cooking combat, home repairs, and basic driving. Shen Yuen instantly redeemed the home repairs package. A torrent of information flooded his brain. schematics for TVS refrigerators, and, of course, air conditioners. His very fingers felt more agile, more precise. The instincts of a master technician were now his. "I've just tinkered a lot," he said with a confident smile. "You learn a few things." He then casually asked, "Is your husband home?" And Lin replied that, with Zong away for the night, Shen Yuen saw his chance. He immediately got to work on the broken air conditioner. Her husband wouldn't be back, and their son was safe with his grandparents. But Shen Yuen's presence in Lin's house under any pretext filled the air with a strange, palpable tension. Shen Yuen casually explained the problem. The air conditioner was merely clogged with dust. He promised a simple filter cleaning would restore it completely. Before he arrived, Lin's imagination had run wild. She worried he might make a move on her, alone in the house like this. But it seemed his only goal was to fix the AC. Her mind was a chaotic mess. She needed a shower to clear her racing thoughts. "I'm going to go wash up," she announced, escaping the room. 15 minutes later, Lin emerged to a blessedly cool room. The air conditioner was humming, already working its magic. She was speechless, unsure how to even begin to thank him for this miracle. Shen Yuen just smiled. "Oh, I know a way you can repay me." Lin's heart froze. "I can't do that," she stammered, her mind flashing with the fear of her husband's return. He pressed closer, his voice a low whisper. "Whether it's something in the house that's broken, or something in your heart, I can fix it." Then he began an act of intense passion, and to her shock, Lin found herself surrendering to the pleasure. This, she thought, was fair payment for his services. In that moment, Lin realized this was what it meant, to truly let go of all inhibitions. Every moment she'd spent with Zong now felt like a complete waste. He was just too weak for her. Just then, a weary and stressed Zong, her husband, stumbled toward the door. His night had been a disaster of cheap drinks and fending off some desperate woman's advances. He just wanted to go home and collapse. Suddenly, the unmistakable sound of the front door opening echoed through the house. A wave of pure shock washed over Lin. She shot up, her eyes wide with disbelief. Her husband Zong was actually home. "Be quiet," she hissed at Shen Yuen, her mind racing. If Zong discovered this, she would lose every advantage. She had carefully planned for their divorce. Shen Yuen simply replied, "I'll lock the door," leaving Lin to wonder how he could remain so terrifyingly calm. He thought the house was empty, but the humming air conditioner grated on his nerves. Such a complete waste of power. That woman Lin was truly useless. All day long, she accomplished nothing, completely neglecting her duties. Why was the bedroom door locked from the inside? A flicker of irritation sparked into full-blown rage. Shen Yuen's voice was a low whisper. "I don't want to make things difficult for you," he murmured. A drunken Zong slurred, "Is Lin angry? Mad that I came home late again? I was just networking after work." But inside the room, Shen Yuen and Lin continued their performance, ignoring him completely. "Let me in," Zong roared, his fury boiling over. "Fine, I won't even bother with my husbandly duties tonight. We'll deal with this tomorrow." And with that, he collapsed, dead to the world in a drunken stupor. Lin whispered urgently, "Keep your voice down. My husband is right on the other side of that wall." Shen Yuen scoffed. "He snores like a pig. He won't hear a single thing." In fact, he teased, "His snoring is so intense. My own body is reacting without my permission." Lin knew Shen Yuen was playing with fire. She couldn't let her emotions get the better of her, not now. She focused, trying desperately not to make a sound, praying Zong would hear nothing. The next morning, Zong awoke to a splitting headache. He was certain that bartender had slipped him something. He saw fresh coffee. Lin hadn't done that in 2 years. What in the world had gotten into her? A perfect docile wife at home, and thrilling adventures outside. That was his ideal life. "Did you sleep well?" Zong asked, probing. "You did lock the door on me again." Looking radiant, Lin simply replied, "Like a dream." A strange feeling crept over him. When Lin's behavior changed so suddenly, it always meant she was plotting something. A nagging suspicion against him. Desperate for proof, the husband frantically checks the sheets, and even the trash can, but finds absolutely nothing. He sighs, convinced it was all in his head, and decides to join his wife for breakfast. However, a memory surfaces. That strange noise from inside the wall. He asks if she heard it too. His wife, putting on a perfect mask of innocence, claims she slept soundly and heard nothing at all. Then she points out with a smile that the air conditioner which had been broken was now working. Like a charm. She casually explains she called a technician to come and fix it. The husband felt a wave of relief. The noise he heard, it must have been the repairman. His heart finally settled. At a cozy coffee shop, Li Ying looked at her best friend Joe with concern. She could tell Joe hadn't slept in 2 days. Joe finally confessed the reason for her despair. Her ex-boyfriend Shen Yuen had become a millionaire, a fact that crushed her spirit completely. Li Ying paused, asking which ex she meant. Joe confirmed it was Shen Yuen, the only one she'd ever really had. Li Ying was baffled, remembering Shen Yuen as the guy who was always broke, the one who'd even been forced to sell his car. Joe explained that the moment they broke up, Shen Yen's fortunes had completely turned around, buying a new apartment and car for some other woman. The mention of over 5 million made Li Ying gasp. She questioned if that kind of money could even be real. As proof, Joe revealed the woman in question was her own personal trainer, who'd been flaunting her new life in online stories, posing with the luxury car, and even quitting her job just to be with Shen Yuen. Joe felt like the universe was mocking her. She deeply regretted leaving Shen Yuen for Hojun, while her ex was now living a life of unimaginable wealth. Li Ying tried to offer some comfort, telling her that the past was in the past and that with her stunning looks and a great job at an airline, Zhou would surely find someone worthy. But Zhou just shook her head. She declared that from now on she was only interested in men with at least 10 million to their name. Li Ying was completely stunned when Zhou revealed her shocking new goal. She was going to get back together with Shen Yuen. The only problem, he had blocked her on everything, and she couldn't find him anywhere. College wondering how he amassed such a fortune. Li Ying suggested that Zhou should lower her ridiculously high standards, but Zhou shot back, her pride wounded, insisting her friend knew she could never settle. A bitter pang shot through her heart. All that money Shen Yuen lavished on other women, it rightfully belonged to her. "Help me get him back," she pleaded, desperate. Li Ying's fingers flew across her phone. "Sure," she typed. "Let me get you the number for the nearest psychiatric ward." Elsewhere in a high-rise hotel, Coach Liu Manglu gazed at the sprawling city below. "What's on your mind?" Shen Yuen asked, finding her by the window. Liu Manglu confessed her confusion. "It's just, with the training plan and the diet, your results, they're not just good, they're superhuman." Shen Yuen smirked. "That's because I'm not like other people. That's why everything is so perfect." His brain's immunity and activity levels had skyrocketed, thanks to his unique exercises, which would soon become his new normal. He thought about the countless people living in a state of poor health. He would be the one to change that, building an empire and a legendary reputation along the way. "Don't wait up," Shen Yuen told his trainer. "I have other things to attend to." But Liu Manglu simply smiled. "It's no problem, I'll wait for you." In her heart, a plan was forming. She would prepare his meals and lay out his workout clothes, dedicating every morning to him. She would stay by his side forever. Meanwhile, Shen Yuen's thoughts drifted to his past. Hui. She was the first one to be with him. He'd only given her 2 luxury bags, but with his dream of earning billions, it felt like nothing. Nana and Meng received a house and a car. He resolved to compensate Hui properly. It was a debt he intended to repay. At a restaurant near campus, Manhwa sat with her, cousins assuring them with a warm smile. "I'm doing great with my classmates," she said. "Please eat as much as you'd like, it's all on me." The family gathering quickly became an interrogation. Her cousins pried about international trade majors, pushing to know if an internship was on the horizon. Minhoi casually replied that it was set for next semester. As for her career, she hadn't even given it a thought. Her cousins immediately pounced. "You have to plan, your college is considered weak." A smirk touched her lips. "I'm well aware of that." Their next angle of attack. Her love life. They warned her it's much harder to find someone after graduation. One cousin chimed in, "Look at Shang, she's in her final year. And she's already secured an internship that will become a full-time position." Another offered out of pity, "I can introduce you to someone." But Minhoi just smiled. "I appreciate it. But I'm already dating, so no thanks." She explained she hadn't mentioned it to the family, simply because she hadn't had the time. Her boyfriend. He's a student just like her. They'd only been together for 2 weeks. The warnings intensified. "Dating is no joke," they sneered. "Finding a man from a second-tier college is a terrible idea." Still, Minhoi remained calm, thanking them for their concern, and assuring them her future was not going to be a struggle. But her cousin wouldn't let it go. "Coming from a place like that, you and your boyfriend will slave away just to buy a house?" The insult was clear. He worried her boyfriend had no ambition, that he'd be another nobody content with very little. That's when Minhoi's eyes turned cold. "You don't need to worry about me." A sharp glint in her eyes, she declared, "Your precious young is nothing compared to my boyfriend." Then she stood up ready to make her grand exit. Minhoi announced that her next appointment was to buy an apartment, alongside her boyfriend. The entire table was rocked by shock. A barrage of questions flew through the air about her mysterious boyfriend and the city's insane real estate prices. Their disbelief was palpable, and that's when he appeared. Shen Yuen stood outside a powerful presence. Minhoi confirmed their unspoken question. "His family, they're doing well. He has more than enough money." When Shen Yuen... As he arrives, he looks at Minhoi and asks if she's ready to leave before being introduced to her wide-eyed cousins. Shen Yuen offers a slight apology, explaining that he can't possibly join them. After all, he already scheduled an apartment viewing with Minhoi. Still, he smoothly insists on paying their entire bill. The cousins stammer that there's no problem at all, excitedly adding that they'll be family soon enough and will see each other all the time. The moment he's gone, they wonder could Shen Yuen really be buying her an entire apartment. The conclusion was obvious. The man drives a car worth 3 million. A wave of shame washes over them, realizing they tried to set Minhoi up with one of their own broke relatives. Minhoi's cousin admits she has never felt so humiliated. In her life, her face flushing beet red with shame. Just like that, Shen Yuen buys a 166 square meter apartment costing 3 million all for Minhoi. The system rewards him with a cashback of 6 million, launching Shen Yuen's total balance to a staggering 31 million. Minhoi whispers that she doesn't know how she could ever thank him. In response, Shen Yuen just teases her with a wicked smirk. He leans in close and says that in a little while he'll put on a special adult movie for her, promising she'll learn very, very quickly. As Shen Yuen says these indecent things just to provoke a reaction, her affinity for him skyrockets. System notification affinity level has risen from 91 to 93. To finally reach the 100-point mark, it will take true dedication. A challenge Shen Yuen promises he'll tackle tonight. Just then, Shen Yuen's phone buzzes with a new message. It's from a freshman girl asking him what he's doing and if he has any entrepreneurship tips for her. Although Shen Yuen had accepted her friend request, he leaves her desperate. Messages completely unanswered. The freshman fumes, thinking that no matter how busy he is, Shen Yuen could at least send a simple reply. Her friends just shake their heads, telling her it's better not to get involved. The competition for Shen Yuen is on another level, and chasing him is a complete waste of time. With a sigh, they decide to forget him and focus on their studies and research instead. The library. But this freshman had a different plan. She was determined to win Shen Yuen's heart, and knew that simple approach wouldn't work. In her eyes, he was handsome, powerful, with a fortune that could rewrite her destiny. She couldn't blame the other girls for chasing him. After all, she was playing the exact same game. For now, she'd focus on her proposals. Shen Yuen suddenly asked about her future ambitions. With a hopeful voice, she answered that she wanted to join the incubator program. Shen Yuen smirked, revealing he had other companies, and could offer Manhwa a shortcut to unimaginable wealth. He knew if she kept chasing him on campus, her dream of building an all-female team would vanish. So Shen Yuen pitched a series of unconventional ideas, casually listing the names of several famous adult film stars. A deep blush spread across Minho's face. How could he possibly know so many names? He simply said he'd done his research. With her eyes squeezed shut, she blindly pointed at one. 20 minutes later, the air crackled with undeniable tension. Minho couldn't believe what was happening. She was a natural learning moves she'd never imagined. Would this make Shen Yuen see her more often? A chilling thought crept into her mind. Were there 10 other girls just like her, doing anything and everything just to please him? The next morning, a frantic vibration shattered the silence, followed by Minho's startled shout. It was a call from Liu Hong, his voice ragged with panic. What happened? He practically screamed. Liu Hong begged Shen Yuen to stop wasting time and raced to the location he'd just sent. A cold dread filled Shen Yuen. He immediately changed his plans, but then Liu Hong abruptly changed the meeting point. Just as Shen Yuen was about to arrive, a flash of irritation crossed Shen Yuen's face. This last-minute switch was infuriating, but Liu Hong swore he'd just gotten there himself, claiming he was dragged to the new spot and insisted Shen Yuen had to come. He offered zero explanations, only saying he would be waiting downstairs. After waiting for over 30 minutes, he was just about ready to leave. Shen Yuen realized this new spot was dangerously close, right next to the counselor's house. He just prayed his terrible luck wouldn't lead to a disastrous encounter. Suddenly, a stranger's voice cut in, asking why he was just standing there instead of having some fun. The man boasted that girl number 98 inside was absolutely out of this world. Shen Yuen just scoffed, saying he already had enough beauties in his life. He had zero interest in stepping foot in that kind of establishment. The man's eyes gleamed, admiring Shen Yuen's ride, calling it the car of his dreams. Shen Yuen casually mentioned he'd just picked up the brand new G-Class. Annoyed, he told the guy to stop wasting his time and asked why Liu Hong had summoned him here. Liu Hong reminded him he wasn't just a customer. He was a partner. He couldn't just disappear from his own bar, especially with renovations finishing in just 2 days. Liu Hong insisted Shen Yuen come inside to inspect the place and check out the service, practically dragging him to see the legendary girl number 98. But in that exact moment, Lai Meng and the counselor spotted him. Their eyes locked onto Shen Yuen's figure, and they recognized him instantly. His friend saw the sudden shift in his expression, mistaking his panic for excitement over girl 98. A wave of pure shame washed over Shen Yuen. What kind of cruel coincidence was it to meet his teacher here of all places? His friend, oblivious, then asked who the two women were. Shen Yuen begged them to wait, but Lai was already dragging the shocked counselor away. Are you on your way to cook? Shen Yuen desperately asked, even offering to lend her a hand. But Li Meng erupted with fury. Did he have no shame standing in a place like this? He had already hurt her sister so deeply. Shen Yuen tried to defend himself, pleading it was all a huge misunderstanding. He was just there waiting for a friend. Lai shot back that his excuse was pathetic. She revealed the counselor had actually been making a real effort, trying so hard to finally accept him. She even went out of her way to buy him a gift, to thank him for the bag he'd given her. But now Lai seethed, telling him to get out of their sight for good, in an instant. At the same time, the teacher's affinity points took a nosedive, plummeting all the way down to 60. This one disastrous moment ruined everything. Shen Yuen was so close to finally winning. Her heart? His buddy asked if he needed some backup explaining this mess to his new flame. But Shen Yuen knew it was pointless. She's absolutely furious, he said. Your explanation would just add fuel to the fire. Right now. A heavy feeling settled in his chest. This time, he'd truly wounded the counselor. His friend admitted he'd never seen her around before. Shen Yuen clarified the connection. She's my English teacher, he confessed, for the international trade course. His friend's eyes widened in shock. He was getting tangled up with his own teacher. Dude, he exclaimed, you really play on hard mode. Shen Yuen just needed one chance to explain it all to the counselor. Then they could find somewhere quiet to finally talk. When he met up with Shen Na, she beamed happy he came, all the way to the cafe. Hey, Shen Yuen said. I brought a friend along for coffee. Shen Na ordered a latte and an iced Americano. Shen Yun's friend stared a flicker of recognition in his eyes. I've seen you somewhere, he mumbled, but I just can't place it. That's when Shen Yuen dropped the bomb. She was Lin Guangyo's cousin's girlfriend. His friend recoiled. Wait, you got involved? With his cousin's girl? And how did she end up here of all places? Shen Yuen sighed. It was just a mutual connection between us. His friend couldn't believe it. This was absurd. First-year teacher and now a friend's ex-girlfriend, he cried out, cutting the interrogation short. Shen Yuen looked determined. I need to step away from the bar for a while. I'm leaving everything in your hands. His friend hesitated. Are you sure I don't know if I can run this place without you? But Shen Yuen placed a hand on his shoulder. I trust you, besides too much meddling. It could cause their ideas to clash and shatter their entire friendship. But Shen Yuen's friend swears he'll do everything in his power not to let him down. At that very moment, Shen Yuen's coffee is served. He looks up, thanking the woman with a warm smile, and casually calling her his sister-in-law. The woman turns to her boyfriend, Shen Yuen's friend, pointing out his wrinkled shirt before fixing it for him. Shen Yuen watches them, feeling their effortless intimacy so strongly, it makes his own loneliness ache. Chen, Na's younger sister, had mentioned once, during the holidays, that she had thought about getting a job at the cafe. Shen Yuen thinks it's a wonderful idea. With that settled, Chen Na heads off for a much-needed shower after a long day. Meanwhile, Shen Yuen decides to call the counselor, hoping to explain himself, but the call goes unanswered, and Shen Yuen feels a knot of worry tighten in his gut. But Li Meng scoffs. He actually has the nerve to call you? She urges the counselor, block him right now. Lai declares that Shen Yuen isn't worth a single one of the counselor's tears, calling him a man of truly rotten character. The teacher wonders aloud what kind of appeal those places, those brothels, even hold for men. Lai replies that sadly, most men are all the same. The counselor then asks, if she already knows what men are truly like, why is she still the one suffering? Lai explains that men chase thrills, and when their own needs aren't met, they seek satisfaction elsewhere. Counselor's mind begins to spiral. Maybe it was her fault for not helping Shen Yuen find relief, that he only went to that place because of her own failings. She starts blaming herself over and over until Lai gets furious, yelling at her to snap out of it. Lai then asks the counselor to remember what happened the last time she fell so deeply in love. The painful memory floods back, and with it, the counselor regains control, refusing to be swept away by her emotions. Suddenly, colleagues who had never given him the time of day start approaching Shen Yuen asking for business. Destinies. He had no time to entertain them. But the so-called Dragon Maiden wouldn't stop sending him messages. She sent pointless chatter about the campus weather and the shifting winds. Shen Yuen knew her photos were nothing but carefully crafted illusions. He wanted to witness her supposed delicacy with his own two eyes, and so he silenced his phone with a flick, deciding he'd reply when he had a spare moment, or never. He treated the freshman with a cold indifference, a calculated move designed to fan the flames of her desire. But in that very instant, Nana appeared like a mirage draped in a blazer that highlighted her sensual curves, her voice calling his name. It was a test of his iron willpower, and he failed spectacularly as he tore away at her clothes. He was powerless to resist. Nana's beauty was simply overwhelming, and he captured her lips in a deep kiss. Nana immediately noticed the change. Shen felt stronger, more powerful. Have you been hitting the gym? She whispered. As they moved to the couch, Shen asked with a sly grin, do you know how to ride a horse? He leaned in closer. Because tonight I will be your untamed stallion, and you will learn to ride. And tomorrow, he promised he'd take her on a real horseback adventure. When Nana confessed, she didn't quite understand how it worked. Shen simply said he would teach her. He reveled in the way Nana took the reins, and the two of them descended into a night of passionate chaos. Meanwhile, back at the university, a storm of his own making was brewing. Hundreds of students were swarming the professor with their project submissions. Before, no one had even bothered with the startup grants. But now, every student on campus was desperate for one. Later, Shen was on the treadmill next to Menglu when a call from his secretary interrupted his workout. The secretary's voice was filled with disbelief as she informed him that the first wave of applications for the startup projects had arrived, a grand total of over 600. The gender ratio was shocking, 628 women to only 25 men. He tasks his secretary with handling the screening process. He gives her a clear directive: don't just turn away all the men. If any of them have a solid project, they're to be sent his way. Otherwise, they'd just become another dance troupe. He knows cultivating talent is crucial. After all, when he starts acquiring system companies, he'll need loyal commanders to lead them. But seeing Shen with his coworker Minglu's jealousy flares, She denies it, of course, but Shen just smirks. He assures her his relationship with Fu is purely professional. Sheen knows the system's rules well. Once a third woman's affection breaks 90, a special bonus is unlocked. A single loving phrase was all it took to push Minglu's affection over the edge. Now Shen waits to see what legendary prize the system has in store for him. The reward materializes a 5mm upgrade to his spear, plus 30 million in exclusive funds and new abilities. The family fund is a godsend for his parents. And while he still has abilities in reserve, this particular physical enhancement leaves even him completely stunned. Without hesitation, Shen commands the system to activate the first reward. A potent warmth spreads from below his navel. He stops his workout, a grin on his face, and calls for Minglu, using a new intimate nickname, leaving her completely bewildered. Later in the post-workout shower, Minglu's eyes go wide with shock. Stuttering Minglu says something about him feels different. She thinks it has to be the result of their intense training sessions. Shen just chuckles, suggesting that maybe she was the one who changed him. A flicker of fear crosses her eyes as she begs him to go easy on her. Shen realizes this upgrade had a much bigger effect than he imagined and promises to be gentle. It seems the coach deserves a long rest after all. But just then, an emergency alert flashes. Shen muses that his other women will also need to adapt to the might of his newly forged weapon. A day after the confrontation with the counselor, a chill runs down his spine. She isn't answering her phone or responding to his texts. Shen realizes the only way to resolve this is face-to-face. Would she finally realize his innocence? Would she see this was all just a terrible misunderstanding? He takes a breath and knocks. He tries a weak excuse, claiming he's a neighbor from downstairs. But the moment the door opens, she sees his face. It's Shen. Her eyes narrow. "You're lying again," she says coldly. He asks if he can just step inside. She scoffs. Why would she ever let him in? Just what is he planning to pull this time? "I need to explain," Shen insists. "Everything you saw yesterday was a huge mistake." The counselor isn't buying it for a second. She'd never believe he just wandered into a place like that and did absolutely nothing. But Shen stands his ground. He swears he is telling the truth. "I don't want your excuses," she snaps back, refusing to even listen. Shen pushes forward anyway. His childhood friend suddenly switched their meeting place to that club at the last minute. He just wanted to talk. It was pure chance they ran into each other. He desperately tried to call her, to clear the air, but she blocked his calls. Her expression is stone. "So how can you prove it?" How can he prove he was just waiting there, and that nothing else happened? Shen pulls out his phone. He shows her the entire conversation. The proof is right there. The location changed from a restaurant to the club. He explains he was rushing his friend to hurry up the second he got there. "I swear," he says, "you can check the security footage yourself." His desperate explanation combined with undeniable proof, it was actually convincing. Her doubt begins to waver. She finally believes him. A notification chimes. Affection level rises to 70, especially when Shen adds he would never even think of visiting such a shady place. Realization dawns on her face, followed by shame. She apologizes. The score instantly jumps to 72, with the crisis averted. Our main character gets a little bold. He asks if he can come in for a glass of water. Her eyes widen instantly. She realizes he's using the exact same line as before. The hero panics, swearing he ran all the way here. He's dying of thirst and promises he won't try a thing. She's still suspicious, but tells him to wait right there while she goes to get him some water. The water? And a moment later she returns, presenting the glass. But Shen Yuen can't fathom the counselor's piercing glare. A look that screams pervert. Even a nosy neighbor watching, the whole scene chimes in that the best things in life can't be rushed. He tells the young man that patience is a virtue, but our protagonist fires back with a cold retort, he who hesitates. The swift sees the feast while the hesitant are left with crumbs. The older woman was utterly captivated. His bold philosophy was truly charming. Maybe she needed a companion with that exact fire. The visit was a resounding success, clearing all doubts. Not only was the misunderstanding completely erased, he scored an invitation, leveling up their affinity. Later, our hero's phone buzzes with a call from Sujue. She's on video looking a little flustered. With a professional tone, she reports the major work is done. She asks when he might be free to inspect it. "I'm coming now," Shen says without a second's thought. "Stay right there and wait for me," he commands gently. In less than half an hour, his shadow falls over her. He smirks. "Why are you so jumpy? Anyone would think I was about to pounce on you." They head inside and Zui takes the lead. She walks him through the progress step by step. He watches as her entire demeanor shifts. In her element, she radiates pure confidence. The patio was a perfect reflection of his desires. A deep satisfaction settled over our protagonist. Seeing her masterful organization put him at ease. "Let's go for dinner," he suggests smoothly. "My treat." But she shakes her head. "I have to get home. I promised I would make dinner tonight." For my mother and my brother." As she turns, she walks straight into a firm chest. Shen had deliberately blocked her path. Looking deep into her startled eyes, Yuen speaks softly. "You really are beautiful," he says, leaving her breathless. For a moment, time itself freezes. Then the sky breaks open. A torrential rain begins to fall, forcing them to run. As they find shelter, her thin shirt is soaked through. "Please don't look," she cries, face burning red. But his eyes were already captivated by the lovely sight. She shivers, letting out a tiny sneeze from the cold. "Allow me," Shen says, his voice a low whisper. He steps behind her, wrapping her in a warm embrace. "I'm just protecting you from the wind," he murmurs. Sue has never been this close to a man before. Her heart pounds, a strange heat spreading through her. Yet she doesn't resist reminding herself. He is the company's single most important client. Noticing her dazed expression, Shen leans in with a smirk, as if she were completely captivated by his striking features. Su Shui's mind reeled. Was this pure arrogance? Or was he just playfully teasing her? Utterly speechless, Shen Yuen realized this girl was too pure. She couldn't even handle a simple compliment. A small smirk appeared on his face. He could definitely make a move. She wasn't truly upset, just delightfully awkward. 30 minutes later, the downpour finally ceased. Shen Yuen released her arm, offering a soft apology and a ride home. 40 minutes later, he pulled up to her building. After dropping her off, he casually asked if he could come up. Shen Yuen already guessed her family situation wasn't the best, but he never imagined they lived in a place that was practically crumbling to the ground. Su Shui warned him she had to start cooking immediately, so she couldn't really entertain him. Down on the street, the neighbors' eyes were glued to the luxurious car that had just arrived. Could that possibly be Su Shui's boyfriend? They assumed she had finally found someone, but they were deeply skeptical of his intentions. Rich men like that only care about their reputation. In their judgmental eyes, he would never bother with a humble family. He was only looking for an innocent girl to play with. But one man among those gossips spoke up, telling them to show some decency and stop talking about the hardships Su Shui already faced. Inside, Su Shui's brother was overjoyed to see her. She promised to make something for him immediately, knowing he must be hungry. Just then, her mother was about to ask about her younger brother, and Su Shui quickly introduced her guest. This is Jiazino. Her younger brother, Su Jingji, was so shy he didn't even look up to greet Shen Yuen. Meanwhile, Su Shui's mother suddenly rose to her feet, stretching dramatically, as she eyed the strange man. "And who is this?" Su Shui introduced Shen Yuen as merely a friend. However, her mother's sharp gaze told her she didn't believe it. After all, her daughter had never brought a man to their home before. Her mother's mind leapt to one conclusion. This had to be her boyfriend. She warmly thanked him for the food he'd brought along. Shen Yuen sat down patiently, while Su Shui got started on dinner. Su Jingji watched everything silently, offering a glass of water to their esteemed guest. 30 minutes later, a delicious aroma fills the air as the feast is finally served. Su Jingji's face lights up with pure joy at his older sister's incredible cooking. Su's mother insists that Shen Yuen eat to his heart's content. Shen Yuen is touched by her genuine kindness, replying that just being able to taste Su's food is already a tremendous honor. In that moment, he understands the source of Su's unyielding spirit. She has become the very pillar of her household. Forced to be strong for her family's sake, Su then insists she'll transfer him the money for the groceries he so generously bought. Shen Yuen, our protagonist, just smiles and asks to borrow Su's phone for a moment. With that, he bids them farewell and departs. Su casually picks up her phone and her world stops. A transfer notification for 50,000 yuan flashes on the screen. She rushes to the window shouting for Shen Yuen to come back, but he coolly pretends not to hear. 50,000 yuan is pocket change for a man like him, but for Su's family, it's a much-needed lifeline. He just wonders if her pride will let her accept it. Shen Yuen also noted that he couldn't see Su's affinity points, feeling a strange sensation, like he was reclaiming a part of himself he had lost. Just then, his phone buzzes, snapping him back to reality. His secretary Fu Yingzi is on the line. The list is ready. They've narrowed it down to 12 people. A single woman among 11 men. Shen Yuen praises Fu Yingzi for her excellent work, promising a handsome bonus this month. Now his focus shifts to his father's upcoming birthday. He's planning a gift that will shake everyone, a $30 million fund. The plan involves 3 key women, and it will require one night with each to secure the deal. Shen Yuen is a master at balancing these different worlds. A curious neighbor approaches Su's mother, asking if the man who visited earlier was her daughter's new boyfriend. Su's mother can only shrug, but she adds that Shen Yuen is clearly on another level. His car alone costs $3 million. If Su were to marry a man of his stature, the family's entire fate would change in an instant. It was clear a serious talk with her daughter was in order. Su's marriage is her own decision, and her mother won't let her feel shackled by the need to marry a wealthy man. Though she can't read her daughter's heart, she knows Su must like Shen Yuen. He came all the way to their family home after all. Even if Su is hesitant about him, her mother thinks a little push might be needed. But her mother worries they're moving far too quickly. The man only stopped by to rest for a moment. That can't mean anything serious. But the prying neighbor insists that a man like Shen Yuen doesn't make house calls unless something is brewing. Perhaps Shen Yuen was interested at first, but one look at their humble family situation might have made him change his mind on the spot. The sharp-tongued words ignite the mother's anger. She storms back inside, determined to get the full story from her daughter. Her mother demands to know about her connection with the man who visited earlier. Su explains, Shen Yuen is simply a client from her company who came to view the house. She only caught a ride because the rain suddenly started pouring. But when her mother asks if he's interested, Sue admits he seemed different today. The last time they had lunch, she recalls, a stunningly beautiful girl was with Shen Yuen, looking very much like his girlfriend, overwhelmed. Sue tells her mother she has no idea what to feel about Shen Yuen. That question is too personal, she cries out. After all, Shen Yuen is nothing more than a company client. Her mother's tone softens, telling her to ignore what Auntie Jang said. She knows Sue has been carrying the weight of this family all by herself. Sue has already sacrificed more for them than they could ever ask for. All her mother truly wants is for her to find happiness. In that moment, the mother and daughter embrace. But as she's held, another memory surfaces. Shen Yuen's arms around her, sending a blush to her cheeks. Meanwhile, in a hotel room far away, Shen Yuen lies with Coach Liu, Minglu. Laughter fills the air as the two share a night of unbridled passion. A woman, a call from the decoration store owner. Shen Yuen finally picks up, his voice cautious. He apologizes for any bother and gets straight to the point. He needs to discuss the apprentice Su Shui. Without delay, Shen Yuen heads to the store, immediately asking if something is wrong with Su Shui. Considering the early morning summons, the owner explains that Shen Yuen transferred 50,000 wen, and when Su Shui tried to return it, he flatly refused to accept. She begs him not to take it the wrong way, but his gesture made Sue deeply uncomfortable at work. She insists Sue is the kind of person who could never accept such a gift. It's a delicate matter. She just wants him to take it back. He scoffs. Was I called here just for this? The owner tries to explain that Sue is different. She's no gold digger. If he truly wants to win her heart, he'll have to put in real effort. But he coldly dismisses the idea, stating he has no interest in Su Shui. The money was sent on mere whim. Seeing no point in arguing further, he finally agrees to accept the returned transfer. Shen then notices she sent 200 extra, likely to cover the market expenses from the day before. A sharp question forms on his lips. Has Juan been making Su Shui entertain clients and drink at project meetings lately? The decoration store owner quickly clarifies that her only job right now is to supervise his very important project. With a curt thank you and a goodbye, the meeting is over. The owner sighs, thinking to herself what a shame it is. If only Sue stayed with a man like Shen her life, and her families would be transformed. But Su Shui is a woman of firm principles. She reflects that in this day and age, girls with such integrity are a true rarity. Meanwhile, a text message lights up Shen's phone. A married woman asks if he's free tonight for a drink. Shen, the quintessential womanizer, replies with a smirk. Why bother with a cafe? They can go straight to her house this time. She playfully warns him that her husband could arrive any moment, a fact that for Shen only made this clandestine meeting more exhilarating. She tells him to come over now, her voice a tempting whisper. He'll need his energy for another air conditioner. The alluring woman promises a feast, a special meal just for him. At 6 in the evening, Shen steps into her world. Just as promised, he finds her in the kitchen, lost in the art of cooking. On the menu tonight, pork ribs with a hint of paprika and orange. Seeing the exotic ingredients laid out, Sheen smirks. This woman truly knew what she was doing. He closes the distance, his voice low from behind her. Is this a dish you've made for your husband before? She simply shakes her head. It's my first time, she admits. I saw the recipe online. Shen presses further. What time does he get home? Her reply is quick. Around 9 tonight. That gives them a precious window of time. An hour and a half before Zhong returns. Shen's gaze deepens, noticing a subtle change in her. Did you enjoy yourself last time? He asks. She can barely find the words to answer. In a heartbeat, a passionate hour vanishes. Later, Shen Yuen savors the meal. Incredible, he declares. You'd never know it was your first time making it. She smiles, a new light in her eyes. I could make it for you more often, she offers. He feigns concern. Wouldn't that be complicated? But the married woman's next words stun him. She reveals she's given up on everything. The divorce is off. Now she's choosing to be truly happy for herself. A wave of surprise hits Shen. He congratulates her, impressed by her newfound courage to seize her own fate. And though he has a taste for married women, her happiness truly comes first. The woman thanks him deeply. I made this decision, she confesses. Because of you. A system window flashes in his mind. Affinity has skyrocketed to 69. I'm no homewrecker, Yuen muses to himself. This was the perfect outcome. Now he could invest in her freely. Once she was single, of course. She wondered if her affection score was rising. With a little charm and a few more gifts, it would easily soar past 90 points. Meanwhile, her husband Zhong's eyes narrowed. He spotted a sleek G-Wagon parked in their complex. Zhong didn't know anyone who owned a beast like that. But the man behind the wheel looked familiar. His mind raced, and then it hit him. It was the rich bastard who bought Chenna that car. What on earth was he doing lurking around their home? Later, Zhong saw the feast of pork ribs on the table and foolishly believed they were a treat for him. Deep down, however, Chenna knew the truth. This incredible dinner was never meant for Zhong. Clueless, Zhong demanded Chenna turn on the air conditioner, complaining that the fan was weak and useless. There's no need to be cheap with the electric bill, he scoffed. Chenna's heart hammered in her chest. Shen's scent still lingered. A ghost in the air she desperately tried to hide. The fan was her only desperate attempt to clear it. After his meal, Zhong headed to the shower, fully intending to claim his husbandly rights with Chenna. But 10 minutes later, he found the bedroom door locked. He sneered, thinking he'd taken too long, and that his pathetic wife had already fallen asleep. A surge of irritation washed over him. He'd given her a chance, a golden opportunity she had failed to seize. Fine, he would conserve his precious energy and find a younger woman who would appreciate it. Elsewhere on campus, a crowd of women gathered for the startup project. The ratio was unbelievable, 11 women for every single man. And these weren't just any students. They were the campus goddesses. A stunning senior from the prestigious flight attendant program commanded everyone's attention. Her beauty was flawless, and every man on campus was obsessed with her. Then there was the freshman sensation Aisha, a legend who had shaken the entire school upon her arrival. And Jangmon, the undisputed cosplay muse, who held an army of 200,000 followers on Instagram. One of the other girls felt a pang of insecurity, feeling painfully plain on a day when so many legends were gathered in one place. Yen, the international trade class representative, was the lone male standing amidst this sea of beauties. An uneasy feeling crept over him. Something about this felt incredibly off. These women were all from the highest echelons of society. This atmosphere felt nothing like a typical startup incubator. Yansong had been certain. Shen Yuen was impressed with his business plan, but that was just a fleeting dream. He wondered, why was his name on the final list? The only man in a sea of women looking at all these dazzling beauties Yansong knew. The mastermind was about to make his entrance. Just then, another man appeared overjoyed to spot a fellow countryman in the crowd. Turns out he was a class representative who'd never even realized he liked entrepreneurship. Suddenly, Shen Yuen entered, and the room erupted. Every woman was captivated by his arrival. The protagonist instantly recognized the Chinese man beside him. His name was Mo Jianwang. Shen Yuen began to speak. "You've all advanced to the next phase," he said, "because your ideas are grounded in reality, free of empty promises." He recalled their pitches. One had proposed a simple fried food stall, and the other a fresh fruit stand. "There isn't a single fruit stand on campus," he noted. "This project fills a real need with fair prices. It's practically guaranteed to be a success." Mo Jianwang's heart soared. He was as good as in. A triumphant smirk crossed his face. He figured the male-to-female ratio was for balance. After all, with only girls, there'd be far too much drama. On his form, Mo Jianwang proudly stated he'd worked as a social media analyst and even coordinated massive online campaigns. Shen Yuen raised an eyebrow. "Do you have your own team?" "Of course," Mo Jianwang boasted. "I command over 100 people and have led major industry campaigns." "I see. That will be all for now," Shen Yuen replied coolly. "I'll begin the interviews with the other candidates shortly." The protagonist's mind raced. Once he launched his own company, a contact like Mo Jianwang could prove incredibly useful. Meanwhile, Shen Yuen was pleasantly surprised. He never expected to find such talented and brilliant young women here. With Fu working under him, she was determined to execute his every order perfectly. The interviews were about to begin. With the interview over, Shen Yuen is stunned to see the junior still there. She boldly steps forward. She needs a private word with President Shen. Intrigued, he dismisses his assistant. The door closes, the air growing thick with tension. Alone at last, the games can truly begin. She cuts straight to the point. "Have I been disqualified?" she demands to know. After all, President Shen's gaze had completely ignored her. His attention was fixed on the other two candidates, as if she were invisible. But he plays it cool. The final results, he says, are pending a second assessment. A test she might not even reach. "So there's another chance," she presses, hope flickering. Shen Yuen's lips curl into a smirk. "I've already given you several." He reminds her that even letting her back into this room was a rare act of mercy. She lays her cards on the table, a full accounting certificate. She's even preparing for the junior economist exam. She may lack field experience, but she can master cash flow and financial reports with ease. Any task, she can handle it. He counters, his voice laced with ice. Wouldn't it be more efficient to hire a veteran accountant? A challenge. He was testing her resolve. A confident smile plays on her lips. "The men who chase me? They could form a line for miles, but I waited 2 long years. 2 years to find a man like him. A chance like this," she declares, "is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. And she, the fierce little dragon, will conquer the great Shen Yuen, no matter the cost." She leans in, her voice a seductive whisper. "I may lack experience, but I possess assets that no other accountant can boast." In a flash, she closes the distance. She's on his lap, her lips pressing against his skin. A silent challenge, a bold gambit. And Shen Yuen finally breaks. "Accountants are a dime a dozen," he admits. "But a body like yours is 1 in a million." Her fingers find the buttons of his shirt, slowly working them free. "What do you think now?" she murmurs. "You have an incredibly persuasive, strong point," he growls. The air crackles as their lips meet in a fiery clash. 40 minutes later, after a whirlwind of passion, he sets his terms. "If you belong to me, we'll live to regret it." Shen Yuen hadn't expected her to be so naive. He simply instructs her that they're going shopping this weekend. At this, something shifts. The junior's affection level skyrockets to 60. She finally knows she has a real place in his heart. A smirk plays on Shen Yuen's lips. He celebrates internally. Long Jing Han's affinity rate, it's finally appeared. 10 minutes later, Long Jing-han returns her face etched with pain from the ordeal she just endured for him. Fu Ying's notices asking with concern if the junior really had to go that far. But Long Jing-han tells her senior that everything is perfect because now she finally understands what true happiness feels like. Meanwhile, Shen Yuen prepares for his father's birthday, inspecting the luxury car he ordered. For the old man, the exquisite jewelry for his mother. The next day, his sister's eyes go wide at the sight of their father's new ride. She demands to get her license over the holidays, wanting a car just like it. Their mother immediately tells Shen Yuen not to spoil his sister. She just finished her exams. Her life is only just beginning. But his father waves it off, saying it's just a car, and that their aunts and uncles are already waiting. It's time to go. They head to the hotel, his sister boasting to their mom that she has the best brother, one who loves her more than anyone. Fed up with the tantrum, their mother orders her to behave herself and get in the car immediately. Meanwhile, at the party, the relatives murmur about the delay, clearly irritated that they're being kept waiting by the hosts. They argue that if there was going to be a delay, they should have been properly informed. Seeing as so many other guests arrived early, one of them then smugly brings up their own son, Yao Dot model. A favor was once asked of the Shen family, a debt repaid with honor long ago. But now the Shens parade around with unbearable arrogance. Hong had sent word just the day before, but the old matriarch let the crucial message slip her mind. Because of that one failure, the warning was never passed on. This reveals just how chaotic their planning truly was, leaving them clueless as to why their family was singled out. The whispers began to spread among the relatives. Forcing them to wait like this was a clear sign of disrespect from the hosts. A family member scoffed at the hypocrisy. Everyone was happy to leech off the Shens when they were rich. But the moment their empire crumbled, the venomous words began to flow. Yet the Shens still carried themselves with a foolish pride. This entire birthday dinner, they muttered, was destined to be a complete disaster. A woman leaned into the third brother. "Your time is coming," she whispered. Old man Shen's birthday would be the scandal of the entire city, and everyone knew it. His eyes fell on the third uncle's brand new car, a clear signal that his factory was booming. Yang, the third uncle, just laughed it off. He claimed he was only earning a little extra. But in the world of business, he knew a man's car is his armor. A relative quickly suggested a discount plan, trying to get on the good side of the new money. But Yang told his wife to call their second brother. That arrogant fool still proud even after bankruptcy. There was bad blood between Yang's wife and Shen Yuen's mother. A long history of bitter clashes and jealousy, especially since Shen Yuen always got better grades. They wondered if disaster had struck the Shen family again, as the wait stretched on and on. But one loyal cousin stepped up to defend them. "Just wait a little longer," he pleaded. After all, it's second brother's birthday. He's the host. At that very moment, the doors swung open. Shen Yuen's entire family made their grand entrance. The patriarch old Shen immediately bowed his head. "Forgive our tardiness," he began. "We had a mishap." To atone for the disrespect, he vowed to drink 3 full shots as an apology. A kinder relative tried to smooth things over. "We haven't been waiting long. It's not even dinner time." But Yang's wife scoffed. "A little waiting won't kill anyone." A sharp glare from her husband was enough to silence her. Yang finally faced his second brother, his voice laced with ice. "You should have at least called. If you were too busy for family, could have easily given him a ride." Yang's words dripped with insinuation that his second brother's family was too poor to own a car. He smirked. After they hogged the spotlight for so long, it was finally Yang's time to shine. But Shen Yuen simply smiled. "Then I'll have to rely on third uncle. I hope you're always free for me." The blatant disrespect. Yang's eye twitched. This brat was rude. It was time to show him a little reality. With a flourish, Yang pulled a key from his pocket as old Shen began to down the shots. "Brother, are you sure you should drink that much?" Yang asked with fake concern. "Think it over. It's not like you're to blame for your situation." Then Yang staged his grand performance, letting the expensive car key slip and clatter onto the floor. But the insurance-selling cousin didn't even glance down. He just sat there, refusing to help pick it up. He already knew he wasn't closing a deal here, and there was no way Yao would grovel before Yang in public. "Third uncle, did you buy a new car?" Shen Yuen asked, innocently retrieving the key and handing it back. "Oh, my Volvo was getting old," Yang said, trying to sound casual. "So I decided to upgrade. I picked up a BMW X7. It wasn't even that expensive." But Shen Yuen knew exactly what that model cost, just under $1 million. "Wow," he said. "For uncle to say that's not expensive, you truly are modest." Yang puffed his chest out, taking the bait. "Well, it was the mid-tier version, a cool $1 million. He boasted, "I always told my second brother that his tourism business was just too risky and unstable." Shen Yuen laid it on thick. "Uncle, you're simply incredible." Yang waved his hand dismissively. "I'm just a man trying to make a living." Yang's wife shot a look at Shen Yuen, thinking he was a total suck-up. She was annoyed her husband had to show off like that, nearly bringing shame upon them. But Yang thought otherwise. Better to be flashy now so no one comes, begging for money later. Shen Yuen then turned to his father. "Dad, did you hear third uncle just bought a brand new BMW?" He paused for effect. "So, how long are you planning to hide your Maybach?" At those words, Yang's wife, who was convinced the Shen family had gone completely bankrupt, froze. Her world turned upside down. The Maybach's price tag, a soul-crushing 1.7 million. Her mind reeled. Where did that kind of money even come from? The cousins stared, their faces a mask of pure shock. They demanded an answer, their voices sharp with envy. How could a nobody like Shen Yuen afford a king's chariot? But then old Shen spoke, his voice a calm river in a storm of chaos. He explained it was a gift from his son, a present he was simply meant to enjoy. The entire family was utterly baffled. Was this even real? Where did this mountain of wealth just appear from? They remembered the second brother, always so serious and grounded. This had to be the alcohol talking. The drinks must have gone to his head. He was obviously spouting nonsense. Yang shot him a look. Is this some kind of pathetic joke? He sneered. How could Shen Yuen possibly buy a car like that? But Shen Yuen's patience was wearing thin. His father was being far too merciful. After the disrespect Uncle Yang had shown, his father should have put him in his place with overwhelming force. Suddenly, a cousin interjected with a smug look. He revealed that Shen Yuen truly went overboard, buying a car so absurdly expensive against all advice. But he insisted. And then the cousin dropped the real bomb, a revelation that would shatter their world. Shen Yuen actually spent $3 million on that car. A deafening silence fell over the table. The price was beyond astronomical. The reality of a $3 million car hit them like a truck. Their minds raced desperately, trying to comprehend it. Where did he unearth that kind of fortune? Just then, a woman from the restaurant staff approached. She politely asked who the owner of the G-Wagon was. Her voice cut through the tension. The massive vehicle was apparently blocking someone in. Our protagonist turned his expression unreadable. He calmly confirmed the G-Wagon was indeed his. I'll move it right now, he said as if it were nothing. The entire family was rendered utterly speechless. They could only stare frozen solid in absolute disbelief.